Beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
They don't know me well enough yet, so
yeah, that's the problem.
But I've been watching Mars for a couple years now, so I got a good feel for him. You know, like me and Jalen was talking about Mars the other day. We was just chatting. He was like, "Bro, Mars does an excellent job of keeping his straight face through bullshit." And I was like, "Bro," he's like, "It does something to people who are like amplified."
Would he be a great poker player? Because Mars can keep the poker face, doesn't he? Like you don't know when he's serious, you don't know when he's bullshitting. Because he just keep that poker face and it just stays on. I'm like, this dude ain't serious, is he? Dead serious.
That's crazy. You're an all-star bluffer, Mars?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
Great at it.
All right, y'all. Well, we are live. We got Stoner Sports Network in the building with us. And today is game 3 of the NBA Finals. And we have questions that need answers. And the biggest question of which being, will Tyrese Haliburton actually be in the building tonight? You know, will he be live in effect, Chill? Will Tyrese Haliburton actually show up to the NBA Finals?
Yeah.
Or do the Thunder just have his number?
Yes, Ron. I think he will be there tonight. I think the action is going to have to get forced. I think that the only way for Indiana to have a chance in this thing, they got to speed the game up. Even if that means turning the ball over, they got to get in, they got to get into their transition offense. They have to get the game faster. And in order to do that, Tyrese Haliburton cannot allow Cason Wallace to just pick him up 94 feet and slow him up in transition. He's got to start forcing the action more. And even when we get into the half court set, we all know Tyrese Haliburton isn't the greatest shot creator, but he can create off the dribble. He can create getting to the rim. He's not great at it, but he can create getting to the rim. All of that starts with them speeding up the game. And if they can't speed the game up, I don't think that they have a chance in this game, which means that I feel like the game, that aspect of it has to be forced. And if it's not, then I think we're going back to Oklahoma City for game 5 and the series is over.
I mean, Tyrese Haliburton, he got to show up. He got to be aggressive. For him, aggressive is not always scoring, but he going to have to score. He's going to have to get up some points. I think the more he scores, the more he opens up everything for everybody else. And the more his swag, his aura just shows off in the game. I think playing at Indiana, the crowd is going to juice them, man. In Indiana finals, bro, they ain't been there in a long time, bro. So they finna really turn up. It's going to be crazy. I think Tyrese is going to show up. He's going to play off the crowd. His pop's going to be in the crowd. Like, it's finna be turned. And I think Tyrese knows that his aggression is going to bring his team to another level of play. So I'm looking for Tyrese to be aggressive early and often, looking to score and then opening up the whole offense for everybody else.
Isn't this a great opportunity? And I'm glad you brought that up, too, because isn't this a great opportunity for Oklahoma City? All the heat's on them. The pressure's on them. They're at home. They're going to have their crowd. Isn't this a great opportunity for Oklahoma City to shut the door on them? Because if they go in there and handle them dudes tonight.
The door is shut. The door is shut. That's they unlocked the code last man. What? That man Hallie had 17, but we know he really had 5 points. Some last 12 ain't mean nothing. Ain't mean nothing, man. Hallie is toast. He's done. He done ran into the biggest buzzsaw. Look, OKC lost on some fluke shit last.
That's how, but bro, that's crazy because
we can't call it a fluke.
Like at some point it has to be.
No, I'm saying OKC has been a defensive juggernaut all season. They had a slip and a crack. Indiana was playing that same shit they was doing with the Knicks, the come back and win shit, and that shit not gonna work against OKC.
It worked against Cleveland. It worked against Milwaukee. It worked against the Knicks.
It worked against who?
It worked against Cleveland. It worked against Milwaukee. It worked against the Bucks.
That last team? Who was the last team?
Worked against the Knicks.
Mixed bitterness. This is mixed bitterness. It's spilling over.
Hey, Los, you like this picture?
Oh, he's about to wild out.
Come on,
you want me to change it? I could change it to another game winner.
That was the shot against Cleveland. All
right, I need to change. I need to update the picture.
All that damn Knicks hate, man.
Ron's so net. But as you were saying, Los, as you were saying,
man, Tyrese got to show up early. He can't wait around. He can't sit around. Like Jalen said, he's got to be aggressive off the jump. I know we always say Tyrese Haliburton don't got to be a scorer. He has to be a scorer in this series. He has to put up 30 balls. He has to keep the defense honest. That's the only way they're going to win. You can't Nemhard, Miles Turner, Shepard, all them Mathurin, all them dudes feed off of what Hallie is generating. If Hallie is not aggressive off the rip, it's over. OKC is too good. They have too many weapons. They're too good defensively. You got to put the pressure on them. If the pressure is not put on OKC, then they're chilling.
Mars, how you feel about Hallie tonight? What do you expect?
I just broke Ron Hart with that.
I don't know. It depends on what Rick Carlisle has him doing. I don't think he's just going to be able to just score organically. I don't think you can just put the ball in Hallie's hands and say, oh, yeah, just go work. I don't think that's going to work against his defense. So it comes down to if Rick Carlisle's emphasizing getting the things I said, yesterday or the day before, emphasizing Haliburton getting downhill off designed plays and actions. If they do that, then yeah, I think he can have a good game, and then that can open up the three ball and that all of those types of things. But if that's not an emphasis, then I think Hallie will just struggle to score. And I don't think that's a knock on Hallie. I think that's just OKC's defense is that good. So my prediction is entirely predicated on whatever Rick Carlisle's emphasizing. I think there is avenues for Haliburton to score and be successful against OKC, but I don't know if those avenues are in the Pacers' best interests. I'd assume they are. So I'd assume that Rick Carlisle is aware of that and probably does want to get Hallie going. So I would expect Hallie to have a good game today. Or in game 4, one or the other. I don't know. It still does just come down to can he shoot as well.
What's a good game, Mars? When you said good game, what's a good game? Because again, the 32, 13, and 12, like that's phenomenal.
He has to have that. He has to have that.
When I
rebound.
That's what I'm thinking, Mars. So what in your estimation? What's a good game for Haliburton?
What, a damn near triple double? I don't know. 21, 9, and 8. Nah, I don't know.
I don't hate that.
I don't know. I don't think it comes down to numbers. Like I think it just like you can see when Haliburton's having a good game. I don't know how to explain it.
No, I get that.
He could score 14 and have a good game, or he could score 23 and have a bad game. Like I don't.
That you're right, but that doesn't work in this. That's not going to work in the finals.
Mars, you and I had this
I think he scored 14 in game 1 and they won. So
that was a fluke.
Call it what you want to call it, but factually it worked.
Well, it wasn't a fluke.
Call it what you want to. 14 worked.
It wasn't a fluke. No, it wasn't.
Yeah,
because they've done that before. But Mars, you and I had a conversation. We were in San Francisco when we talked about the lead guard. You and I were talking about Stockton, and Stockton, he couldn't be just relegated to just being a distributor. He would have to be a scorer in today's game. If you play the lead guard in today's game, you have to be able to score at a high clip. I ain't saying you got to get 30, Mars. No, I'm not saying that at all. No, you don't have to average 30, but you have to be able to score consistently. Tyrese Haliburton played 73 games this year. Of those 73 games he played, 25 of them he had 20 or more. That's what, a third? I mean, that's about a third of them. Okay, so that's good in the regular season. When we get deeper into the season and we get into the playoffs, that has to occur a lot more than what it did during the regular season. Again, Mars, I can appreciate how good Oklahoma City's defense is. I can appreciate their traps. They make Tyrese Haliburton very uncomfortable when he crosses half court. I said this to you yesterday. He stepped on the half court line. That's where they're starting their offense at. They're starting their offense 35 feet away from the basket. That's not difficult to guard when your entire offense is right in front of us. There's no action. And these guys play off of Tyrese Haliburton. You need Mathurin, Obi Toppin, Pascal Siakam. All of these dudes play off of him in order for those guys to get going. Tyrese Haliburton has to be more of a threat as a scorer. He has to be more of a threat as a downhill guy. I just think that it's going to be incredibly difficult with this Oklahoma City team in terms of defense because of how much they're on a string.
Yeah, I mean, Tyrese Haliburton, he gives the team energy. The ball has energy. When he has the ball and he's playing fast, he's advancing the ball up the court. The Pacers are at their best when they're shooting quick in the shot clock and hitting threes, and everybody's getting involved. They're a team that, like, yeah, Haliburton, he definitely has to score. When he's scoring, it puts a different pressure on the defense, but they're a team that's doing well when they have 5-6 guys in double figures and everybody's getting involved. Miles Turner's having a big game. Pascal's getting his one-on-ones and killing. Nembhard's hitting those tough shots. They're good when everybody's flowing, but that flow starts with Haliburton pushing the ball, getting everybody involved, and just getting energy within the offense. So, Chill, I just want to know, what do you think the Pacers, like, what can they do in this game to win? What do you think that their formula would be to win?
The formula is what it's been the whole season for them. They got to speed the game
come
up.
back down 15.
Not necessarily come back down 15. Los, we got to speed the game up, even if it's at the detriment of turnovers. Okay, we don't want to just throw the ball all over the floor and turn the ball over every trip. I'm not saying that point, but we got to speed the game up. Tyrese Haliburton cannot just allow Casey Wallace to just slow him up in the half court. We can't allow guys to just get picked up when we get to half, when like J-Dub and Lou Dort, they're finding guys in transition almost before they cross half court. We got to force the action. And with us forcing the action, then we got to get Pascal Siakam in quick hits. I do not like Pascal Siakam faced up on Alex Caruso 22 feet away from the basket. I like him in the nail. I like him at the mid post. I like him in that area when we get him the ball quick and he goes quick on Alex Caruso. That way the defense doesn't have a chance to adjust. If we can speed the game up, in addition to us speeding the game up, if we can get quick hits from Haliburton, if we can get quick hits from Pascal Siakam, I think we got a chance. But I have to emphasize speeding up the game because that's who Pascal Siakam is, one of the best transition players in the game.
I think one thing we're missing here, and what I've noticed is you can't name a championship team that didn't have a go-to scorer, didn't have a go-to guy to get a bucket for you. And I feel like the Indiana Pacers do not have that. When you're looking at even, I know everybody's been comparing this Pacers team to the 04 Pistons team, right? And the fact where there's not one solidified superstar. It's a great team. However, you had people that you can go to. You had Rip Hamilton you can go to for a bucket. You had Sheed you can go to for a bucket.
You can go to Siakam for buckets. Let's not be doing that. We can go to Siakam for buckets. Sure, we can do that. Don't get me wrong, Los. He ain't 35 a game. He's not KD, but we can draw something up. We can call his number.
The thing is, you need a prolific scorer in this NBA.
Who is the prolific scorer? Okay, you're talking about today's NBA.
When in today's NBA, you need a prolific scorer in these matchups to take you over the hump. Thunder have that. So
we didn't need a prolific scorer against the Knicks, did we? You see, I just sat here and listened to cap after cap after cap, especially from the bottom right corner. You know, hey, I'm sorry, y'all. Hey, just like Haliburton, it took me a while to arrive to the show. My bad, y'all. I had a late night last night. You know, I got the coffee, I got the energy drink.
They live rent free in Ron's head. The New York Knicks live rent free in Ron's head. I want y'all to know that. Ron, man, get that.
How does it smell? How does it look? How does it taste? Hey, you know, crazy thing is, y'all, hey, I finally arrived. And you know what gave me a little more motivation? I'm sorry, Joel. I wasn't even going to get on this today, Joel. Loston amped me up. Hey, but now you got to show off the gear, too. Let's see the merchandise.
What is that?
Let's see the merchandise,
Joel, you lost a bet, Joel. Please tell me you lost a bet.
Yeah, I did lose a bet to Ron.
Hey, you know, the thing is, when you see such a beautiful offense that's anchored by such a beautiful point guard, it's easy to flip teams. Now, y'all, I just want to say this, and I'll shut the hell up. Haliburton, legacy game tonight.
Legacy.
He had one against the Bucks.
Nobody on this damn call with that. You didn't sell nobody on this call with that.
I'm selling myself. I'm selling and I'm buying my own merchandise and products. Haliburton, legacy game tonight. I'm telling y'all going to see. Y'all think this big historic defense and all of this? All right, watch. Legacy game tonight.
SGA about to put 50 up tonight.
I mean, SGA legacy game tonight too, potentially. But Haliburton coming with it tonight. Y'all gonna see. Hey, game one, not so good. Did hit the game winning shot though. Legacy moment. Game two, notice how late in the second half he started figuring things out and finding his spots, and he got a couple buckets. Now, y'all said he was stat padding. Y'all said it didn't matter. What I took from it is he finally starting to find his rhythm and his spots against his defense. Hey, chill. Some quarterbacks, they don't figure out a good defense until the third quarter, maybe even the fourth quarter. Then they get a couple touchdowns. Maybe it's too late, but maybe it's just enough to get their team over the hump.
That sounds like Dak Prescott to me. You're down 4 touchdowns, and
it sounds like Patrick Mahomes.
Touchdowns, and you end up throwing for 300.
It does not sound like Patrick Mahomes.
Not at all, Joe.
Patrick Mahomes had some legacy second halves.
Ron, me and you, we be on the same page because that's the same thing that happened in the Super Bowl. You know, It's just a little too late. But I think we not the Pacers. We know what they can do to potentially win. But if the Thunder are going to get contributions like Aaron Wiggins and Caruso had last game, there's no chance. There's no
But
chance.
you can't expect that on the road. Like role players play better at home historically.
Caruso's gonna play great anywhere.
That's not true.
He's been good on the road.
He's been good, but like we're not going to say like Caruso about to just go out there and get 20 again. Like he might, but like
He's gonna have 20. That's the thing. Caruso impact the game. That's the X
he's gonna
factor.
have the impact. Yeah, he's gonna have the impact, but like we're not gonna act like he's gonna get 20. Like they had 20 and 18 from Aaron Wiggins. Like that's 40 points from two dudes. They're not getting 40 points from them two dudes, bro. Come on now.
Y'all believe in Caruso more than Haliburton?
You know what I'm saying, Ron? Like come on, bro.
Caruso got one of these.
I'm
boy.
expecting top end.
I'm gonna just not answer the question.
Wait. No. Y'all believe in Caruso more than Tyrese Haliburton?
Hey, shout out Braun.
I'm not
Caruso
doing
got
that.
one of these.
Are y'all not entertained?
I do not. I do
Y'all
not.
don't, y'all don't remember the Bucks? By Giannis layup.
Mm-mm.
Y'all don't remember the Cleveland? I missed the free throw on purpose. Y'all didn't know he did that on purpose. Grabbed the rebound. Hit Ty Jerome with the step back.
Yeah.
Now you saying he did
That's
that
in
on
the
purpose?
past, brother. That's in the past.
I just
Y'all
think
don't remember this?
we in a different space if we're concerned or we're relying on Alex Caruso to get us 20. We in a different space as a crew, and then they're not relying on that. They got so many other things going on.
They can get contributions from so many different guys. That's the point. Like, but they have that engine in Shea. So at the end of the day,
we're gonna see if that bench shows up on the road, man. On the road, Caruso's not giving you 20, and Aaron Wiggins is not giving you 18. Now, can they play good? Yeah, but I'm expecting the role players on the Pacers to play way better at the crib, man. Obi Toppin's gonna step up, Mathurin's gonna step up. All those guys are gonna step up because they're gonna have home energy. It's different. That's just how they play, bro. And like, bro, the Pacers in the finals, that crowd is about to go crazy. They're gonna have Caitlin Clark in the building. They finna be lit. And they finna have Mr. Haliburton with let him bring the flag out is lit, bro. I don't know what we talking about.
I think the energy gonna be way different.
That's cute.
Yes, 100% low. That's the word I was looking for, low. That's
cute.
That's the word I was looking for. Again, remember,
that shit against the Knicks. That was cute too.
Hey man,
Stop doing that shit. See, everybody gonna keep coming.
No, you're right. Ron influencing me, but that's my fault.
All I know,
but it's a little more than cute though, Chill and Los. It's a little more than cute because there's actually substance to what he's saying though. You know what I'm saying? Like I think everybody pretty much agrees. As a matter of fact, I think sometimes I'll give a little more pushback, but I think we all agree that role players typically play better at the crib.
They do.
You know
what I'm saying? Yes, they do.
And
we
can't
count on 40 points from Caruso and Wiggins. You know what I'm saying?
No.
And that's and I'm not saying they're not capable of it, but I don't think we should bank on that though.
I think the thing I'm having pushback on is the energy part. I mean, Apollo Creed had a lot of energy. Drago dropped his ass. He was so excited. Drago dropped his ass. Straight dropped him. And I feel like this Indiana team, as good as they are, Oklahoma City, they counter everything that they do, man. Everything. That's why I feel like they got to force the issue. Whenever they get countered, they got to force the issue. Joel is a football guy, so Joel can appreciate this. And I said this before. Joel, what Tyrese Haliburton reminds me of in this series, he reminds me of a quarterback that has to hit hot reads. Like he doesn't have time to go through his progressions because this Oklahoma City defense is just shutting everything down. He doesn't have time. He's open. Nope, he's not open. He's not open. As soon as he crosses half court, he's got to get the pill to whomever, and they got to get the ball out of his hands, and they make Matherin, they make Obi Toppin, they make all of these other guys make plays, and they keep the ball away from him as much as possible, and that stalls their offense a lot of times. That's why I feel like they got to force the issue, and if they force the issue, then I think that they can possibly get something going. Other than that, I don't got them winning another game in the series.
I think the series is over. I think it ends in 5. At most, it's going 6. But OKC pretty much has Indiana's offense locked up.
Exactly.
And it's 1-1, bro. We counting the Pacers out after what they did this whole playoffs.
They counted them out before the series.
That's crazy.
It's
a mix that they got going on right now, man.
It's not even that. It's OKC has essentially put Indiana's offense into a box and locked it up. There is nothing they can do offensively. Pascal Siakam, his post entries, they're not there. They were forcing him to create offense above the break in game 2. Tyrese Haliburton, if he's not getting a screen, he cannot break down a defender one-on-one. Average dribbles per touch is like 2.5 versus Shea is like 7. They're two completely different players, but it shows that Haliburton is just not able to consistently generate rim pressure and get by his defenders. there was multiple occasions where he could have had space, but instead he's constantly calling for a screen. And just in this type of matchup where OKC has no defensive liabilities, it's not like the Knicks series where when you call for a pick and roll and you get a switch, Cat is guarding you. It's Chet Holmgren in this series. There's just too many elite defensive players on OKC for Indiana to pick apart what they're doing defensively. So I think that Indiana's offense is getting shut down and they can't get stops on defense like that. I think they're overmatched on both sides of the ball.
Joe, rewind what you just said. 2 dribbles. Is that Tyrese Haliburton?
2.5.
2.5 dribbles. That means that he's got to get. That means that he's getting off the peel. He got to get off the peel quick.
He got to.
There's nothing where he's handling the ball and he's trying to get downhill and he's making plays for other people. It's 2 dribbles, getting off it. And not only is he getting off it, he's not getting off it for somebody else to get a good shot. He's getting off it because they're forcing him to get off of it. That's what it looks like. And that's stifling their offense.
Sure, with all the respect to this great defense, this ain't nothing Rick Carlisle ain't never seen before, right? I'm sure Rick Carlisle's been faced with these things. You know what I'm saying? And I believe
he faced the Heat.
Come on, bro.
He wasn't better.
Wait, Joe, I'm not. So what I'm not going to do with you, Joe, is I'm not going to pretend like this is something we've never seen before. I know this isn't. We're not going to pretend like this isn't something we've never seen before, and we're definitely not going to pretend like this isn't something Rick Carlisle's never seen before in all of his experience in basketball. Now, all I'm saying is, if they do pull it off, Joe, because y'all said this is the end for them, and lucky if they get the 6. If they do pull it off, I think it's going to be strictly on coach doing some coaching. Like, I know Rick Carlisle, he can't just be sitting around like, okay, we're going to try that again, or we're going to try that again. In order to win this series, he has to coach. He has to implement something to find whatever the weak spot is in that defense.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be, it's on him to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? So if he can do that, I think this team is capable. I think it's much closer as far as talent goes. As far as talent goes, I think it's closer than we're giving him credit for. And with that being said, if Coach Carlisle can solve the puzzle, I don't see no reason why this can't be a competitive 7-game series.
Ox, the last time he saw a defense like this, he was in Indiana, and they saw and they saw the Pistons, and they lost. That was the last time he saw a defense something like this.
It's a comparable talent. The OKC has, I feel, a superior in that category.
I feel like they are too, and I'm on record saying that in terms of a team being on the string defensively, I haven't seen a team on the perimeter like this. And I actually went down the line of some other teams: Seattle with Nate McMillan and Gary Payton, right, and Hersey Hawkins, the Bulls with Jordan and Pippen and Ron Harper. I haven't seen a team on the perimeter on a string like this, like they are. And I can appreciate the logic of Rick Carlisle making adjustments, but Ox, you can go to 4 or 5 different doors. Each one of those doors you open got a brick wall open. Got a brick wall right behind.
You got to have a personnel to make
no
certain
doubt.
adjustments. I don't think they have that
Carlisle is one of the best coaches that we didn't see him, bro. So we're not gonna count out Rick. He beat the Miami Heat that had
real talk. What's it? Rick Carlisle and Doc Rivers in the same boat. Like, what are we talking about?
No, they're not. What? No, they are not.
Absolutely.
Hey, clip that, and cook him, bro.
Well, no, listen. I'm higher on Doc Rivers than most of y'all. Man.
I am too, Ox, but he ain't better than Rick. Him and Doc ain't on the same level.
I'm saying though, like, why are we talking about Rick Carlisle? Like, he's like this astronomical. Like, what are we doing? Like, well, he's a great coach, but
he's an amazing coach.
I'm just saying we need to talk about Doc Rivers in that same space the way we talk about Rick Carlisle.
No, we don't.
I don't know, Los. I think you're probably going a little too far. Like, all I was saying is respect Doc. You know what I'm saying? I was saying respect Doc.
So to answer your question, Los, what Rick Carlisle has done is this is the second team that he's taken to the NBA championship. So Phil Jackson and Pat Riley, the only other 2 dudes to do that. Okay. I feel like I'm leaving somebody out. Just to take 2 different teams to the NBA championship.
Took 3 to the conference
franchises. Two different franchises.
2 different franchises, right? 2 different franchises to the conference championship.
But other teams.
He took Indiana. He took Indiana to the conference championship. He took Detroit to the conference championship, and he took Dallas to the conference championship. And I'm on record saying, Joel, in 2005 with the Malice in the Palace, I had them winning the NBA championship that year. I thought that they were that good. But with that being said, Rick Carlisle he's a great adjuster. Rick Carlisle is great in his rotations. He's great in in-game adjustments. I think him and Doc Rivers in terms of in-game adjustments, I think it's not even close. I don't think it's close between those 2 guys. No, I do think that Doc Rivers is great in terms of his X and O's and coming out of timeouts and things like that. I will give Doc a lot of credit on that. But Rick Carlisle, his control chaos, I think it clears anything that Doc Rivers does on offense. Clears it. And he did the same thing in Dallas. I don't think those two guys are on the same tier. No,
That's
I don't.
right. Two times. They win 06 and
Doc benefited from having the best team in the league. Like
Rick Carlisle is an excellent coach, and
amazing,
he has overcome a big challenge like this before by beating the Heat that had a big three in LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. But it's
this
not
team
the
ain't
same.
nothing close to that Heat team, Joel. This team is not even in that atmosphere.
Defensively, it's so much better. That Heat team, we talk about LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, but then we ignore the role players. 6 of their players that played the most minutes were LeBron, Wade, Bosh, Mario Chalmers, Udonis Haslem, and Joel Anthony. Those 3 other role players behind them are not good.
And apparently Chris Bosh is a role player too, so it's really just LeBron and Wade.
I understand if you're saying the defense was better. I don't think anybody would debate that. I'm just saying
so you saying
as a whole
team,
team.
that Miami Heat team is better at that stage, at that point, than this OKC team. Is that what you're saying? Is that correct?
I didn't even know I needed to say that, honestly. And if I needed to say that, I'm just finding shit out right now. I didn't.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
I'm
lost. I'm behind.
No, for sure. So why is it so hard? Why is it going to be so hard for Rick Carlisle to overcome this OKC team?
Because
As
there's
we all think it is going to be.
There's no weak defender that OKC has on the roster. I think the star power on that Heat team is better than this OKC team, but this OKC team, without a doubt, has much more depth. I mean, we're talking about Haliburton. When he starts the game, he's facing off with Lou Dort as a defender, and then when Lou Dort goes to the bench, he's met with Alex Caruso. There is no minutes where you're facing a weak defender.
He's getting switched on to Case and Wallace. That's what's going on while he's on the floor too. Don't leave that out, Joe.
Like, at least with the Heat team, if they were playing them, it's like, okay, we can get a switch onto Mario Chalmers. We can get Udonis Haslem. We could get Joel Anthony in the action. With OKC, you don't have the same type of defensive liabilities versus that type of team. So that's why, and you don't have an offensive player that can break down elite individual defenders on this team.
My initial point before you got on the call, Joel, that was my initial point.
But I don't think that's a knock on Hallie, because every star has struggled against OKC's defense, whether it's been Ja, Bane, Jaren, Randall, Anthony Edwards, Jokic, Murray, Siakam, and Haliburton now.
Jason Tatum averages 30 against
every star struggled against his defense.
Jason Tatum couldn't beat the Knicks.
I just want to put that out there. Jason Tatum averaged 30. As you were saying, Joe, keep going. As you were saying.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Just want to put that out there. But go ahead.
So
that's not that it really matters in this whole conversation. I just kind of want to just ask anyway. So I understand the difference is better, but is this OKC team better than the Heat team?
2011, right?
That's what I'm trying to. I want to get that.
I think they're better. Yeah, I think they're better.
I would go with yes. I think the depth matters. I think the variations of the Heat team when they added Ray Allen and Shane Battier and Mike Miller were much better. They had much better depth. That specific Heat team, they couldn't beat Dallas's zone defense in the finals. They couldn't get by that. I don't think that they'd get by OKC's defense.
So
Dallas is also better than the Pacers.
On LeBron. A lot of that was on LeBron.
By the way,
yes,
yeah, I think that Dallas team is better than the Pacers.
By the way, don't leave that part out. That's important to mention.
And this OKC team is better than that Dallas team too, right?
Yeah, I think this OKC team is better than Dallas as well. Yeah.
Ox, what's swaying you with this? Is it James? Is that what's swaying you with this Miami Heat team?
I mean, if you,
you do got
LeBron James.
Is it just LeBron James?
Okay, so if we doing that, I mean, okay, the best player in the league. I'm not gonna argue. I'm not gonna argue that.
No, it's not just but it's not just that simple. You know what I'm saying? It's Dwayne Wade. It's Chris Bosh. You know what I mean? It's the whole squad. But I mean, is it LeBron? Yeah, chill. Hell yes. Yeah, I think, and I know we all seen how that Mavericks team, how they shackled on Bron. They made it hard for him, but. And I'm not, and mind you, I think this OKC, if I could see that Dallas team do it, I could believe this OKC team could do it too. You know what I'm saying? So, sure, I'm fine. I'm fine with it. I just came into this conversation maybe with just a biased mindset or nostalgia. You know, it could be what it was. I just didn't even consider it. And when I'm thinking about it with y'all, I'm seeing what you're saying. I still believe this Heat team is better, but I get where you're coming from, and I can't just say the Heat are just better the way I did. It's nonchalant.
Absolutely, and I get where you're coming from. Where you can't count out Rick Carlisle, and I do agree with your point that in order for the Pacers to win this series, he has to coach an absolute masterclass. Like if he ends up winning this series, he is going to be put in some legendary talks. I think he's already a great coach.
Let's tell it he ain't better than Doc Rivers.
But if you beat the Heat in 2011 with the Mavs and you beat the OKC Thunder in 2025 with the Pacers, those are two of the most remarkable playoff finals runs that we've ever seen from a coach.
Sure.
I agree 100% with that. If he pulls this off, hey, hats off, kudos to him. I'm just saying, though, would y'all say that Miami Heat lost that series or Dallas Mavericks won that series?
It's a little bit of
lost isn't the word. You would have to say choked that series.
I want to put some respect. I want to put some respect on Dirk Nowitzki and them dudes. I think they just won.
The reason I bring that up is I'm just trying to see where this Rick Carlisle, all of this. He's in this class. He's this. He's that. I just want to see where that's coming from. Because everybody's going back to that championship, so I want to know: did Miami Heat lose that series, or did the Dallas Mavericks win that series? And
that's like
Miami Heat lost that. So I'm
like Eric Spoelstra is not a good like he's a great coach. Like I don't know, like anybody that watches basketball knows Rick Carlisle is one of the best basketball minds in the game. Like
same thing with Doc Rivers.
No. Doc Rivers is a historic choker, and he doesn't adjust. Like everybody knows in game, he doesn't make adjustments, and that's what has killed him when he's had a lot of very talented teams. He's underachieved, bro. Rick Carlisle has overachieved. This guy's underachieved. I don't know how we're even comparing these two coaches. Like Rick Carlisle is way better than Doc Rivers, bro. Way better.
Los, to answer your question, Los, so they threw a bunch of different looks at James when they had James. When he had the ball on the right wing, they'll throw a zone at him. They'll throw different different matchups at him, and it made James be more aggressive, which he didn't want to be. They slowed down his transition game. They did a great job in slowing down Miami's transition game. In addition to that, they made James be more of a one-on-one player. And then when they didn't make him become a one-on-one player, they dropped in that zone and made him become a jump shooter. I don't think we give Dallas nearly enough credit.
But that's Bron. That's to Bron's fault. Bron.
Oh, 100%. I'm not going to argue that. I'm not. But that was the game plan, though.
But
that was one.
He got to adjust. He didn't.
Yes,
do it.
And he didn't. He 100% did not. He did not adjust.
But Bron not adjusting is not.
Oh, so here's my thing. I've never seen somebody like discredit somebody for winning a championship. He won, and he got his team that was not as good as.
I've seen that happen a lot. Yeah, I've seen many championships get discredited.
I've seen many championships.
I'm saying like how
somebody got injured. Right now, they try to discredit Kawhi's championship because of injury.
I'm talking about like coach. Like you're saying that the coach isn't good because he won the championship against a team that he wasn't supposed to beat.
We all just agreed that
is kind of crazy. Yeah.
Like
we all just agreed that team wasn't that great.
The Heat were the better team. They were the favorite, Los. There's no way.
I didn't agree on that.
They were the better team, and the Dallas Mavericks beat them. He outcoached the Miami Heat Big Three. That's what he did.
The Dallas Mavericks proved to be a better team that series.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
they
sir.
did.
And it wasn't just because they were on the floor. It was because of
y'all saying this in hindsight though, because Chill, I know you didn't have the Mavericks.
Like
I know you had
lopsided.
Miami Heat. If I had the Miami Heat beating them in 5 games,
betting odds would have been crazy on the Heat side in that series. And
they made Bron look regular.
Straight like
that team made Bron look regular.
They did.
It wasn't like Bron didn't come into the series like that. I'm saying they did that to Bron. I just want us to start putting respect on teams, and when a team that we look at as superior or a player that we look at as greater, we got to stop. Oh, they just choked. They just lost. But I mean, they out there playing against somebody. You know what I'm saying? They had an effect on Bron.
Yep.
I want to rewind right quick though, because y'all really think that Lou Dort, Cason Wallace, and Caruso locking up Bron and Wade?
Jake Kidd
should have threw Caruso in there.
But that Caruso might lock up D Wade.
Nah, I'm gonna say yes.
Whoa,
2011 D Wade.
Brother.
Lock up 2011.
Wait. Why is this ridiculous to think that Caruso can't slow him down?
He said,
Chill. You of all people. You entertaining this of all people?
I ain't saying lock him up. I'm not saying lock him up, but I'm talking about slow Wade down.
Caruso.
This is arguably the best. This is arguably the best. This is arguably the best on-ball defender in the game. Arguably the best on-ball defender in the game with the perimeter defense that's on a string. arguably the best that I've ever seen in terms of help defense. Not just help, not just
Dwayne
help
Wade is
defense.
arguably one of the best slashers of all time.
100%.
With the ball on a string.
Yes, sir. 100%. And even though,
If they had D-Wade right now, chill, instead of one of them other wings, take anyone you out. Anyone you want to take out.
Mavericks off the floor, Dwayne Wade is on the floor.
No, take out
a whole different ball game.
Take Neesmith out
and put Dwayne Wade on
and keep Nimrod.
With this transition,
I got Indiana.
Who's the best player on the Pacers?
Dwayne Wade.
Bro, stop playing with me, Mars. Why would you ask me some shit like that?
I'm just asking. I'm just checking temperatures.
What I'm saying, Ox, that Dallas defense, they're a top 10 defense that year. Not only were they a top 10 defense that year, Rick Carlisle, his adjustments in terms of zone, transition defense, I thought he did a great job with that Miami Heat team. So if I got Alex Caruso, if I got Mark Dagnall who has Alex Caruso to throw at Dwayne Wade, he's got Lou Dort to throw at Dwayne Wade, he's got Cason Wallace to throw at Dwayne Wade, instead of just Alex Caruso, I think we could slow him down. I don't think that we're stopping him. I'm not saying that. I think we can slow him down.
It's not enough, the best defender in the league. He's the best on-ball defender in the league.
Yes,
I think we can definitely make we can have a conversation about him being the best on-ball defender in the game. Yes, we can.
Yes,
100% we can do that.
If you watch ball, you can see Caruso is clamping.
Say it again, Mars.
It don't matter.
I think it's one of the Thompson twins, but
yeah, like, he's a good defender. He's a really good defender, but best, I'm not saying he's the best, but he's really good. And I think his like being able to like guard everybody out there, like you could throw him on anybody. I think that's what makes him great. But on ball, like
yes, on ball,
he's not the best.
What's the difference between him and Amen Thompson? Except the fact that Amen Thompson is bigger than him.
He's way bigger, longer.
He's more athletic.
Everything, like he's just better. He's better at everything.
Because Caruso sits in a chair. Caruso's anticipation
he's great.
is great. Not only is Caruso anticipation great, Caruso sits in a chair. He's great at blowing up plays. And the reason why he blows up plays is because his ability to navigate screens. He shuts that down. Now, is Amen Thompson as good a screen navigator as Alex Caruso? No. I'm not going to go that far. I don't think he's that good. And I think that that's one of the main reasons why they're so good, because we live in a pick and roll era today where teams do a lot of screening. And the fact that Alex Caruso is so good at doing that, I feel like he's definitely in that conversation as the best on ball.
Oh, he's in the conversation. I agree. In the conversation.
I think the biggest thing about Caruso is he is not an offensive liability either. Like he's gonna be able to go out there and hit threes for you. He's gonna be able to play in transition. He's gonna be able to make plays. He's such a Swiss Army knife for that team. On top of being their best defender, I don't think we're giving Caruso enough credit.
I give Amen Thompson because you guys know how I feel about guys recovering. These guys are so good in the NBA that you're gonna get beat. How do you recover? I think Amen Thompson, if he's not the best, he's one of the best at recovering in terms of defense. Alex Caruso blows up plays. But I feel like Amen Thompson, when I saw the job that he did on Ja, particularly when I watched him play against Memphis early in the season, I was like, this guy is fantastic at recovering. Now, Alex Caruso, on the other hand, when I think your offense is predicated primarily on pick and roll, and he can blow that up, that throws a monkey wrench in everything that you're trying to do.
It does. I mean, I ain't never going to discredit Alex Caruso. We ain't going to tell him he's West, but
yeah,
I'll go.
He's not getting enough credit for the series. He's not getting for his run, for what he's brought to that OKC team. In all seriousness,
are we saying though? And I just want to make sure I'm following you guys. Is Dallas 2011? Are they better than this Oklahoma City team?
No, not to me. Not to me.
I say
Ron.
Hey, Dallas will get these boys the business too. They have nothing for Dirk.
I agree with that. I think Dirk is like the perfect player to break this.
But it's Jason Kidd though. Jason Kidd.
That's what I was about to say. They're the Pacers with Dirk.
They are the
Pacers. They're this Pacers team with Dirk.
Ron, but stop trying to put Tyrese in.
I'm not. That's not what I'm doing. That's not what I'm doing.
Yes, it is.
That's not what I'm doing. No, that's not what I'm doing.
Jason Kidd, Ron. It's Tyrese Haliburton, Jason Kidd.
That was an older Jason Kidd. Either way it goes. So, like, but I'm not necessarily. I guess you can say that they have similarities in the way that they pass the ball and move the ball. I'm talking about the offense as a whole. I got shooters. Yep. I got ball movement.
Man,
and we got a good pace to our offense. But the reason why I said they're the Pacers with Dirk, because it's Rick Carlisle's offense. It's a very unselfish offense, a lot of shooters. But then you put Dirk in the mid post. You put Dirk at the 3-point line. You put Dirk in the block.
Dallas was old, man. Dallas had an old team that year. They had an old team.
They ain't running with them. Who guarding Shea?
Sean Marion. Yeah, he's gonna have to deal with Shea. Mm-hmm.
Sean Marion guarding Shea.
Good luck, Shea.
Hey,
Sean Marion and Stevenson.
I love the
I'm about to
Matrix.
say Deshaun Stevenson guarding them.
And Stevenson.
Jason
got-
Kidd?
Matrix
Y'all not
show
respecting
Jason
Jason Kidd? Yeah, y'all gonna ask Braun about Jason
Hey,
Kidd.
Karan Butler. We gonna act like Karan Butler wasn't.
He didn't play
wasn't-
at all.
Hey, be careful.
I mean, if
Be
you
careful,
give them a
Lon.
help,
don't
you
bring
give
up
them a
Karan
help.
Butler around here. Trust me, I know.
You give
I'm
them a
about to say,
healthy.
we
Karan
can't
Butler,
sit here and
they're
act like Karan Butler not that. So
No, Ox loves
and then,
Karan Butler.
and then
That's
you
his
got
guy.
Tyson Chandler holding down the paint.
What's the separation between Tyson Chandler and Chet?
Chet's better.
Shea is
Much
younger
better.
than he.
Joe, I don't want to talk about his overall game. Let's just talk defense.
As defenders,
As defenders, what's the separation between him and Chandler?
I ain't gonna lie.
check and guard on the perimeter.
I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, Shea is cooking Tyson Chandler off the pick and roll.
Yeah,
He's cooking.
Chet's still better.
You got to switch out there,
Chet's
cooked.
better.
If Dirk got to switch out there, cooked. If they got to do any sort of
will
switching
be
with
good.
Shea, cooked. Anybody guarding Shea one-on-one, cooked. The Matrix show our page hella love. I love you. Cooked. He's cooked against.
Oh,
That's-
you do understand that we are
that's
100% going after Dirk.
But
We get
yeah,
Dirk.
but
same
here-
zone. That
here's
same
the thing,
zone
though.
that works.
Thank
Never
you,
happened
Los.
before.
Try that,
Los
you
knows
did.
ball.
Right.
Thank you.
Try it. Try the zone. It's not gonna work the same.
Yeah,
It worked
okay,
against LeBron. It's not gonna work against the
LeBron and
Thunder.
Dirk is the same player.
Ron played
well,
4
okay,
series of his life
okay,
and he was mentally he
just-
fucked himself mentally. I don't know what that was, but we're not gonna act like that's just gonna throw.
We
him.
do
Maybe
know
it
what
was-
that
maybe it was
but
the
we ain't gonna
zone.
talk about it.
Maybe
Yeah,
it was the
but-
coach.
But OKC have consistently
Rick
scored against
Carlisle.
zone. I think OKC is statistically like the best team in the league against zone. Like, I don't think just because zone works against LeBron. LeBron has different flaws than Shea has. LeBron's a better player than Shea is, obviously,
Right.
but he has different flaws. So just saying, well, this worked against LeBron, so it works against everyone in NBA history. No,
Right.
that defense wouldn't work against Dirk.
That's
Dirk's not better than LeBron, but a zone wouldn't work against Dirk for obvious reasons. A zone isn't going to work against Shea.
But that's not. It's
But the
not
thing-
obvious
but-
reason. Shea's game
That's
is
not
getting
obvious
to the mid range
because
and
if you
getting to
got
the
to think
basket.
out of a zone, somebody has to
What's
create
that
for Dirk. Somebody has to get into the middle of the paint and create for Dirk in a
A
zone.
zone. Do you think a zone would work against Michael Jordan?
I mean,
Depends
no.
on who's running the zone.
No.
Don't get me
No.
started on that. You don't want to get
Point
me
being
started.
that a zone working against 2011 LeBron, who we all agree is a better player than Shea, right?
Sure.
Does
Yep.
not mean a zone is going to work against the Thunder.
No,
With Shea, that's not what that means.
I understand that, Mars, but a zone actually plays to their advantage against Shea. If you're not a shooter and we're packing in the paint,
So why don't y'all go zone?
Then zone, but then why hasn't zone worked against OKC
I think
for like
the
last
Indiana
6 months?
Pacers have the length to go zone.
Why not?
So then why hasn't zone worked against OKC? Shea's been on the team the whole
He's
year.
small on the
Why
base.
hasn't zone worked?
The reason why the zone hasn't worked against Shea because Shea is so good at getting to spaces. Even when you guys are playing, even when you guys are playing zone, SGA is so good at getting to those spaces. And Ron, you talking about Dallas being in the zone. It's not difficult to get to spots in the zone. It's not especially SGA, the ball handler that he is.
And
And how
NBA
wide
they
this
can't
zone
run in
is,
the paint.
because you do have to stretch the Oklahoma City does have shooters, and they will stretch this zone. And with
Still,
them stretching
Bron
this
had
zone-
D Wade.
D-Wade is
Shea
not a long ball
got Shea got babies.
who can shoot the basketball.
D-Wade
They can
couldn't
stretch
shoot
the
that.
defense. Even though they're young, I'm not gonna argue that
Man,
point.
that
Ron.
I think-
D-Wade
Well,
not
D-Wade
being-
was
D-Wade
fine,
not
yeah,
being able to
D-Wade.
shoot don't got
Yeah.
really.
Maybe it was
D-Wade,
great.
D-Wade played
I'm not
fine.
gonna argue that point.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? He still cooked that zone. So he could whatever shooting or no shooting. I don't care who he got. He had Dwayne Wade.
I think the biggest difference in the zone defense conversation is the fact that OKC sets screens so high up in the half court that it gets Shea ahead of steam to that mid-range shot and just pulling up, and he's hitting out with ease. The Pacers, to be fair, have only played 2 to 3 possessions of zone defense in the NBA Finals thus far. So that's so that's something they could definitely do more of. But Shea figured out the zone against
Come on,
Denver
Rick.
after like game 3 and completely torched it. Shea has been on an unbelievable scoring run, and what's different about him and LeBron is that you can wall off the paint against LeBron and force him into a jump shooter, and that's a shot that you're more comfortable living with. Shea is a 50% mid-range shooter. That's his shot. That's what he lives by. That's his bread and butter. If LeBron James is shooting as many mid-range shots as Shea, you feel comfortable with LeBron shooting that many. Versus Shea, that's his shot. That's a great shot.
all right, fellas, we are going to take a momentary break. Everybody in the chat, make sure you like the video, turn in the notification bells, and make sure ultimately that you download the Prize Picks app, because when you use promo code PANEL, you will get $50 back instantly when you play just 5. On Prize Picks, you can run your game, control your game, and ultimately you can win your game. And Prize Picks gives you the ultimate ability to cash in on your basketball knowledge. So if you know what you're talking about, if you know hoops, if you know what players are going to do on any given night like we do, then download the app, use promo code PANEL, play $5 and get 50 back instantly. Oh, and by the way, if you do know ball, then you need to be in the arena tonight. In the Game Time app is the perfect way to get in the building during the playoffs, especially for those hard to get playoff seats. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip off. Game Time makes getting tickets faster and easier than ever before. And my favorite part about the Game Time app, in my personal experience, is that, well, once again, they have the lowest prices guaranteed. They have event cancellation protection, job loss protection. So if you get fired during your job on the same day of the game, like Ox is about to get today, then, well, they'll cover your purchase with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticket industry. So once again, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, redeem the code using CLNS to get $20 off your purchase. Download the Game Time app today. Get last-minute tickets and lowest prices guaranteed. And as if this isn't enough, I know you have built up a nice, good appetite over this whole show. Well, don't worry, because Factor Meals has you covered. Now, I know the summer's here, which means more sun, more light, and more time to do all the little things that make summer so special. But the number one thing that you don't want to be doing all summer is spending your time in the kitchen cooking. That's where Factor Meals comes in. Factor has chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals that are ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, taking the hassle out of eating. Factor makes fresh meals that arrive ready to eat, perfect for any active and busy lifestyle, especially for the summer and beyond. With 45 weekly menu options, they have everything that you could be looking for. Factor powers your day from sunup to sundown with nutritious breakfasts, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt-free snacks and desserts. So enjoy your summer and get Factor meals with all the flavor and none of the fuss. Personally, I eat Factor meals daily, and I would advise you to do the same. So get started right now at factormeals.com/playerschoice50 off and use code playerschoice50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code playerschoice50 off at factormeals.com/playerschoice50 off for 50% off your first box plus free shipping. factormeals.com/playerschoice50. All right, fellas. We've talked a lot about this game. We've talked a lot about Tyrese Haliburton, but I do want to talk about the 24-year scoring title curse. Y'all know about this?
I don't know about no 24-year scoring title curse, but I know one thing. Hey, chill. If you fire me, you better call me at home. Don't have me coming to the office and fire me. I'll burn this motherfucker down.
All right.
Hey, Ron,
enlighten
me, Ron. Enlighten me.
He said noted.
So the last 24 players to win a scoring title have not won a title in the same season.
Well, that shit ends now.
Does it? Does it? These are the last 24 scores. Let me zoom in on this so we can see. Just in case you aren't hip and aren't aware. Let's start at the bottom. Allen Iverson, Tracy McGrady, Allen Iverson, Kobe, LeBron in 08, Dwayne Wade 09, Kevin Durant, his 3 years, Carmelo Anthony, Kevin Durant, Westbrook, Steph Curry, 2016, Westbrook in 17, James Harden, Steph Curry in 21, Joel Embiid in 22, 23, Luka Doncic last year, and this year, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Title. That's interesting.
That boy Shai changing history. I can't do nothing but respect it, man. Can't do nothing. Hey, that's crazy. That's actually a crazy stat though, but it makes sense because half the players are deemed unwinnable players. Like you can't win with them, you can't win chips with them. So James Harden, Joel Embiid, those are not championship caliber players. So when it comes
Allen Iverson, Carmelo Anthony, those are.
So
Allen, I got love for Melo. I got love for AI. AI needed a lot of help on that 2001 team.
They
But
weren't going to beat them dudes. They ran into a
Yeah,
white ball.
no,
They weren't going to beat those guys. That wasn't
Maybe only
no.
like 3 of those teams even had a chance of winning a championship.
100%. That 2012 Oklahoma City team, Ron, they weren't beating that Miami Heat team. No.
Yeah.
They weren't beating them. As good as KD. Didn't KD average
So
like
is it-
30 and 10 in that series or some nonsense like that? They got
Sounds about
smoked
right.
in 5 games.
Is it fair to say that scoring does not equal championships? Is that the general consensus from that?
Scoring from one person doesn't
Okay.
necessarily equal championship.
Okay.
I mean, Jordan was the exception. But back when, I mean, you definitely had guys who were the bucket getter. The offense was much different. Jordan led the league in scoring. You know, the NBA, they won the NBA championship with Houston. I think Olajuwon was second in the league in scoring. When they was in the NBA championship in Utah, Malone was second in the league in scoring, second or third in the league in scoring, stuff like that. So, I mean, I feel like the offense has changed and there is more ball movement. There's more threes, but if you look at the teams like what Oklahoma City is doing, even though they got the league leading scorer on their team, I mean, that ball does move. It's not just sticking to Shea's hands.
Lowe's,
Yeah, now you got-
what do you hate to
I was
do?
going to say, I see KD name on there a lot.
He won 4 scoring titles. Yeah, he won 4 scoring titles.
Yeah.
Does that not some red flags there? Like he's a bucket, but I think we might need to take him down a tier that we have him in.
Oh, I already have him in that.
What
tier
is
you're
with
talking
you
about.
and trying to move people down for achieving things? I don't understand what's going on. So Rick
man.
Carlisle's not that good because he won a championship against teams he wasn't supposed to be, and now KD needs to be moved down because he was leading the league in scoring.
Los, you all right today, bro?
I'm just saying what matters. What matters? What matters?
Did you expect the 2009 OKC Thunder to win a championship?
No, but you want me to tell you which
Did you
OKC
expect
championship
the
team I
2010
did expect to
did you
win?
expect the 2010 OKC Thunder to win a championship?
No.
Damn, bro. Like we're talking about Kevin Durant. We're talking about Kevin Durant.
No, we're
And
talking
I'm
about
just
OKC
saying-
Thunder because that was the team he was a part of, and a championship.
I know,
won by
and
team.
and
Did you
he
expect that
snaked them,
team?
and he snaked them, and he
Yeah,
snaked them.
Yeah,
But we're
in
not going to
2016 when he was no longer a scoring champ. When he was winning scoring championships in 2010, 2011, 2012, and 2014. Which 14, of those years?
14.
Okay, same
so 14,
tier as James Harden.
you expected that team to win a
Durant
championship.
belongs in that same tier as James
And
Harden.
14, didn't Russ get hurt that year?
What?
Serge got hurt that year. In the
What?
You expected them to
Hold
win
on.
San Antonio.
you expected them to win a championship that year.
Please let him repeat what he just said because I don't think y'all heard what he just said.
I did
No.
Please say it again. Love.
Kevin Durant belongs in the same tier as James Harden.
That's not ridiculous.
Yes, it is.
Wait.
Why is that ridiculous?
What tier is that? What tier is that?
I'm curious to know how you feel about James Harden.
That's
what I want to know.
That's the y'all seen
You
the
don't think I know?
movie. Y'all seen the movie Four Brothers when they got the grown men sitting at the table and then they got the little table?
The little table.
Take your ass over there and sit with them
Like,
kids.
They got the big dogs at the big table, but they had a couple adults eating at the small table. But they all in the same room. With all
the respect,
Who
I
else
can
is at this
see
table?
how you got James Harden there. I'm trying to figure out how you putting KD at the.
I just want to know who else is at this table.
KD was Victor Sweet. That's why. You can't
Hey,
eat
look.
with Victor Sweet. You can't eat with Larry
Who else
Bird.
is at the small table? Who else is
He
at
came with Bird.
You
Who else
can't
at that
eat with Larry Bird. This is the big dog table.
He's taking food off Larry Bird's plate.
Oh
No,
my
he is not.
god.
No, he is not.
Who
Ain't
else
going
is
back
at the
over
over to the
table?
kid
He ain't
table.
going that far.
Who
You're
else-
going back
who
over
else-
to the
who
kid
else is
table.
at the-
Not doing
who else
that.
is at the small table?
Uncle Larry, you gonna eat that piece of chicken?
Yes, I'm gonna eat this piece of chicken. And reach your hand over here. Reach your hand over here on the plate and
You
try
might
and
not
grab
eat
it.
it if
Go
I
ahead.
touch it though.
Reach
He
your
ain't,
hand on
he
the
ain't
plate and try
snatching
and
shit
grab
off
it. I
the
dare
plate.
you.
He gonna ask nicely.
I dare you. Reach your hand over in this plate and try and grab this piece
Who
of
else
chicken.
is at the small table?
Yes, please. answer
Right
that question.
now, who else at that small? Giannis at that small table.
This is a big boy table. I don't know what to tell you.
These
Nah,
these
that's-
not
whoa,
Mars.
whoa, whoa,
These
whoa,
is just some
It's
big
a
ass
cool
kids.
table.
That's all.
These are first ballot Hall of Famers.
It's a cool table. If KD at this table, I ain't
Like I
going
said,
to.
they're all in the room.
Rewind, Los.
If KD
What's
and
the- what's
Giannis, if KD and Giannis and Harden at the same table, yeah, I don't think that's
So why is
that's
Giannis
a
in the
great table
room
to be at.
when he won a championship and had 50 points in the closeout game 6 in the finals?
What's the criteria?
If
too,
you're valuing
Los?
winning and not scoring, Giannis has never won a scoring
Kevin
title.
Durant
That
has 2
graphic
championships,
never
so you're
showed that
right.
Giannis won a scoring title. And in fact, Giannis has won an MVP and a DPOY in the same season. So why are you grouping him into that
Well,
category?
averaging 29, by the way, Joe. Like he wasn't
What
like
is
averaging
Kevin
22,
Durant
21.
do to y'all?
He's averaging 29 doing it.
First of
I
all,
don't think KD being at the table with Giannis is an insult.
KD. First of all, KD and James Harden are
why he
stuck
did
at
this.
that
Because
table.
he's saying it's a
Giannis
little
can
table.
move from that table. Giannis
He can
get
call the
bumped up
table
to
what it
another
wants. If
table.
it has Giannis and James Harden, it's a great ass table to be at.
It's a good table. It's no disrespect.
Like he's calling it
Everybody-
the little table. As far as I'm concerned, that's a big table.
But I'm
Like,
struggling to
No,
understand the
Mons,
criteria.
not for the
That's what I'm-
criteria.
Because
for the criteria he's talking
Yes.
about, to be sitting with James Harden is not a good place to be sitting.
Why
So
would
that's
James
what I'm
Harden
saying.
be at a table with Giannis and
Like,
KD?
what is James Harden even doing at this celebration? This
James
event?
Harden-
This
James
Because
Harden-
I don't think
this
it's an
family
insult.
reunion or whatever. It
James
is.
Harden's the third greatest shooting guard of all time. What are we talking about? We ain't gonna say here and disrespect.
Hey,
him.
Ron.
What does that have
Ron.
to do with being
Hey,
better than
my
KD and Giannis? Like they have rings.
Get him out of here.
And
All right, all right, Los.
Straight to hell.
I don't think
I'm
it's an
saying James
insult.
Harden's better than D Wade. Gets that?
Where'd Los
Oh,
go?
for sure.
Y'all sent Los to purgatory? Where'd he go?
Yo, Los, I'll put some money on your books.
That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's an insult. It's just if scoring is
So what table?
the scoring and not winning championships is the reason why you get put in this table as
But
the
KD
guy.
won championships. KD had
But
championships.
not as the guy, which I think is what you're referring to, and he won those scoring titles in OKC. Then why is Giannis in that same table when he won a championship as the guy, staying loyal, and he's also a two-way player and a defensive player of the year caliber player?
KD
At the
Look,
time.
he's currently at the table. He's not. The thing is, Kevin Durant and James Harden, they stuck at that table.
But why are they stuck there? Like, why do you have them there?
Because
Well,
I
James
have-
Harden
I
did
have
just sell something vicious. I mean, that was.
I understand Harden because Harden has a ton of
Mars, am I
playoff
lying?
blunders. Unfortunately, Harden's my favorite player of all time, but he has a lot of playoff blunders. Even then, his best team.
But he's the greatest regular season two guard besides MJ we've ever seen.
So now
And
we,
Kobe.
He's
Kobe.
he's an
Besides
elite
MJ and
regular
Kobe.
season
That's
player,
an
but
interesting-
in the playoffs, his best teams came up against playing Golden State with Kevin Durant, and that was a Herculean task to get them over the hump.
he
And then
flipped.
Chris
close.
Paul got hurt, their best
They were
chance
close.
that they were trying to get over the hump. But Kevin Durant and Giannis are better playoff performers than James Harden.
But James Harden, you can't. But we can't. We have to stop talking about the regular season like it doesn't matter. To do it year
does.
after year after year, but we don't. We always go right to the playoffs. We can't do that.
But KD
Yeah,
and
but
Giannis
we've
are elite in the
never,
regular season
ever,
too.
Ever in the history of ever talking basketball been like, hey, only like he's good in the regular season, he sucks in the playoffs, but he's really good. Like, no, that matters. The playoffs, when you win championships, that's where you make your legacy. So when we talk
No
about
one talks
Harden's
about
legacy,
Allen Iverson like that.
no, we don't put Allen Iverson in these conversations. He's a great player. We love AI. He's one of the culturally best players, but we don't put him in the conversation with KD and Curry and all these guys that have won rings. We don't do that.
AI, and James Harden, they kicking it. At a
They
separate
can
level.
kick it.
I'm not gonna kick.
KD's not kicking it
I'm
with
not gonna call it the kids table.
Why isn't
You know what
he?
I'm saying? But they're a different
Lo,
table.
so you just looking at him as a
is not
baller?
with-
What are
KD
you
is
looking
a
at him like,
separate-
Los?
I'm
separate.
confused at what these tables represent.
Because that's what I'm saying. Like Los, when you talk about KD, are you looking at
So many
KD
metaphors.
strictly as a baller? Are you taking production out? Are you taking out what I've done, not just in the regular season, but how it's carried over to the postseason and how I contributed to that? Or are you just looking at KD as just a baller? Because it sounds to me like you're just looking at KD strictly as a baller. He on the same page with James Harden, who's in your estimation,
No,
the third
I'm
best
taking
shooting guard in the
it
game.
I'm taking it in totality of everything.
Well, you
KD
can't
has
take
been-
it in totality, Los, because my game, when I went to Golden
KD.
State, I didn't just get on there and ride coattails. I was nice
Yes,
down.
you did.
He
No, I
won a
did
Finals
not.
MVP
Best
twice.
players.
I did not get on there and ride coattails. No. I was super nice when I was playing with the Golden State Warriors. I cut ass when I was playing with the Golden State Warriors.
It'll be
You
different.
enjoyed
It'll be
that.
different.
I averaged
You
35 a
enjoyed-
game in the
Los,
finals in
it will be
2017.
different. It will be
What are you
exactly
talking about, Los?
different if KD went over there and then all of a sudden start averaging 11 and 4. That's not what happened.
He
went
wasn't
over there
riding coattails
and-
over there,
and
Los.
was doing
No
his
one
thing.
said
I hate to defend this version of Kevin Durant, but somebody's got to do it. This is getting
Right.
ridiculous.
Hey,
man.
KD's never been
Yeah,
bad.
I don't know what y'all
Never.
issue is with Kevin Durant. Like he didn't
Super
go over there and
efficient.
still ball out.
Yeah.
I don't think y'all
Mars, y'all don't like over there. Like when y'all have family gatherings, y'all don't have like the older people, the younger aunties and older cousins over here, and then like the kids over there. Like
Yeah,
I think y'all
based on the
underestimate
cost
fact
of living
playing
crisis,
pressure-free
you lucky if you have
basketball.
two tables.
I think
in
y'all
your house.
underestimate the aspect of playing pressure.
Oh, I mean, when we have events, we rent tables and pull out the pick.
We know a social.
Yeah, but y'all might say
Yeah,
at the
we
junior
know
table.
social beings
Y'all
over
might
here
say
as
y'all
you
So I
guys.
mean, and then like the older cousins pretty much be on the couch. You know what I'm saying? Watch,
Yeah, we know a social.
Yeah, we can't discredit what KD did with the Warriors. He performed at an elite level.
He
I think
did.
what the graphic that Ron showed to me, my major takeaway from it with all those players that won scoring titles and didn't win championships, my main takeaway was that the more points you have to score, the more it shows how much a supporting cast isn't that elite. If you have to go out there every night and average 30 to 35 a night, it means the supporting cast around you wasn't that good. Like Kobe Bryant's best scoring season came when he had his worst roster. When you have better talent around you, you score less. That's why Kevin Durant went to Golden State. And that Jason Tatum did. He had, I think, 29, close to 30.
No,
he had a great supporting cast. But what I'm saying is that Kevin Durant went to Golden State and he didn't average 30. Did that mean that he became less of a scorer or he got worse as a scorer? No, he just didn't need to with that type of team. And I think a lot of the scoring load on these players, they were usually the only engines on their offense. And even then, it's a very cherry-picked stat. And over the past 25 years, I'm sure players that have finished top 5 or top 3 in scoring have won the championship. So it's not like scoring doesn't matter. It does.
Yes, it does, Los. And again, Los, what I'm trying to make sense with your logic, because again, we're talking about KD. He didn't jump on this Golden State Warrior team and he was just good. He averaged 34. He averaged 35 a game in the finals, 35 a game. Even though in the regular season, that was his lowest scoring output up until that point. The year that they won the championship in 17, he had never averaged, I think since his rookie season, he had never averaged that least the amount of points when he won the NBA championship in 17. I think he averaged like 25 a game. That was the lowest. But then he gets to the playoffs and then he gets into the NBA finals. The reason why he's doing what he's doing is because when we get to the finals or the playoffs, those 3 guys that are covering me, well, I don't have 3 guys that are covering me. I got 1 guy that's covering me now. I'm getting the same shots. I only have 1 guy dealing with me now, right? Those curl cuts that I'm coming off of. When I'm in transition, I don't have 2 guys in front of me now because you got to worry about Clay. You got to worry about Steph. You got to worry about those guys now. So KD was not just there. No, that wasn't going on.
And I'm not saying he was just there. I understand the magnitude of what Kevin Durant did as far as a player. I get that. I respect his game. I think KD is arguably the greatest one-on-one player in NBA history. So as far as getting a bucket, you throw it into KD, he catches it in that high post, it's curtains. Nobody can stop him. So I give KD his respect in that way. Sure. What I'm saying is KD, if he never goes to Golden State, based on everything we've seen regarding Kevin Durant, you take Golden State out the equation. I know what everybody's going to say. You can't do that because it happened. Fine, whatever. But KD's not in the same boat as James Harden. You take him out of Golden State. He's in the same boat.
Okay.
He goes over there. He joins.
So if you take away years of his career, he's now.
And I just said.
But then, if you take KD out of Golden State, then James Harden's not in that boat because he has a championship in 2018.
No, he doesn't. LeBron has a championship, but we don't have to go back down.
This road.
He was not being a Rocket.
Okay, we don't have to relitigate that.
But Kevin Durant led the team to the finals before Golden State.
If you take KD out of Golden State, does James Harden have a championship?
Maybe KD has a championship in OKC.
If Giannis doesn't stick his foot out in front of Kyrie, then KD get another ring and Giannis has no rings.
It sounds like all 3 of these guys directly.
Like we could throw a bunch of what ifs if that's what we doing.
This is my point. They're all on the same table. They're all the same
table 3 or 4. That's what I just want to know. Is KD, Harden, and Giannis at table like 4 or is this table 2? Because that determines whether or not I think you're
table 2. These are table 2 players.
Yeah. I think saying KD's a table 2 player is a valid thing to say.
Where do you have KD all time?
We can't hear you, Lo.
You're muted now.
We can't hear you, Lo. Sorry.
Did y'all mute me? Am I back?
There you go. You good now.
You good.
Where do you got KD all time? Carlos.
Where do I got KD all time? He's somewhere between 15th and 20th, 15 to 25.
Mm-hmm. 25.
Yeah, that's like I got him between like 25 and 30.
25.
What's that? That sounds about right.
So y'all,
I'm not gonna break it.
You rank the old heads.
Okay.
Like the old heads. You rank like.
Man, he's top 15.
Yeah, you rank like Bill Russell.
Damn.
I can't Bill Russell, bro.
Oh, I don't rank anyone pre 2000. When I'm talking rankings now. Listen. I said when I'm talking rankings now, I'm not gonna take in like
When he's I was like, okay, 15 through 25.
No,
you
no,
ran
listen,
Bill Russell
listen,
and Jerry
listen.
West and them. All right.
I
He's
thought-
telling me everything's in the last 25 years and he's 15 at best.
No, okay. I'm tripping. Look.
Mhm.
He's 15 to 25 all time. If I'm taking out pre-2000s, he's top 15, top 10.
He's top 5. He might be top 5.
Man,
So before,
clo-
so
it's
I want to
close.
make sure I'm following
We've been
you.
down this road before, by the way.
Los, I want to make sure I'm
Ron,
following you,
yeah,
Los.
okay.
So from 2000 to today, you're telling me that there's 15 players in
I need to
NBA
hear him.
history
Yeah, I need to
better
hear him.
than him. Is that what I'm understanding from
In
you?
the last 25 years, there's 15
You
guys.
can argue,
better than
yes.
Hey,
Go
look,
ahead,
I'm
go
your
ahead,
tag team
go ahead.
partner. If you need help, just
Yeah,
call
go
me.
ahead. Go ahead. I want to hear this.
Please call.
Just raise
bro,
your
you
hand.
need-
Raise your
What?
hand.
What are we saying? What?
I wanna
Why?
hear this.
How did we get
Yeah,
to
I wanna hear this.
disrespecting?
Just raise your hand, brother. It's not
I don't
disrespect.
know. I don't know how we're
This
approaching
much
game
is
3 of the
crazy.
finals. and
Now,
we're just hearing
in the
KD
last
saying the bit.
25 years, there's not 3 basketball players better than Kevin Durant. Like y'all, we throwing all.
Yeah.
Come on.
No, top
That's a
10
big
stand.
difference to you.
I'm thinking about it
He
now.
is
Come on.
7 feet tall and he can
Thank you,
dribble
Joel.
better
Think
than
about it,
everybody.
Joel.
And
I
shoot
said
better than
15 to
everybody.
10. I said 15 to 10.
I think
Yeah, I
it's
want to
top
hear
10
the
Think
names.
of
stand.
I wanna
everybody
hear
that's
the
7
names,
feet
and
tall
then-
and what they
and you
can do
can
with the
stop
basketball.
when
None
you
of
no
it
longer when you
Kevin
think
Durant
KD's
does.
next. I just want to hear the names.
Okay. I'm gonna go, and this is not in any order, okay? I'm
Yeah,
just gonna
sure,
say the
sure.
names.
This is
All right,
crazy.
cool.
I
I'm
might
gonna
even
go
go Jokic
Jokic.
myself.
Mm.
I'm gonna go Jokic. I'm gonna
Mhm.
go Giannis.
Mm-hmm.
Honest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go Braun, of course.
Yep.
I'm gonna go Prime D Wade.
Uh-huh. Keep
I'm
going.
gonna go Tim Duncan.
Yes, sir.
Tim Duncan.
I'm gonna go.
Stay right in that era. You hot right now. Stay right there.
I know that early 2000 era is insane. I'm gonna go T Mac.
Crazy.
Tracy McGrady?
Yes, sir.
What?
Bro, stop
Now
doing
you
this, bro.
now you cooking.
No, he ain't cooking.
Now you cooking.
No, he ain't
You
cooking.
cooking with
This
some
is
high
bullshit.
ass grease.
You do
Hey,
know
Steph
for a
Curry.
fact.
I'm gonna go Steph Curry.
Uh-huh.
Look at Tracy
That's 7.
McGrady.
That's 7.
Respect Max Sauce.
Thank you.
No. N-O. No.
Well, I
Keep
was
going,
going. Keep going.
Not better than
Keep going.
Kevin
It's
Durant.
like he's
Shaquille
I respect
O'Neal.
him.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Okay, I'll
That's
take
8.
that.
That's 8.
Thank God he said somebody.
I can come up with 4 more or 5 more. That's
You,
what I'm telling you.
it's one guy that you have just
Kobe.
forgot. Yes.
You did
Kobe.
forget Brian.
My fault.
Yes, you did forget Brian.
Kobe.
That's
Kobe.
9.
That's 9.
And he could keep cooking y'all, but he just
Steph?
He said Steph. He
Oh,
said
he
Steph.
said Steph. Okay.
I said Steph.
They
was
played
like
on
I-
the same
like-
team.
he was
We
the
saw
trade
them
from
play
Grady.
together.
Wait, Los. Did you say Kawhi?
No.
Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard.
Oh, baby.
Hey, Rob.
You don't even believe
Kawhi
that. You're
Leonard.
just saying names now. You don't even believe that.
Hold on.
Yes,
Los,
sir.
make a case for why Kawhi Leonard is better than KD.
Oh,
Go.
Kevin Garnett.
He led a team that was not supposed to be.
You
a championship
directly
contender.
contradicting your Tracy McGrady.
Ding.
pick.
100%.
What you mean?
Don't worry about
No,
it.
that's
Los.
not.
No, that's not. But I'm talking
I already
T-Mac. I'm
cooked
talking
Dell
bag
on
for
this
bag.
before.
I'm
I
talking
cooked
bag
Dell
for
on this
bag.
before.
I'm taking T-Mac.
McGrady
You're
never made it
you're
out the first
directly
round.
contradicting. Like you're
No, that's
No,
the
picking and choosing which logic
We're not
applies.
picking-
we're not-
Basketball.
Besides, damn, T-Max Hezzy Pool look good. Like what?
One
KD got a Hezzy Pool too, Los. You know that. So,
way better than Tracy McGrady's.
so how is T-Mac? How do we get to T-Mac?
Yes, Ron.
What other
Yes,
names
Doc.
is crazy
It's
too?
better than
What?
Tracy McGrady's. Tracy McGrady.
How-
Tracy,
I don't-
KD, Tracy McGrady.
I
Yes.
thought I was
and I'm
You
gonna
know
say
what?
it
You know
one
what?
more
Chill.
time.
Don't-
KD,
The only
Tracy
difference,
McGrady.
the only
Yes.
difference between KD, the only difference between Tracy and T-Mac is Steph Curry.
No, it's not.
And T-Mac was way more athletic than Kevin Durant. T-Mac was way
That's
more
a
athletic
fact,
than Kevin
and that's a
Durant.
fact.
So is Gerald Green. Is Gerald Green better than KD too? Gerald Green's more athletic than Kevin Durant.
T-Mac over KD
I
and
think it's
Kawhi over
interesting
KD. Plenty of
that
times I'll do it
we
again.
live
This is my point. So now we have KD falling out the top 10.
No, we don't.
No, we do
We
not.
don't.
We do not. Get to the bottom of that. But I think it's also
I
interesting.
hear you
Lo,
though.
I'm with you. I'm all the way with you.
That we're in 2025, and because we're in 2025, we do forget. Los, do yourself a favor. Go watch 2012. Go watch 2013 KD. Go watch that athlete. Go watch that dude getting downhill. Go watch.
Would
that
you like
dude
me to send you
over-
some T-Mac tape? Would you like me to send you
Once
some T-Mac
again,
tape?
go watch that dude getting downhill. Go watch that dude finishing at the rim. Go watch that dude in transition. Go watch that dude off the dribble with his weak hand and with his strong hand. Go watch that dude at the free throw line. Go watch KD, and then come back and talk to me about an athlete. And by the way, KD's 6'10". By the way,
I will reach out to I'll reach out to T-Mac and have him give you a call. Look, at the end of the day, chill. Look, at the end of the day, KD is great. The last 25 years, basketball has really changed. I think we get lost in the aspect of seeing a 6'11" demigod, which he is. We see a 6'11" demigod with a jumper, and it is something we've never seen before. In terms of the efficiency, I get that aspect of it. However,
he hasn't gotten player ratings, he's been through mad injuries, still doing it.
That exactly. I respect.
What happened when T-Mac got hurt? He was not good
because T-Mac had a real bag.
Ron.
So now
what do you mean? If you get hurt and your
injuries?
game becomes significantly worse than a player who
Bro,
got hurt,
maybe my body just isn't as like. That's like taxing
Oh,
every other.
That's not Kevin Durant.
No, here's what I'm saying though. That's
That
like
doesn't make
taxing
T-Mac
every-
worse at basketball.
Yeah, that's like taxing every other player in NBA history because LeBron's built like Iron Man.
No, that's just giving LeBron his credit for being Iron Man. He's not like.
I just think Kevin Durant's better than T-Mac.
It's not just KD's shot though. It's his handle for his size. It's his finishing ability at his prime. It's his first step. He had one of the quickest first steps in his prime.
Y'all act like T-Mac wasn't 6'9" though. Like T-Mac was KD before KD.
The KD could do everything T-Mac can do at a more efficient level.
He don't pass like T-Mac.
Height was 6'9".
Him and T-Mac's passing is like Jokic.
No,
and Andre Drummond. It is
Jokic and Andre Drummond.
Jokic and Andre Drummond. It is a look. The gap in between them is a whole.
In terms of what?
Hey, it's Dallas, Texas.
Actually, I agree. T-Mac's
between their
playmakers.
He's a much better.
It's not even. It's not even. Hey, I see. T-Mac do things with the ball.
That was how
KD
and Andre Drummond.
But that's not where it stops at though, Ron. Because we've talked about this before. The difference in athleticism, though, being able to like getting to the rim both ways, left, right. Just the way he can explode, get off the ground much faster. He was in a way different tier of athlete.
Yeah,
would y'all say Dirk better than KD? Would y'all say Dirk better than KD?
No, KD obsessed that with length. Like that's the difference.
No, Marcus, you can't.
KD doesn't have athletic flaws. I
didn't say he has athletic flaws. I'm talking about Tracy McGrady's athleticism, and you can't offset that level of explosion with having arms a little longer. When you get off the ground as fast as Tracy McGrady used to cover that much ground,
when it takes you one stride to get to the rim.
I hear what you're saying, Marcus, but you can't offset that level of explosion. You know what I'm saying? Getting off the ground that quick. Because it will be different. It will be different if Tracy McGrady was 6'5". It will be different. I can get with you, but when the dude is 6'9", you get off the ground that fast, both
he's
hands,
bigger than
both
6'9".
T-Mac more
evidence.
I'm talking about T-Mac.
Like when I'm looking at KD and I see he's getting off the ground. Kevin Durant was a freak athlete in my opinion.
Yes,
I agree. Tracy McGrady was more explosive. But what I'm saying is I don't think the gap is exacerbated when Kevin Durant has a stride length that gets him from the 3-point line to the rim in one dribble. So I think that offsets
anybody can get to the rim in one dribble. That's not a big deal in the NBA.
From half court to the paint in one dribble. Like same. My point is Kevin Durant covers more ground than Tracy McGrady. I think Tracy McGrady is a more superior explosive athlete. I think that. I agree with that. I don't think.
What about Kevin Garnett?
KG I think is better than Kevin Durant. But wait, I don't think that Tracy McGrady's explosiveness is enough to justify being better than Kevin Durant when Kevin Durant, A, was one of the most explosive players in the NBA in his own right, B, had way better measurables than Tracy McGrady, and his athleticism never held him back. If his athleticism held him back, if his inability to explode in traffic held him back, if his inability to navigate bodies in the paint held him back, then sure. But it didn't. In fact, he benefited from that. So that's why I don't agree with what you're saying. I understand Tracy McGrady's strength. I understand that. What I'm saying is, in a conversation against Kevin Durant, I don't think it helps him that much. That's what I'm saying. That's why I say when it offsets that, I don't think it does.
And that's fine. That's fine. That's my thing is that wasn't the only reason. On top of that, I don't think Tracy McGrady's better than Kevin Durant. Okay, I've just jumped in the conversation having fun.
Nobody
You know
really
what I'm saying?
that.
But I do 100% believe that the difference in athleticism is so vast. You know what I'm saying? The explosion is so vast. The quickness, the change of direction, it's so vast that being 2 inches longer doesn't make up. When you're that quick and that fast off the ground, the stride length, it definitely does not make up for it.
What about the jump shooting?
I mean, KD has a 7'6" wingspan, so we can minimize it to 2 inches of height. But you have said it yourself.
Right.
You don't play basketball.
I didn't say
7'6" wingspan is a big deal.
I didn't say 2 inches of height. I said 2 inches. I'm thinking length. T-Mac was super long. I just said a number, Morris. I just said a number. Whatever that number may be, it doesn't trace it. Like when you match them up, the explosion is. I personally think it's very big. Like the range is very big. I think Tracy McGrady, as far as measuring athleticism, I don't think it's close at all.
That's what we disagree.
Okay. Well, now we found our disagreement. That's our disagreement.
Yeah.
Because I understand when you're longer, you can make up for it, but I don't think KD can when it comes to Tracy McGrady.
Yeah, because you think the gap in athleticism is more vast than I do, so I think the length can offset it. Okay, there we go.
But is the gap in
that's a simple
athleticism
disagreement? Good one.
Is it bigger than the gap in the jump shooting between the two?
No.
Man, Crazy had a ratchet.
KD's a top 5 jump shooter ever.
KD way back. But look, this is why I don't like this conversation, Brad, because when we put KD against T-Mac, now we got to talk about, what ifs with T-Mac, and then we got to compare certain things. And then when we talk about KD versus another person, then it's accolades. So now we're all over the place with KD. It's basically, what can we say about KD to make him lose this argument to this player? That's what we got into, bro.
I agree.
That's your fault, Lowe's, because you started
talking about one thing is, he got more accolades. He did this, and then we get to
That's
T-Mac.
going to happen.
KD has more accolades than damn near everyone he named.
KD's better than T-Mac, y'all.
When you're ranking players, and when you're trying to say, okay, I think this player is top 15, and then you guys say, well, who's above him? Well, then you got to make an argument for who's above him. So, I mean, that's just
but the argument has to be logically consistent.
Uniform. It's not the same for all the players.
You can't say I value this to this guy, but then it doesn't work for this guy, so I value this different thing. Like
you guys are asking for a dead set criteria. That's not possible.
Yes, it is.
I asked for a logically consistent criteria. That's why I asked.
How is a dead set criteria possible?
Because
like
ranking who's better.
You decide what you value. Like let's say
I value. What you just said, what I value.
But let's say for example, I value I only value one thing: scoring ability, scoring Arsenal. That's it. That's all I value. If I then tell you Bill Russell in my top 10. Like, what we gonna do?
No one's gone. That's extreme. No one's said.
But what I'm saying is, when you say about Tracy McGrady, the bag, the skill set.
You're asking me,
and then you ask about Kawhi, and then you say Kawhi led a team to a championship, knowing damn well Tracy McGrady never got out the first round. That logical inconsistency is what throws people off.
You can also say Kawhi may be one of the most efficient.
Then why? That's what you say. That's what you say, and then you become logically consistent. That's the point.
I don't need, but
you made the logically consistent argument. That's the point. Not saying that a logically consistent argument didn't exist. You didn't make it. That's the point. There is an argument that you can just purely skill set T-Mac and purely skill set Kawhi. That argument exists. You talk about Kawhi's two-way ability, Kawhi being himself one of the best mid-range shooters ever, Kawhi having an elite handle for a guy his size, Kawhi being one of the best perimeter defenders we've ever seen. All of those things, Kawhi being extremely.
We talk about Kawhi now?
Make sense. And then you talk about Tracy McGrady's skill set, the hezzy pull-up, the passing ability, the fact that at 6'9", he was a freak athlete for his size and he was doing things that we hadn't seen before. That's also a logically consistent argument. But that's not what you did. What you did was say Kawhi led a team to a championship and Tracy McGrady's skill set is better than KD's. You was logically inconsistent. That's the issue we have.
It's not, because what you just said is absolutely accurate. That's why I have these thoughts. Like, but I'm just putting the breadcrumbs out there. If you want to eat, go ahead, eat. You just went ahead and you
want us to make the argument for you?
I'm not making look, I'm just ranking players. I don't care to make an argument about anything. I'm telling you who I think is top 10. Y'all asking me is KD, Kawhi, this, that, and the third. Cool. Kawhi is a better leader than KD. Kawhi is a better scorer, in my opinion.
How do you know what Kawhi's leadership is?
Why are you saying that? Kawhi did that one time. The rest of them years, where's
how do you know what Kawhi's
Spurs? He was not the leader, though. We're not going to say Kawhi was the leader of the Spurs.
He looked like the leader to me.
We let.
What did he do that made him look like the leader?
He led the Raptors. Cool. That's fine. What about all these Clippers teams that have failed?
Kevin Durant led. Who has he led?
Leadership. No, wait. Hold
Okay,
on,
Jay.
Jay. Hold on, Jay. Hold on, Jay. Leadership can't overcome catastrophic injury.
Facts.
But how do you like my?
But if we talk about
Kawhi's
Kawhi, I got Kawhi over KD. I don't got T-Mac, but I got Kawhi.
Yeah. How do you know what Kawhi's leading? What like?
That's what I'm
What's
saying.
the
Like,
lead
why are
down?
we talking about Kawhi a
How
great
do you know
leader?
what Kawhi's
There's
leading?
no way to measure that.
Galvanize people. He don't do nothing.
There's no way to
Toronto-
measure that.
Well, wait a minute.
I know a lot of
Wait,
people in
Moss.
Toronto would say
The-
Kyle
the-
Lowry was their leader.
The
So,
way
like,
we could get to the
what
bottom
are
of
you-
that.
what
problem
are you
is the
figuring out?
Los, let me ask you this, Los. Before you answer that question, Los, let me ask you
See,
what
Penn,
no,
known
we're gonna-
Toronto fan, said Lowry was the leader. How do we know?
So
what Kawhi's
what I'm
leading?
asking, Los, what I'm asking,
He don't know
Los
what the
is,
hell he's talking about.
Los, when you talk about Los being a
That's a
leader,
fact,
what
man.
constitutes a leader in your estimation?
A leader to me is when the going gets tough, you get going.
That's it.
When it
Is that
it's
it?
that simple. That's
So-
simple. When the going gets tough, you get going. Everybody knows they can look at you, and this dude is going to figure out a way to get us to our final destination.
So what
That's
happened in
it.
2016 when the Spurs lost to the OKC Thunder in the
Kawhi
second
wasn't
round?
the leader yet. Kawhi wasn't the leader yet.
You talking about when Tony Parker kept
Now
looking
we
him
putting
off?
dates on when he was a leader. Like, so that one year he was a leader.
Yeah, he
That's-
graduated
that's-
to leadership.
That's
He
the year
graduated.
Tony
What
Parker
happened this
sold,
year
right? That's-
against
that's
the
year
Nuggets
Tony
in Game
Parker
7?
sold.
Kawhi has failed a lot for this us to say he's a great leader. Like he had the 1 year with the
Everybody in this era has failed a lot. Like besides Steph Curry,
I think that's the
everybody
point.
else has failed a lot.
Besides, him too.
Yeah, Curry too.
I just think
Look,
that
the
number
thing,
one,
the failing a lot thing. I mean,
We-
that's what I'm saying.
Leadership.
You want a logical, Mars. To your point, you want a logical argument for everything. Some
Yes.
things are. I'm not personally. You're not gonna be able to put logic on everything, especially in the game of in sports. You can't put
Not
logic on
basketball.
everything.
You can put logic.
You
on
can. You can. I can sit here and tell you Tom Brady's a great leader. You gonna tell me he's not?
No, what I'm going to tell you
That's
is to
completely different.
prove it.
How? You just said I can't tell who's a leader, who's a great leader.
No,
who's
what
not.
I'm saying is, how do you know that Kawhi was a leader? I never said you don't know. I said, how do you know? Two different things. I never made the assertion that you don't know. I asked, how do you know? And you never told me how you know. And then you said leadership.
I
is when the-
did tell you.
yeah,
how I
and
knew.
then you said leadership is when the going gets tough that you get going. Then I would ask you.
And there's hella
So
leaders.
when Kevin Durant has been down in series,
Bars,
when
you
Kevin
tell
Durant
me
has been
what
down,
you would consider
he
a
hasn't
leader.
won.
Now I want to hear how beautifully exquisite your answer is. What would you say a leader is?
I consider leadership as what you do with your teammates. How do you make your teammates better? Do you lead by example? Do you lead vocally? I think leadership is just do people look at you in times of need, and even when things are going well, do people look at you to keep the ship steady? That's leadership to me. Now I
Damn
will
near
say,
what I just said.
yeah.
Mars.
Now I will say I don't use leadership to evaluate players because I'm not in the locker room with these guys. I don't know what Kawhi
That's-
does as a leader.
that's
I don't
your
know.
criteria.
Yeah, and that's fine. So that's why I ask, how do you know what KD and Kawhi do? We can agree on a definition of leadership. That's perfectly fine. I never disagreed with
When
your
I lose
definition.
with my guy,
What I
when
disagreed
lose
with
my guy,
was your idea
I
that
jump
you
ship.
knew what
That's
Kawhi
not
was doing.
leadership.
That's what I disagreed with. I don't disagree with your definition
Kawhi
of
left
leadership.
the Spurs.
I think leadership has a very there's a very
Well, Dennis
coherent
left the
definition.
Spurs.
There's a very coherent
That's
definition
true.
of leadership. But how do you know
He won a
what Kawhi
championship
was doing as a leader? How do you know what Kawhi
Why
was
was he
doing?
not a good leader? Was that good leadership?
Y'all
Leading
both
the team you
speaking,
just
I
want to
can't
ring
tell
with?
what's considered what.
My thing is, we can see leadership, like, although we don't know who's the vocal leader and who's firing up the troops and all of that in the huddle and doing all
Shay ain't no leader. SGA ain't
who's,
no leader.
who's arriving to practice early and leaving late. We don't know who's doing all of that. But what we do know is, like my man Lo said, who's leading on the court, who's leading their teams to victory. Kawhi's leadership to championships has been more impressive than Kevin Durant's. It just has.
He has one run.
No, but you can't discount 14.
You can't
Yes,
discount.
you can.
I'm not
Why
discounting-
can't you? With three Hall of Famers,
You said
with three Hall of Famers,
If
I
we're talking
said
about
leading
leaders-
on the court. I
Leading on the
He
court.
love
played good. He
Bronner.
didn't lead on the
Kawhi-
court.
I love-
He
Kawhi
didn't
was
lead
not
on the
the
court.
Spurs' best player that
He
year.
did not lead on the court. He
I-
played good.
in the
There's a
finals.
difference.
So how did he get Finals
five
MVP?
games of leadership.
Did he lead in the
KD led
series?
the Warriors.
Did he
Then
lead in
KD
the
led the
series?
Warriors.
No, he was
No,
not
he
the
didn't.
leader.
KD led the Warriors.
No, he did. Did you guys not hear what I said? Did you not hear what I said? I said
KD led the
Kawhi.
Warriors.
I said Kawhi's leadership in those moments was more impressive than Kevin Durant's.
In the finals when
So
he
wait,
played with the
in
dynasty.
your estimation.
So who did Kevin Durant play with? The dynasty what?
So one could argue.
But that's why I'm not talking about leadership. I'm just saying
One could argue
you can't get
outplaying Stephen Curry.
ready for the Spurs.
Outplaying Stephen Curry in the finals is more impressive than outplaying 38-year-old Tim Duncan. Is it not? Outplaying Steph Curry in the finals is more impressive than outplaying 33-year-old Tony Parker. Is it not? Outplaying Steph Curry in the finals is more impressive than outplaying 36-year-old Manu Ginobili. Is it not?
I beat.
Why are we only
The
like
Heatles.
The Warriors
hold on.
also beat the same player you're praising.
No, I said the Heatles. I said the Heatles.
They actually weren't the Heatles.
You're only a good leader if you win the championship.
Chris Bosh declined, and D Wade had heavily
Still was
declined
the Heatles.
by 2014. They were the names on paper. They were the names on paper, but they weren't the same team as they were in 2012.
Still was the
They weren't.
Heatles.
Are you only a good
on
leader
paper,
if you win the
sure. But
championship?
when you watch that series unfold, if you're going to tell me leadership is what you do on the court, and then you admit Kawhi wasn't the Spurs' best player in 2014,
I didn't admit that. I didn't
Okay,
admit that.
well, if you think he
should.
was, then we can
You
have that
should.
conversation. Even if you think he was, it definitely wasn't definitive. But what you said was leading on the court, and then you said in the finals. It was a 5-game series. So for 5 games, Kawhi Leonard, we can say, was the Spurs' best player in that series. I still think that's even debatable, but we can have that conversation, and we can say Kawhi was.
They don't.
Congratulations, Kawhi Leonard deserved his finals MVP. He was great in the finals. Cool. Then, in that same argument, Kevin Durant, you would have to say, led the Warriors in the finals against what some people would argue is the greatest player ever in his prime, blah, 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 and was outplaying better players on his team. He led in a series that had Steph Curry in it. Prime Steph Curry. Top 10 player of all time in a lot of people's estimation. Steph Curry on the team. He led by your estimation.
Ron.
So what are we talking about when we say what's more impressive? Is it more impressive to outplay Tony Parker, Danny Green, and old Tim Duncan, or to outplay Steph Curry? What's more impressive?
First off, 2019 clears everything that we're talking about.
Yeah, that's why he said it was
So
one
it
run.
starts-
But then
it
you
starts
tried to bring
with-
up 2014.
It starts with when
I
you
just- can I
combine
ask
both
you-
of them, when you combine both the Kevin Durant's, and when you combine 2019 and 2015, 14, when I'm a young pup, I'm not even supposed to win this Finals MVP. I'm taking the LeBron fade, and I got Finals MVP. When you combine both of
Andre
those,
Iguodala
AD took the
has
LeBron
Finals
fade
MVP.
twice and got Finals MVP
That
twice.
equals-
he
Iguodala
did
has
take the LeBron fade. He
Actually took the LeBron fade.
He did not take the LeBron fade.
He did.
What are we constituting as
You
leadership?
can watch
though?
the series. Kevin Durant guarded LeBron. LeBron. So much
Everybody guarded LeBron a little bit in that series.
Everyone guarded LeBron for the
Everybody looked.
And I think
Ron and
team
Los.
defense.
Ron and Los. Is leadership only the person that wins the championship? Is that
No.
So when Kevin Durant took the young Thunder to the NBA Finals and he beat the Spurs and the Lakers and all those teams, was he
Russell
not a leader?
Westbrook was the leader of that team.
So now Westbrook is the leader. Kevin Durant had the better stats all the time.
But
So
see, Los.
now Westbrook's the leader because what? Because he's loud.
But you see, Los, and this is what I didn't want to have to do this.
So now we have to debate on who's the leader. Because now I'm gonna say Kevin Durant was the leader. So
Okay,
what?
This
okay,
is why I
but
said
this,
this
This is what y'all are saying. I'm saying
this-
KD was the leader.
okay, and you can say that, and that's cool. KD has led a lot of teams with a lot of Hall of Famers, a lot of All
So
Stars,
has
a lot
Kawhi.
of potential. Hold on, wait, you don't even know where I'm going. A lot of
going,
Hall of
bro?
Famers.
I know, I do know where
a
you're
lot of
going,
All
actually.
Stars, a lot of, and KD has more that he's led to nothing.
Yeah, he's been
Conference
in the league
championships
17
getting
years.
bounced
Yeah,
out.
he's been in the league 17 years.
Hey, second round exits, all of this. KD has had the best assortment of talent out of any superstar, not naming LeBron James, and he might have a better collection than LeBron James.
How?
Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, James Harden again.
Injuries.
Who's he with right now? Devin
Injuries.
Booker, Chris Paul.
They're bad teams, though.
Who? Hey,
Yeah, like,
next
Suns
year.
right now.
You see how people try to do it and switch the
What's
narrative?
bad
I'm the one who
teams?
plays.
What
The Suns right now are a
Shitty
terrible
teams
team.
were. And
Okay,
how
we
people
can get the
got
Suns
hurt.
out of there. He's still with Devin Booker, and he still got Bradley Beal, but we can get him out of here.
Bradley Beal
Whatever.
played good.
Whatever.
What about
Okay.
what actually
Let's get
happened?
this.
Like,
Let's
we're
get
not
the Suns
talking
out of here.
leadership.
Let's get the Suns out of here. We can keep going.
You're not talking about
Hey.
what happened though. You're just talking about the players he played with. What about
not- what do
when
you
James
mean
Harden got hurt? What about when Kyrie got hurt? What about when Kevin Durant got hurt and he couldn't play with Russell Westbrook when they were in their prime? What about all the stuff that he's had to deal with? You're only saying the
There's
one
never
side
been,
of this
there's
stuff.
never been a genuine Kevin Durant conversation on this platform.
I just think
So
that.
So what
there's
about when
two-
Kawhi gets hurt? Then we can do that then.
For sure.
still
But
trying to
listen,
get this out.
I just think that leadership is used as something to discredit Kevin Durant often, especially in these conversations. I don't think pound for pound Kawhi is a better player than Kevin Durant. I just don't believe that. I think Kevin Durant at his best is better than Kawhi Leonard at his best. And I think that when we try to frame the 2019 Raptors as a one-man show, we are being disingenuous
100%.
because that
They weren't a
team
one-man show.
was so full of depth. They had Fred VanVleet and Norman Powell coming off the bench with Serge Ibaka, and they had Danny Green on that team with Pascal Siakam and Marcus Gasol midseason trade, Kyle Lowry. They had 3 all-star level players with Siakam, who was most improved that year. You can argue 4 all-star caliber players, and Marcus Gasol was locking up in that entire postseason run. So I don't feel like that was a one-man show, and I don't want to discredit the championship because Kawhi won a championship, but they beat the Warriors because Kevin Durant did get hurt against the Rockets. He did rupture his Achilles in the NBA Finals.
That goes back to somebody on this panel made the original point that we don't need to be, and I agree that we can't negate the fact that these teams won championships.
Yeah, what happened. That's fair. But Kevin Durant also was not able to play in that final series. And the Raptors faced a hobbled Warriors.
It's what happened until we talk about KD. Then it's over.
Not just KD getting hurt, but also Klay Thompson tearing his Achilles as well, getting an ACL injury. I'm sorry, ACL injury as well. So there were things that happened to that Warriors team that they were depleted at that point in time. And the Raptors just had a lot of depth. Okay. But the leadership thing is such a gray area. That's why I don't like getting into it.
That's fair.
I will say this, Lo.
That's why I said leading on the court, though. I'm just saying, like KD, you got 17 years in the NBA.
Joe, finish your point.
I understand that.
17 years.
My thing with Los is that this conversation.
We got 2 years from you.
This conversation turned into a top 10 player is KD, a top 10 player since 2000, which I think that's fair. And I think the players that you listed, I mean, you could definitely argue he's 10 and 15 range. But what it started with was the scoring title graphic and how Kevin Durant had 4 scoring titles. And you use that to say, well, how much does that really matter or impact winning? But then you use Tracy McGrady and prop them up over KD when Tracy McGrady had scoring titles, but that clearly didn't equate to any type of winning in the playoffs at all. He never got out the first round. He blew a 3-1 lead in the playoffs as well.
It's how we got to that spot, though. I originally didn't mention T-Mac. Then we started saying, can you name 10 players better than who you think 10 players are better than Kevin Durant? And then that's when T-Mac came in. At the end of the day, like I told Mars, there is no to make a logical argument. Everybody has their own set of criteria for it's basketball. We all got our own. It can be logical
though. That's the point.
As And Mars, to your point, I heard you say that we've never had but the panel has never had a logical argument.
Genuine.
What does that look? And in all seriousness, no, because I am a basketball enthusiast. I consider myself a basketball enthusiast. I love the game. What do you think that looks like? What do you think a genuine conversation around Kevin Durant? Just briefly, I'm not asking for you to give me
a conversation that is rooted in basketball and not a bunch of narratives and stuff that can't be proven. It always turns into you didn't like the decision he made, so then you tax the years in which he had success. Then you talk about the fact that he's not a leader, and then we ask, oh, what is leadership? Blah blah blah, and it just turns into a bunch of stuff away from the basketball. I understand leadership happens on the court, but what I'm saying is, it turns into a bunch of things away from how Kevin Durant or whoever he's being compared to. Sure. Or just even if Kevin Durant is in a conversation just about Kevin Durant, it will just turn into we can't give KD credit for anything that's happening. A, because he made a decision 9 years ago. B, because he's not the leader of his team. And then when he is the leader of his team, they don't win anything. But we'll ignore all of the reasons why they aren't winning. It's Kevin Durant's fault. And it's like, we just don't talk about basketball when it happens to Kevin Durant. Like, that's my issue. Kevin Durant.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is?
Because he made the most divisive decision in NBA history. And I want to make this abundantly clear.
Same way with LeBron.
Kevin Durant is a flawed basketball player. He's not perfect. And the reason I take up for guys like Kevin Durant so much, I think the same thing happens with Joel Embiid. So I take up for Joel Embiid a lot. I think the same thing happens with James Harden. So I take up for James Harden a lot. I'm realizing the same thing happens with Chris Paul. So I'm going to start taking up for Chris Paul as well. When it comes to those types of players, the conversation becomes so disingenuous and so away from basketball that I end up finding myself on the side where I'm defending them. I'm not as high on Kevin Durant as everyone is up here. I think I'm high on Kevin Durant, but I'm not as high. Like
Yeah.
I heard you say you questioned Tim Duncan when he said Tim Duncan was like, I wouldn't question Tim Duncan. Like, I think Tim Duncan is better than Kevin Durant. I think Kevin Garnett is better than Kevin Durant. Like, so like I'm high on KD, but there's also like I'm not the utmost high on Kevin Durant. I think
I get what you're saying.
I'm high on KG. So like I think I try to be objective about Kevin Durant, but I find myself arguing or debating with people who are so far on the other side of the fence to me that I end up seeming like a Kevin Durant glazer, which I don't think I am. Like there are people who think Kevin Durant is the greatest scorer ever. I think he's second to Michael Jordan. I think MJ is the greatest scorer ever. There are people who think Kevin Durant is a top 5-10 player ever. I don't think he is that. There are people who think Kevin Durant clears Steph Curry. I don't think he clears Steph Curry. So like I think I'm on a fairly reasonable plane of this, but I'm arguing against so many, in my opinion, unreasonable things about Kevin Durant that I end up having to take up for him. And it's like, I can't even talk about the flaws I think Kevin Durant has. They never even come up. The flaws of Kevin Durant's actual game never come up.
You're right. We don't ever talk about basketball.
And he hasn't won a championship. And that's my issue. Like Kevin Durant has legitimate flaws as a player. And they never get brought up in the conversation. It's just a bunch of nonsense. And that's what annoys me. So
and
I can respect that. I can respect that.
And the reason why this happens, Mars, is because what he did. And let's take the fact that he ended up going to Golden State. All right, okay, that's already on record. But the fact that he won the NBA championship in back-to-back seasons and he's the Finals MVP in back-to-back seasons, now we got to start talking about him different instead of talking about who KD is as a player, what KD has done as a player, what he produced when he got on that Golden State Warrior team. And even still, like Ron just talked about, he's been in the league for 17 years. Ron, for 9 years, he was in Oklahoma City. He took that team to the Western Conference Championship 3 times in 5 years. He was the man on that team. As good as Russell Westbrook was, he was the man on that team. That offense ran through him. He was their guy. He was the guy who we looking for him for buckets. In fact, Russell Westbrook, I'm on record saying Russell Westbrook improved his game because he had to learn how to play with KD. He had to learn where to get KD the ball. He had to learn how to get KD the ball in transition. Does KD like it off the dribble? Does KD like it when he's coming off the screen? Quick pops, stuff like that. He had to learn that playing with KD. That's not something that you just, as a baller, you just pick the ball up and I just start rocking. No, I had to learn this stuff playing with KD because KD was the guy. Our offense was ran through him. Now, if we're talking about KD strictly as a baller, right? We're talking about KD strictly as a basketball player. There aren't many basketball players, at least in my lifetime that I've seen, that I can say are better basketball players than KD. I can't name my.
But that's what you guys go off every time.
No.
We're a basketball show,
when it comes, basketball's not all about your tween and how you can score. That's not everything.
When I say better basketball player, I don't mean tween.
There's intangibles in basketball, how my man Lo said, that just can't quite be measured.
Tween can't be measured, right? That's an intangible.
With tween, I mean, it's more measurable than the other intangibles. So what I'm saying is, like, once again, I'll give Kevin Durant those 3 years with Golden State. Cool, he was balling. What about the other 14 years?
He was balling in OKC.
He was balling. Okay. And a lot of players have balled. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Why wasn't Kevin Durant
you want me to go through it? I can go through Kevin Durant's career.
Okay,
and I'm going to explain why Kevin Durant
you're going to come up with a bunch of excuses. You're going to cop a bunch of pleas for Kevin Durant, and I don't want to hear it because you do this with James Harden too. You'll do this with James Harden. But hold on. I'm gonna tell you though, and I'm gonna tell you.
Am I gonna get to say why?
You'll do this. But here's and you can do this. You can do this. Just let me get this off right quick. Because you could do the same thing with James Harden. Okay. You could do the same thing with Chris Paul. Okay. You could do the same thing with John Stockton. On a lower level, if you will, on a lower level. Okay. My point is, guys like Dirk got it out the mud. So I don't excuse nobody because Dirk got it out the mud. Guys like Dwayne Wade got it out the mud in 2006. So I don't excuse nobody. Guys like Kawhi Leonard, I understand that was a great team, but Kevin Durant was also on great teams. Got it out the mud in 2019, so I don't excuse nobody. Nikola Jokic in 2003 got it out the mud. I don't excuse nobody. Guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo in 2021 got it out the mud, so I don't excuse nobody. Kevin Durant, you had 14 years. All pros, all stars, MVPs, Hall of Famers. I don't excuse anything because any of these guys could have ran to the best point guard in the league. What would have happened if Jason Kidd and T-Mac would have teamed up for 3 years in 2003, 2004, 2005? What would that have looked like? So I'm saying, like, yeah, Kevin Durant, I'm going to give you your props because you got those 2 finals MVPs. But it's 14 other years that Mars is going to give us a bunch of pleas, excuses, this, that, and the third. Everybody got pleas and excuses, but all these other greats who you guys put in the top 10 say are the best scorers of all time, 6'11", demigod, yada, yada, yada. Why couldn't your 6'11" demigodness get it done in any of these other 14 years? I'm just trying to ask that question, and I want an answer.
Okay.
You can do that for everybody.
Can I answer?
As you were saying, Mars.
And I want to make this before I go with my diatribe. I want to make it abundantly clear. Saying a reason why something happens is not excusing that thing.
Those two things are not the same.
If you ask why and then someone answers why, you can't then say I'm making an excuse. That doesn't make sense. You can't ask for a reason. The reason gets given to you, and then you say it's an excuse. Because if that's the case, then you don't want to know the reason why. Something can happen. You can explain why it happens, and that doesn't excuse it from happening. I want to make that abundantly. Yeah, I want to make that abundantly clear. Explaining why something happens does not excuse it from happening. Sure. That's what I want to start with. I also want to say that yes, everything needs context. Why a team wins needs context. Why another team doesn't win needs context. Why a player loses needs context. Why a player wins needs context. That does not diminish the value of winning. That does not make losing okay. But everything requires context. If we're going to do this for 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, and we're going to ignore all of the context, that's disingenuous. If we're going to have genuine basketball conversations, why things happen and how things happen is relevant. That's entirely relevant. If, for example, and I'm hoping this doesn't happen, if Shea were to get injured tonight in game 3 and OKC lost, that is a relevant fact as to why Indiana were able to win a championship. That's a relevant fact. That does not take away Indiana's championship, but that's relevant. Context is always going to be relevant. Now, the reasons why Kevin Durant has not won outside of Golden State, some of them are on him, some of them are out of his control, as always in a team sport. He came into the league, number 2 pick, the Seattle Supersonics. We can understand that team was not good. There's a reason they ended up with the number 4 pick the next year and got Russell Westbrook. Yeah. They didn't make the playoffs. That team was not a very good team. I think they won like 26 games. The next year, this is their first year in OKC. Once again, not a very good team. Russell Westbrook is a rookie. Kevin Durant is in year 2. I actually think Kevin Durant should have been an all-star that year. He didn't make it. Obvious reasons. OKC hadn't won that many games. But Kevin Durant, really good player already by year 2. Year 3 comes around, 2010. OKC, this is that stacked West where the 8 seeds, which was OKC, won 50 games, if you guys remember. Yes, they ended up losing to the reigning champions, Los Angeles Lakers, in 5 games.
You mean the 2-time reigning champs?
But they became 2-time reigning champs that year, yes. Mm-hmm. They lost to that Lakers team in 5, I think it was 5 games, might have been 6.
And a dogfight, by the way.
And if you want, and we want to be 100% honest, Kevin Durant struggled in that series. Go back and watch it. Mm-hmm. Run our test, now Meta World Peace at that point. His strength, his physicality bothered Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant at that point in time was not a good enough player to offset the level of physicality and defense that was being played against him. Now, I think we can all agree, even if he was, that OKC team at that moment in time was not good enough to win a championship. So we can acknowledge Kevin Durant's flaws as a player. He wasn't physically strong enough. He wasn't a good enough playmaker or decision maker. He still wasn't as refined as an outside shooter. So his flaws hurt OKC in some regard in that series, but that team also wasn't good enough to win a championship. 2011, I think, is the first year in which you get Kevin Durant we're approaching that level where Kevin Durant is the second best player in the world. Like, he's in that tier of player for me. You see the major improvement as an outside shooter. The handle is more refined. He does get physically stronger. And that's the first year OKC, coincidentally, make the conference finals. You also followed with a jump from Russ. Russ is a better player in 2011 as well. And OKC become a legitimate contender in the West. They end up losing to the Dallas Mavericks in 2011 in a series in which Kevin Durant played well. If you guys remember that series, Kevin Durant played well. But what happened was, A, his playmaking limitations were real. He struggled. He still struggled as a playmaker, and his 3-point shot wasn't very good in that series. But his ability to get to the rim, his ability to draw fouls, all extremely valuable. And that Dallas team, their defense, and Dirk Nowitzki, like we're gonna call a spade a spade. Dirk Nowitzki, Mr. Got It Out the Mud himself, was the best player in that series.
And
the best player in that series.
We're in year 4.
This is year 4 for Kevin Durant. This is year 4 for Kevin Durant.
And we don't do this with nobody else, by the way.
He's 20.
21 years old.
What do you mean we don't do this with nobody else?
No, we don't. By year 4, Ron?
What did
I mean, LeBron gets held to a different standard. But in that series, that Dallas series,
Dwayne Wade in year 4?
He doesn't get held to that standard. He gets praised for what he did in year 3, but he doesn't get held to the standard that George.
But as you were saying, Moss, keep going.
But in that Dallas series, Dirk Nowitzki, by far, Kevin Durant was really good in that series, but Dirk Nowitzki, by far, was the best player in that series. He was the difference. I remember explicitly watching game 1. If anyone's wondering, that game had like 70 free throws between the two teams, by the way. So if you don't like free throws, don't watch that game. Dirk Nowitzki himself shot like 24 free throws, but no one could guard him. They even put Kevin Durant on Dirk Nowitzki in the third quarter. Kevin Durant fouled him twice in the first 2 possessions. Had to take him off him instantly. Kevin Durant couldn't do anything with Dirk. Serge couldn't do anything with Dirk. Kendrick Perkins couldn't do anything with Dirk. Cephalosha couldn't do anything with Dirk. They tried everything. Dirk Nowitzki was the difference in that series. He deserves all the credit in the world. Kevin Durant played well. He just wasn't good enough, and OKC wasn't good enough to overcome Dirk and Dallas. That's why they lost that year. 2012, they end up overcoming the Western Conference. They beat the Spurs. James Harden had a really good series against the Spurs. That was a big reason why they were able to overcome the Spurs. Kevin Durant was elite throughout the playoffs, including the finals. They ended up losing that series in large part because Miami were a better team. I know OKC were the favorites in that series, but that comes back to once again being disingenuous in the conversations because LeBron folded against Dallas the year prior, so everyone was low on Miami at this point. It was like, oh yeah, they're just gonna fold again, blah blah blah, ignoring the basketball reasons as to why OKC were not a better team than Miami. Another reason OKC struggled in that series is because they couldn't make outside shots. They couldn't shoot the 3. No one on the court in the 2012 finals for Oklahoma City could make a 3. James Harden, Kevin Durant, the guys who were paid to make shots. They couldn't make 3s. I want to get the numbers, so I'm absolutely.
And they had a difficult time in the interior too, because they had Kendrick Perkins.
I want to make sure my numbers are entirely accurate. Kevin Durant shot 39% from 3 in that series. Outside of him, Derek Fisher 36%. He was 5 of 14. Yeah. James Harden 32%. He was 7 of 22. Cephalosha was 18%, 2 for 11. Russell Westbrook was 14%, 3 for 22. The team as a whole shot 30% from 3, and that's heavily bolstered by the fact that Kevin Durant was 39%. They couldn't make 3s. That was a big reason why they lost that series. On the other hand, Miami shot 43% from 3. And outside of LeBron, who shot 18%, everyone was pretty much lights out. That was the difference in that series. The difference in that series was the outside shooting of Miami versus the outside shooting of OKC. Kevin Durant played well. Once again, you see the playmaking limitations show up. That is my biggest gripe. That is my biggest gripe with Kevin Durant in the early years in OKC. His playmaking, his decision-making, his ability to not turn the ball over when he has the ball in his hands was his biggest issue. That was his biggest issue, along with some erratic three-point shooting that would come and go. And you saw a lot of variance in that shot.
Now, Mars, wouldn't that be
Kevin Durant was the turnovers?
Now, Mars, wouldn't that be because he was a bucket getter? I mean, that's what he came into the league as. That's what he became even better.
Yeah, he had to develop. Yeah, he had to develop. He was a young player in year 5 at this point. He had to develop. But when we're analyzing the game, it's not really relevant. When we're analyzing the game, Kevin Durant's flaws held him back. Now, we can understand that he developed them later, but at that moment in time, his flaws held him back, especially as a playmaker. We go on to 2013. I think that one goes without saying. Russell Westbrook gets hurt in the playoffs. Patrick Beverley, we know what happens. We spoke to Patrick Beverley about it. He said it wasn't a dirty play. That's for you guys to decide. I don't think it was a dirty play. I think it was an unfortunate play. But Russell Westbrook gets hurt in the playoffs. And ultimately, OKC go on to lose to Memphis in a series in which Kevin Durant actually struggled. Kevin Durant struggled against the Memphis Grizzlies. I think you saw the effects of him not having a point guard. If you remember that series, go back and watch it. Kevin Durant was playing point guard for them. That's what was happening. So the guy who I just said had playmaking limitations the year prior and 2011
ball in his hands,
became their point guards because he was the only one that they trusted to consistently make decisions. They didn't trust Reggie Jackson to that extent yet. Derek Fisher was an off-ball player by that point. They had no one else to go to. Kevin Durant was their point guard. So he struggled as a scorer. Memphis defense was elite. They were able to load up on him. They had guys like Tony Allen. They had Tayshaun Prince, who at that point was still doing a really good job on Kevin Durant with Marc Gasol behind it. Kevin Durant struggled against that team. I actually think he averaged like 5 or 6 assists in that series. Like you could see, like he was trying to take on that role. He just wasn't ready to be a primary playmaker for a team, and that's why they lost. So Russell Westbrook being hurt thrust Kevin Durant into a role in which he wasn't good enough yet to take up, and Memphis beat them. The next year, 2014, this is Kevin Durant's MVP year. This is the year where Russell Westbrook misses like 30 games in the regular season.
How many years are we at this point? How many years?
This is year 7. I think this is year 7 or 6.
Okay,
Kevin Durant, 2014. This is a year, once again, great in the regular season. 6.6 assists. Thank you, Pickler. So, and then we see in the playoffs, Serge gets hurt. And they ultimately end up losing to the Spurs in a series in which they were competitive. And then Serge goes down. Serge going down, I do think, affected the OKC Thunder. I also think the Spurs were a better team. I think the Spurs in 2014, I think most people who have watched that Spurs 2014 team says that's one of the most underrated or one of the best
most
teams
beautiful basketball I ever seen in
we've seen in a while. Kevin Durant in that series, in my opinion, played well. He was really good as a scorer, really decisive, able to get to the line consistently. My biggest issue with Kevin Durant in that series, he missed a whole bunch of free throws. And that's something you got to hold Kevin Durant accountable for. One of the best shooters that we've ever seen. He shot like 80% from the line, something like that. Like for Kevin Durant, 80% is a good free throw percentage, but for Kevin Durant, we hold him to a higher standard. But Kevin Durant, I think, was good in that series. I think Russell Westbrook was good in that series. But I do think Serge going down affected their defense and ultimately led to them losing to what I deemed as a better team anyway. But with Serge going down, I think that kind of rendered it to.
Well, Mars, when you're starting league guard, when you're starting league guard and your best defensive interior big go down, you're not expected to win the series. Even with Kevin Durant playing good, you're still not expected to be as competitive as you would be if Russell Westbrook.
I agree, but I think 2014, like this is a year where I think like 14, 15, and 16 were years where I think the Thunder, fully healthy, were legitimate contenders. 100%. I just think in 14, I think the Spurs were a better team, and I think they ultimately lost to a better team. But we can say some guys get out of the mud, some guys are able to overcome that and win that series. Kevin Durant wasn't able to do that. Russell Westbrook wasn't able to do that. Serge going down hurt them. But ultimately, if Kevin Durant does play better, if Kevin Durant does make some free throws, if Kevin Durant does play better down the stretch of some of those games, they can win that series. It was a winnable series for them. They didn't win. We can hold that against Kevin Durant in some capacity because there were things he could have done better. 2015, he has a Jones fracture. Literally doesn't play that year. Plays like 27 games. Russell Westbrook is then asked to carry the load. OKC ultimately ends up missing the playoffs that year. It's interesting because like their record wasn't that bad, but they ended up missing the playoffs. The West was stacked. We obviously can't hold that against Kevin Durant. He didn't play. Like he factually didn't play. Now, the elephant in the room. We're at 2016. This is the year where we can give all the context we want. Kevin Durant, game 4, 5, and 6, did not play well. They were up 3-1 against Golden State in a series in which Russ was playing very well. Kevin Durant himself was playing very well. OKC were playing very well and deserved to be up 3-1 against the team, which, if we remember correctly, the narrative going into that series was how healthy is Steph Curry? That was the conversation. How healthy is Steph Curry? Because we know he dealt with it. He got hurt the first game against Houston. Then he got hurt again against Portland. Then he obviously had that crazy game. I'm back, blah, blah, blah.
He missed almost half the series against Houston.
Steph Curry hadn't looked like Steph Curry. So the conversation was, how healthy is Steph Curry? And then OKC come out, they blitz Golden State. They go up 3-1. Everyone's like, oh my God, OKC are going to beat Golden State. They remember the matchups during the regular season where OKC and Golden State were playing each other to a draw. This was seen as an evenly matched series. We understand they were a 73-win team, but this was factually seen as an evenly matched series. This is after the fact that OKC had just beat San Antonio. This is the same San Antonio team that just went 40-1 at home. This was a San Antonio team that people deemed as a legitimate elite team. Now, I know they lost in round 2, so they don't get that respect now, but OKC beating that team was a huge deal. And everyone knows how I feel. I had this debate with Joel. I think Russell Westbrook in the Dallas series and the Spurs series was better than Kevin Durant. I think that's an indictment on Kevin Durant. So I'm trying to be as fair as possible. I think in that run where they get to the conference finals, Russell Westbrook played better than Kevin Durant to get there. Kevin Durant is meant to be the second best player in the world. Kevin Durant is meant to be the best player in OKC. And against Dallas and against San Antonio, I think Russell Westbrook was better than him. That's a problem. Kevin Durant had to be better. His outside shot was not falling. His turnovers were problematic. And Russell Westbrook's playmaking, in my opinion, was the most valuable thing that anyone in OKC provided.
Mars,
now,
right quick.
Go ahead.
Shout out to Russell Westbrook's leadership. You can proceed.
Sure.
I'll mute myself.
Game 4, 5, and 6 against Golden State. What happened was Golden State changed their defensive philosophy. They ended up overloading with Kevin Durant, with Russell Westbrook, basically saying, we don't respect any of these outside shooters. We don't respect Serge. Steven Adams is going to be in the dunker spot. We damn sure don't respect Andre Roberson. We don't even respect Russell Westbrook as an outside shooter. We understand what threat he can pose to us, but we're going to go under screens. We're going to help off of him. We're going to play help defense in the gaps. We're going to have Draymond roam off Roberson. And basically, we're going to clog as many lanes as possible for Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant was not good enough to overcome that coverage. His mid-range shot, when it was being smothered by 2 and 3 people, he was not making it at the clip in which OKC needed him to do so. His playmaking, instead of being able to dissect the coverages he was getting, whether that be with Roberson backdoor cuts, whether that be with dump down passes for Steven Adams, he was not able to dissect the Golden State defense, overloading on him in a way that would have been conducive to breaking that defensive scheme. He was not capable of doing that. Kevin Durant did not play well in games 4, 5, and 6, and 7. Sorry, 4, 5, 6, and 7. No, 5, 6, and 7. Sorry. Against Golden State. He did not play well. I know there were some games where he put up 30 or whatever. He did not play well. Kevin Durant, I think himself will probably tell you that he should have been better in that series. And I think he thinks that they should have won that series. I don't know Kevin Durant personally, but I think Kevin Durant thinks they should have won that series. We can absolutely, and we should hold that against Kevin Durant, that A, they were up 3-1, and B, he was not good enough in the closing 3 games to ultimately win that series. That's on Kevin Durant. Russell Westbrook also didn't play well, but this isn't about Russell Westbrook. This is about Kevin Durant and what he can control. Kevin Durant was not good enough. Then we get to the Warriors years. You want me to just skip over the Warriors years because they won?
Please, we already know what.
No. Include them.
Ron, this is up to you because you're the one who wants why.
Definitely include those.
Yeah, but add some context about Steph and Draymond and Clay.
Sure. So 2017 comes around and everyone says, "Oh my God, this is unfair." Blah 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 blah. Game 1 happens. Game 1 of the regular season. The Spurs blitzed them.
Get stomped by almost 30.
Jonathan Simmons game. I remember that game. Jonathan Simmons game. They blitzed them. The questions then become, is this team going to, after one game, is this team going to work? Can Kevin Durant and Steph Curry coexist? This is going to be another failed super team, blah, 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 blah. They're not great the beginning part of the season. I don't know what their record was. They weren't great. They weren't just dominating the NBA in that fashion where it was like, oh my God, this is the best team ever. They were really good, but there were still questions. And then that Christmas game. Everyone remembers that Christmas game. Mm-hmm. This is the reigning champion Cleveland Cavaliers, Kyrie, LeBron, K-Love, against the newly formed Warriors. Mm-hmm. Steph Curry plays poorly in that game. Kevin Durant actually plays well in that game. Steph Curry gets put on the bench, the final possession. Kyrie ISOs Klay Thompson, spin jumper over his shoulder, game. Cavs win that Christmas game. All of the next week, the next month, the conversation is the Cavs have the Warriors number. The Warriors are mentally broken by the Cavs. Kyrie is outplaying Steph every time they meet up. The Warriors don't want to see the Cavs. The Cavs will beat the Warriors if they meet in the finals. That was the conversation. They then meet again on MLK Day, I think it was in January. The Warriors blitzed them, fried them. I think it was a 30-point game. Now, absolutely a blitz.
Stop right there, Mars. Before you go any further, just so you know, that was the 5th game on a West Coast road trip. That was the last game when they played them. So they were on the end of a 5-game and 8-night West Coast road trip, and the Warriors stomped them. Keep going, Mars.
So they obliterate them. I want to get the actual score of the game, so bear with me. Mm-hmm. Where is that game? 2017 Warriors. Yep. They played the Cavs. It was 126-91, so they won by 35. So close enough. They blitzed them. Then they go into the playoffs. Both of these teams are fully healthy in the postseason. The Cavs, you remember correctly, I think they go 12-0 against the East. The Warriors go 12-0 against the West. Kawhi Leonard injury. Remember, game 1, Zaza. The Warriors were actually losing that game by 20, I think.
20 in the third quarter.
They were losing that game by 20. Kawhi was going crazy. Kawhi was torching them. Then Zaza comes out.
Talk about that a little more, Mars. Let's talk about
I think is absolutely a dirty play, by the way. That's a dirty
play. He did that on purpose.
Yeah, that was disgusting. And do I think the Spurs would have won that series? No. Do I think they would have won that game?
No. I don't think it would have been a sweep. Yes. I can tell you that. I'm not saying
I think they would have won that game.
It wouldn't have been a sweep.
And once again, that was a conference finals. If the conference finals MVP award existed, Steph Curry would have won it. Steph Curry played better than Kevin Durant in that series. So this goes to show, once again, you have 2 of the 3 best players in the world. Steph Curry can outplay Kevin Durant in some series. Kevin Durant can outplay Steph Curry in some series. The issue is you only get an MVP for one of them, and that happened to be in the finals. Kevin Durant got the finals MVP. If the conference finals MVP existed, maybe Steph Curry would have got more respect because he would have won it in 17. So then it would have been one conference finals MVP for Steph, finals MVP for KD. They go into the finals 12-0. Both teams are 12-0. The narrative was the Warriors are the favorites, but the Cavs have a chance. That was the narrative. This Cavs team was better than the 2016 team. offensively in particular. They were a better team than the 2016 team. Kyrie was playing better. Kyrie was fully available that year. In 2016, he only played half the year because he came back from the knee fracture. Kyrie was fully available. LeBron was fully locked in. I think 2017 LeBron was playing at an elite S-tier level. He was still, in my opinion, the best player in the league. LeBron was playing at that level. And then, quite frankly, the Warriors handled them. Kevin Durant was amazing. Kevin Durant, his efficiency, we spoke about yesterday, top 10 finals performances, 55, 47, 93, whatever he averaged, 35 points per game. He was amazing. He dominated, rightfully deserved the finals MVP. Then the conversation turned into the Cavs never had a chance in the first place. This is unfair, blah, blah, blah. The Warriors, they stacked the deck. It's too unfair, blah, blah, blah. They went 16-1. They tied the best NBA record in the playoffs in NBA history. All-time great team. Well, actually, it was better than the Lakers because they were 15-1 because of the 3-round first round. 2018 happens. The Rockets get formed. Chris Paul joins the Rockets. The Rockets are very vocal about the fact that they want to beat the Warriors. They were the Timberwolves for the Nuggets before the Timberwolves for the Nuggets. They built their team for the sole aim of beating the Warriors. They weren't worried about what was going on in the East. They weren't worried about what other teams in the West were doing. They, all year long, said, we want the Warriors. Real quick, Tay, yes, the Warriors were the favorites by Vegas. I said the conversation. I even said that the Warriors were the favorites. But anyway, the Rockets conversation was, we want the Warriors. They built that team for the sole purpose of beating that Warriors team. They ended up getting the number 1 seed away from the Warriors team that took a step back from the year prior. They were 11th in defense. They kind of coasted through the regular season. And then I think, if that's the year I remember correctly, Steph Curry is hurt going into the first round. I don't think Steph Curry plays against the Spurs. If I remember correctly, I might be wrong on that one. Someone can fact check me. Steph Curry doesn't play against the Spurs. They ultimately end up sweeping them anyway. Kevin Durant is really good in that series. They end up getting to the conference finals. There was no real competition before the conference finals. They end up going to the conference. They played the Pelicans around 2. They end up going to the conference finals. They meet up with Houston. This is a Houston team that was designed to slow down Golden State. Their philosophy was, all of this off-ball action is cute. We're going to switch everything. We're going to force you to beat us in isolation. That was their plan. And this was a team that Steph Curry in 2018 and 2019 struggled against because of that exact coverage. They said, we're going to take away all of this off-ball stuff that creates open threes and layups. We're going to try and take away all of that. We're going to force you guys to play in isolation. And we trust that our isolation guys, James Harden and Chris Paul, are going to out-ISO your isolation guys, Steph Curry and Kevin Durant. And let's keep it up. They damn near did. They were up 3-2. Now, what's interesting was the Rockets, when they won, the games were mighty close. They barely won. And when the Warriors won, they blew them out. So I think you could see the quality in opponent was still drastic. The Warriors, their margin of error was a lot bigger. They could blow the Rockets out. The Rockets didn't really have the ability to blow out the Warriors. They had to win on the margins. And they damn near did it. Chris Paul obviously gets hurt. Chris Paul not playing game 6 and game 7. Warriors ultimately come back. Kevin Durant is the best player in that series. The Rockets, in my opinion, would have won that series if Chris Paul doesn't go down. That's a series in which it's not an indictment on KD because I think KD played well, but I do think it's an indictment on the Warriors. The fact that the greatest team ever, in my opinion, nearly lost in the Western Conference Finals. So what I deem as a great Houston team, them nearly losing, I think is an indictment on them. That team should not be going to a game 7, period, in my opinion, but they did. And I think you give the Rockets credit for that. And you also, I think you have to criticize the Warriors for that. But Kevin Durant was amazing against Houston. They ended up going to the finals. They mopped the Cavs 4 games. Some people say Steph should have been finals MVP because they say game 1, Steph was better. Game 2, Steph was better. Game 4, Steph was better. Steph only lost the finals MVP because game 3, he was bad and KD was amazing. But if you look at each game individually, Steph played better in more games. I don't entirely subscribe to that ideology because I think game 4, Steph played better for the simple fact that Kevin Durant tried to make him look better. Like, everyone is very aware of the fact that Kevin Durant was trying to get Steph Curry to finals MVP. And game 2, he made the 9 threes. He was really good. But when the game was actually in the balance, I think still Kevin Durant was the one that blew the lead up. Steph Curry, I'm not going to say he was front running. I'm not going to hate on Steph Curry. But I do think when the game was in the balance, Kevin Durant was still the one that blew the game open. And game 1, I think probably KD played better anyway. So I do think KD deserved his finals MVP. But you can say it was neither here nor there. It could go either way. And Kevin Durant had that amazing game 3. 2019, Kevin Durant, amazing in the playoffs. Remember, you know who I am. I'm Kevin Durant. Pat Bev talking about he can guard KD, like, blah, blah, blah. He said, I could shoot over Pat Bev if I want to, but that's going to derail the offense, blah, blah, blah. He then proceeds to end up having like 2 40-point games in that series. He closes the series out with 50 against the Clippers. He was amazing. He then goes against the Rockets again. They couldn't guard Kevin Durant in isolation. He was frying them. Steph Curry was struggling again. Kevin Durant then goes down. The conversation turns into, can the Warriors beat the Rockets without Kevin Durant? And this is why I don't like the narrative that Steph Curry was always considered better. Because when KD went down, the conversation was, the Warriors have lost their best player. That was the conversation. The conversation was, the best player the Warriors have has gone down. Steph Curry has said, we are without our best player. That's what he said. Klay Thompson has said Kevin Durant was their best player. Then Steph Curry does what he does in game 6, if you guys remember correctly. Scoreless in the first half, beats them, goes 33 in the second half. He was amazing. A lot of free throws. People don't seem to remember that. But he was amazing. Dominated that game. They won the game. They go to the conference finals without KD. They sweep Portland. Steph Curry is amazing. If the conference finals MVP existed again, he would have won that handily. He was amazing. He averaged like 36 games. I think it was the most points ever in a sweep. They go to the finals. Klay's banged up. KD's not available. Iggy is banged up. I think Boogie's obviously banged up. The team is decimated by injuries. They end up going down. It was 1-1, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Game 3, Klay doesn't play. So Steph is practically out there by himself. And they lose. Steph has 47. Steph does what he can. They lose. They're now down 2-1. Klay comes back for game 4. They go down 3-1. Kevin Durant comes back. That was the story. Oh, Kevin Durant's going to give it a go. Kevin Durant's coming back from what was called a calf injury at that point. Kevin Durant's going to come back. If you remember that game 5, down 3-1, Kevin Durant played 11 minutes. He was the best player on the floor for 11 minutes.
Yeah,
he was dominating the Raptors. He was
dominating. He
was dominating the Raptors. Everyone was like, okay, the series is on now. The Warriors are going to come back. That's what was being said during the first quarter of that game because of how well KD was playing. Then his Achilles ruptures. Series is over. The Warriors actually go on to win that game, by the way, game 5. They end up going on to win that game. That was the Iguodala game winner, if you guys remember correctly. They go on to win that game. That's when Matt Kellerman says he wants Iguodala. They end up losing in 6. Steph Curry struggles in that game 6. The Warriors lose. Kevin Durant leaves because of the argument they had with Draymond that year, blah, blah, blah. He goes to Brooklyn. He misses the whole first year, torn Achilles. So obviously, no championship to be won. He didn't play. 2021. This is the year where it's going to sound like I'm making a whole bunch of excuses. I'm sorry. 2021, the Nets get James Harden. They already have Kyrie and KD. They get James Harden. This is a team, their big 3 barely played together, but when they did, they're the best offensive of all time, the numbers, best offensive rating ever, blah, blah, blah. They go into the playoffs against a compromised Boston Celtics team. No Jaylen Brown, a bunch of injuries. Mm-hmm. They mocked them. They win in 5 games. Jason Tatum has like a 50-point game in that. Shout out to Jason Tatum. Mm-hmm. They mocked them. KD's playing amazing. James Harden's playing amazing. Kyrie's playing amazing. They are dominating right now. Everyone thinks the Nets are coming out the East. And everyone thought the Lakers were going to come out the West. But then AD gets hurt. A lot of people thought the Lakers were going to come out the West.
I did.
A lot of people thought the Lakers were
going to come out the West. Most people thought the Clippers was coming out.
Most people thought the Bucks was coming out.
Not at that point in the first
most
round.
Logical people.
Okay. And then AD goes down. Phoenix ultimately ends up winning that series. The Clippers are doing what they're doing. Everyone's like, okay, now that the Lakers are out, the Clippers and the Nets are on a collision course for the finals. That's what everyone thought. They thought the Clippers and the Nets were on a collision course for the finals. Kawhi was going crazy, if you remember that Dallas series. KD was going crazy. Harden was going crazy. It looked like it was a match made in heaven. The Nets go into the series against the Bucks. They go up 2-0. They dominate the Bucks, I think, in game 2. Dominate them. It's absolutely not close. Game 3, the Bucks bounce back. They win that game. Game 4, Kyrie goes down. I'm not going to call what Giannis did a dirty play. I think it was unfortunate. This is all, by the way, with James Harden going down in the first minute of game 1. First minute of game 1, James Harden goes down with a hamstring. First minute. Literally 1 minute of the game plays, James Harden's out the game. He doesn't play game 1. He doesn't play game 2. The Nets still blitz the Bucks. Game 4 happens. Kyrie goes down. The Nets tie the series up 2-2. The Nets were up 8, I think. I think the Bucks were up 8. I can't remember the scoreboard. Drink more waters in the chat. He'll tell you exactly what happened. It was 2 minutes 57 in the second. He'll know. He's a Bucks fan. He'll know. But the Nets ultimately lose that game. Game 5 happens. Kevin Durant has what's, in my opinion, the best game Kevin Durant's ever played. I don't know if you guys would agree with that. Game 5, Nets versus Bucks. Kevin Durant has damn near 50, almost 50. 17 rebounds, 10 assists, whatever he has. Jeff Green drops in 27, by the way. Shout out to Jeff Green. He was amazing in that game. The Nets win that game. They go up 3-2. The Nets win that game. Kevin Durant, I think, plays all 48 minutes, I think. The Nets are up 3-2. No James Harden, no Kyrie. Or James Harden came back for that game, but he was compromised. I can't remember. I'm trying to remember this off the top of my head. Game 6, the Nets practically threw the game. I want to let you know, Like their plan was to try and win the series in 7. Game 6, they came out with no energy, lethargic. Kevin Durant didn't play great. No one of the Nets played great. The Bucks tied a series. It's 3-3, Game 7. In my opinion, you can't afford to throw a game. It is. I don't think Kevin Durant played. In my opinion, you can't afford to throw a game when your team is injured. You have to try and win the series as quick as possible.
The great players I know would have win got a Game 6 by themselves.
Sure. The Nets coming out with that approach, the Nets coming out that lethargic. I understand being tired. I understand it. But the Nets coming out that lethargic, that poor, in my opinion, hurt them. That really hurt them because then they put all of their eggs in the Game 7 basket. And Game 7 is what it is. Like, anything can happen. Kevin Durant did not play great in Game 6. I hold that against Kevin Durant. I think Kevin Durant has to play better in Game 6 and give his team a chance to win that series in 6. Because, in my opinion, you never want to go to a Game 7. That should never be what you want to happen.
He had no help.
I agree. The roster was depleted. Game 7 happens. Kevin Durant, once again, plays amazing in the Game 7 through the first 4 quarters. We remember the shot, toe on the line, over PJ Tucker.
Sure.
Everyone thought he won the series. You see it was quite obviously foot on the line. Quite obviously. And I think Kevin Durant tried to win the series right there. The Nets tried to win the series right there. They gave everything they had to win the series on that shot. And KD made the shot. He gets credit, in my opinion, for making the shot. What he doesn't get credit for is what he did in overtime. I understand being tired, but Kevin Durant had nothing in overtime. Couldn't score. He was, once again, lethargic, no explosiveness, settling for jump shots. He ends up airballing a jumper over Drew Holiday, I think. Kevin Durant has to play better in overtime. Has to play better. Maybe if he does, they win the series. Who knows? But Kevin Durant, he did what he could. The team was depleted. They didn't win. Kevin Durant could have been better in Game 6 and in overtime of Game 7. If he was the perfect basketball player, he would have been. He's a flawed basketball player. He wasn't. We should be able to say that, and that's a fair criticism. Kevin Durant did not play well in overtime. Kevin Durant did not play well in Game 6. Those are fair things that happened. Kevin Durant, in my opinion, is not the reason they lost, but Kevin Durant did not play well in those settings. 2022, he was appalling. They get swept by Boston. I want to make it abundantly clear. I thought Boston were always the better team. I had Boston winning that series going into it. But the narrative was that it's actually an evenly matched series. People had the Nets winning that series, in fact.
Mars, we call that the Al Horford series.
Kevin Durant was terrible. The Boston Celtics loaded up on him, on his handle. He was unable to get by Jason Tatum at a point of attack. All the help behind
That's when they was out there ripping them all series, huh?
Absolutely. He was turning the ball over like crazy. He couldn't get to his spots. He was getting pushed off his spots. He wanted to catch the ball at the elbow. He was catching the ball at the three-point line. He was getting manhandled. Kevin Durant was terrible in that series. They got swept. That's an indictment on Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant was not good enough in that series. He was terrible. Criticize Kevin Durant for that. Absolutely. Now, I will say that team had no chance of winning a championship. So even if they do win that series, they weren't going to win a chip. But Kevin Durant was terrible in that series and deserves to be criticized for it. 2023. This is where he gets the Phoenix. They go 8-0 when Kevin Durant plays. He then gets hurt. He misses the rest of the season. He misses a big portion right there towards the end. Comes back. They play in the playoffs. They beat the Clippers. Everyone remembers Kawhi was dominating first 2 games. Kawhi goes down. They then beat the Clippers without Kawhi. Russell Westbrook and Norman Powell leading the charge. There was already no Paul George. They beat that Clippers team. They were supposed to beat the Clippers team. They handled them. Kevin Durant played fine. Devin Booker was on a heater. Remember, this is 23 playoff Devin Booker. Devin Booker was unstoppable. Devin Booker was unstoppable.
We do, but my bad, Mars, because I real quick I had to respond to a very important message. But Mars, did you talk about Kawhi busting their ass before?
Yeah, I said Kawhi was the best player on the court those first 2 games. He goes down.
Okay. I didn't hear.
It was a 1-1 series. Kawhi Leonard was the best player on the court in those first 2 games. He was
by far, hands down. Chill.
Kevin Durant was also playing really well.
No conversation.
But Kawhi was playing.
But chill. Kawhi was absolutely throttling them boys.
He looked like he was about to be the best player in the playoffs. That's what he looked like.
He looked like he was about to be. He looked like he was.
Yes, no doubt.
In the world.
He was dominating. Then obviously he goes down. The Suns end up handling the rest of the way. I think the Clippers won game 1, if I remember correctly. Then Kawhi gets hurt in game 2, but the Suns won that game anyway. Then the Suns won game 3, 4, and 5. They won that series in 5 games. They go to play Denver. This is a series in which Aaron Gordon is tasked with guarding Kevin Durant. His physicality, his ability to bother Kevin Durant, similar to the 22 year. It's pretty much the same code, except there was a lot less help. But the philosophy was Aaron Gordon is going to be physical with Kevin Durant. We're going to load up behind it. And basically, we don't think Kevin Durant or Devin Booker can consistently make shots over the top of us. or can consistently make those skip passes to the corner that we're leaving open. We don't think they can do either one of those things. The issue was the games that the Suns won, Devin Booker did those things. Devin Booker torched them. Devin Booker in game 3, I think, missed 5 shots. Someone said it, 20 or 25, I think. In the next game, he was 14 for 18. Devin Booker was the reason they won those games. Kevin Durant was playing well, but Devin Booker was the reason they were winning those games. This is another series similar to the 2016 playoffs where Kevin Durant is being, in my opinion, outplayed by his teammate. That's a testament to how great Devin Booker was playing. But also, if you're Kevin Durant, the best player on the team, and you're not playing the best on your team, that's a criticism, in my opinion. Kevin Durant has to be, if you're the best player on your team, playing like the best player on your team, regardless of what Devin Booker's doing. Devin Booker deserves all the credit for how well he was playing, but Kevin Durant wasn't playing like the best player on his team. Devin Booker was dominating. He was amazing.
Sure.
And then when Devin Booker came back down to earth, and when Devin Booker hurt his ankle, I can't remember if it was in game 6 or game 5, Devin Booker hurt his ankle, the Suns ended up losing those 2 games. Kevin Durant, by himself, practically, when Devin Booker's compromise, was not enough to overcome that Denver team. He was not playing at a level as a shot maker, as someone who was able to get to the rim consistently, that was able to consistently punish this Denver defense. In my opinion, the 22 and the 23 playoffs are criticisms on Kevin Durant. I don't think he played at the level that is typical of Kevin Durant. 2024, they get swept by Minnesota. I think Kevin Durant plays well. But what my issue with Kevin Durant is, they guarded him one-on-one. Kevin Durant didn't force the defense into rotation. They actually guarded him with Cat. So their worst defender was on Kevin Durant. Playing one-on-one coverage, no help defense, not putting the defense in rotation, none of that. So Kevin Durant scored efficiently, but the impact was nullified because, in my opinion, scoring is cool. But the threat of your scoring, in my opinion, has to put pressure on the defense in order to cause a reaction. And that's what Kevin Durant scoring didn't do in that series. So a big reason why I think they got swept was A, their defense, and B, because despite the fact that Kevin Durant was scoring uber efficiently, he wasn't creating advantages for his teammates. And guys like Devin Booker struggled. Guys like Bradley Beal struggled. Devin Booker had that one game 4 where it really boosted his averages. It says he averaged 27. He really averaged like 18. Like he did not play well at all. But that's in my part, the part that Kevin Durant has to hold on to is the fact that at this point, he was not the same player that was putting pressure on defenses in a way that made his teammates better. I don't think Kevin Durant made his teammates better in that series. Once again, I don't think the Suns were championship contenders. I don't think they were going to win a championship. I don't even think you think they were going to win a championship. But in that series, if Kevin Durant was the same athlete he was a few years ago, if Kevin Durant had the same handle he had a few years ago, do I think he could have built the defense in rotation more? Do I think he would have been able to not be guarded by Cat in single coverage and force Rudy Gobert to collapse to the rim? Yes, but he couldn't do that at that moment in time, and that's a criticism of Kevin Durant's game. And then this year, they missed the playoffs. I've just gone through, I think I spoke for 25 straight minutes. That's Kevin Durant's whole career, playoff career, explains what he did wrong, what the team wasn't good enough, why they won, why they didn't win. If you think any of what I said is an excuse, you got it. I just went through a whole biography of Kevin Durant's career. I apologize for anyone who didn't want to hear me.
No. We now,
but there you go. That's what happens.
Now, Ron. So Ron, with everything that he just went through, you just talked about the 14 years, right? So what's going on with him in Golden State? What was going on with him? The 9 years that he played in Oklahoma City. After he left Oklahoma City and went to Golden State, and then after he left Golden State, and then went on to play with the Nets, and then went on to play with the Phoenix Suns. What is your issue with reasons? Because that's what Mars just gave. There weren't many excuses more than there were reasons why this didn't happen. My game wasn't where it should have been. He had to be listening. My game wasn't, when I'm listening to Mars, my game wasn't where it was in year 4, where it was in year 7. I still was improving. My game in year 8 wasn't what it was in year 10. I was a different player than that. Those are reasons. That's not an excuse. I was improving. And while I was improving, I was going through hard times. Now I can get with Mars' idea. I can get with Mars in the logic that you jumped off that Oklahoma City team and jumped on that Warriors team because their style of play was different. I can get with what Mars was saying. I disagree with that. I think that Steph Curry, Mars and I have always disagreed on that. I think that Steph Curry was the gatekeeper in the Western Conference, and he knew that. And he knew that in order to get the way he was trying to go, he wasn't going to do it with what he had. That wasn't going to happen. So he figured instead of beating them, join them. That was the case. With that being said, though, Ron, the 14-year logic that you talked about with KD, does it not factor in us and me improving every year, me getting better? Does that not factor in terms of his game?
Yeah, I will say 14. We'll give him 11 because after I won't count the first year 2009 or 2008. Won't count 2009. 2010 they were still babies. After 2011, everything's fair game. Like KD, you were that great. Mars said second best player in the world. Russell Westbrook had jumped into an all-star tier. Was one of the better, not just point guards, but players in the NBA. You still had James Harden. From 2011 on, it's all fair game. The next 2011, you go to what, the Western Conference Finals? Lost to Dallas. And they obviously went on to win a championship. From that year on, everything's fair play. You was 23 years old. We've seen 23-year-old players hold it down in the NBA. You were in that tier in the league. You were old enough. You had a good enough team. So from that moment on, it's all fair play.
But we didn't see 23-year-old players hold it down, though, Ron, because with the exception of the Oklahoma City Thunder, when they got there, the youngest team to win the NBA championship at that point, even up till now, was the 77 Blazers. No kids were winning NBA championships. None.
Yeah, but chill. You were good enough to get to the finals. You went to the finals.
And Kobe Bryant was good enough to get to the finals in 21 at 21 years old, but he also had Shaq with him. He also had a vet unit.
So if the Thunder lose this year, we're going to say they were inexperienced?
This is an anomaly.
I've always said that about them. I've always said that about J-Dub.
It's the same thing, though.
I've always said that about J-Dub. I'm not on the fence about that I don't think J-Dub is there yet. I've always said that. But because their defense is so good, because they're so much on a string, and because they're so connected, that they're making up for that deficiency from J-Dub. But the good thing about J-Dub is that he's not their main guy. They wouldn't be able to survive this if he was their main guy. That wouldn't happen.
Chill. Before this whole thing started, you guys said reasons aren't excuses.
They're not.
So the reason that they're inexperienced doesn't excuse them from going there and getting their ass beat. Kevin Durant was the second best player in the world. Kevin Durant was a superstar, and that team was amazing. Be that as it may, how young they were, y'all got to the championship. Y'all had an opportunity to win. Y'all got
up on a better team, a more experienced team.
Hey, Bron, he's better. Bron is better.
Yeah, you ran up on a better team, a more experienced team. That's what you ran up on. This Oklahoma City team is not running up on a better team, a more experienced Indiana team. They're not doing that. That's not going.
So then, do we excuse when he got swept by the Celtics?
No.
Yeah,
they were a better team.
I've said everything I've had.
And again, Ron,
I'm saying they were a better team.
And again, Ron,
Celtics.
those are not the things that Mars,
right?
the things that Mars spoke about. Those weren't excuses. Those were reasons. This is why they lost.
The Celtics was better. Why is that a knock?
Well, because
I think
it's a knock on KD that KD didn't play.
I think
that's the knock. It's a knock on KD didn't play.
But Jay, you don't ever lose a game and tell your teammates, oh, whatever better than us. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I get that, but we talking about it, not them.
But I'm saying, but you're not gonna watch a game I mean the gap, especially the gap ain't huge. You know what I'm saying? It's a competitive game.
I mean, that year
it was better.
We're talking about that year. Wasn't that the year that they traded for Ben Simmons and he didn't play?
Yes.
So I mean, come on, James Harden. Yep. They didn't have James Harden. It was Kyrie, and they loaded up on KD.
Yeah, there were some things that happened for sure, but KD did not play well in that series. I think that's the point. We just had Mars speak for 25 minutes and explain everything that happened in Noah's years, pretty much, which was an excellent narration by him. But this is what I'll say. In conclusion to all of it, I think we can come to the agreement that there were moments where Kevin Durant underperformed and they had chances to win a championship. And there were moments where he performed at a high level and he wasn't the biggest reason why they weren't able to get over the hump. And I think the biggest example of that was 2021, when he clearly was performing at a level that was high enough to lead his team to a championship, but injuries derailed that season. And then you can point to 2016 where he was up 3-1 and he had a chance to go to the NBA Finals and he didn't play well in the final 3 games of that series. So overall, Kevin Durant has some high moments. He has some low moments, but in the totality of his career, I don't think we can diminish it because he wasn't able to win a championship as the guy when there were moments when he was going to do it, had circumstances panned out a little bit differently.
Ron,
I think you'll notice he has a pretty typical, like, all-NBA great career. Like, I think you'll notice, like, he has highs, he has lows, and he has consistency.
That's
like,
what I'm
it's a pretty typical thing.
People
and
look
that's why I
at
say not doing something doesn't mean you couldn't do it. I think Kevin Durant could win as the clear number one guy. I think he could. But in this parallel universe, well, he hasn't. And we can hold that against him if we want. But I think the years in which he's most to blame, besides 2016, they probably didn't have a chance of winning the championship anyway. So it's like, if we're going to hold against him that he doesn't have a chip outside of Golden State, the years in which I think he had a chance to win a championship outside of Golden State were 2016 and 2021. Every other year, I don't think they were that close to winning a championship. 2016, we can put on him. 2021, I don't think we can. Every other year, you see the ups and downs of being an NBA player where he's not perfect. I think 2014, you could argue, and then you got the surge injury. Yeah. So it's like the other year where they had a chance, they weren't the favorites. They weren't the favorites by any stretch. But any year they had a chance, either something goes wrong, Kevin Durant doesn't play to his level, or Kevin Durant does play to his level, and things outside of his control. That's what happens to a lot of all-time greats. It was the same thing with Dirk. Dirk was having series where he played great and they couldn't win. Then he would have series where he played terribly and they didn't win. And then he had the 2011 run where everything came together pretty much perfectly. Pretty much. Now, Karam,
I mean, that's a part. That's just a part of the game.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
That's how basketball works. All in the big macro, that's how it works. So you know what I'm saying. So
when we talk about KD,
that's what I'm saying. Like
his decision, they hold his way more strong than other people's.
Well, that decision was insane.
And it was, but
that was an insane decision to make.
At least be fair to Kevin Durant. We get unfair to Kevin Durant because we don't like personally what he did, and that's what's not fair to KD.
I mean, in the human element, that's more than fair. That's life.
Yeah, but in basketball analysis,
you know what I'm saying? Like I check your resume. I see what happened. I'm gonna treat you up. I'm gonna treat you accordingly. I do want to say though, like. That's how you know over here we love basketball. This is a real hoop show because where else can you get on the same day as Game 3 of the Finals a 2-hour conversation about Kevin Durant and then a whole rundown of his whole entire career? That's just love for basketball. That's just love for the game.
Who you got tonight?
Oh, I got the Pacers.
Wow. Yeah,
it's a smart man.
Ron, in your estimation. And since we're on the subject of KD, Ron, what year do you think, in those first 9 years in Oklahoma City, what year do you think they should have won the NBA championship, in your estimation?
I believe they should have won.
Take the injuries off the table. I want to talk about let's
injuries
take
off the table.
Yeah, Kevin Ibaka is healthy. Russell Westbrook is healthy. Take those injuries off the table. What year do you think they should have won?
14, 15, 16.
So they should have won it in back-to-back years.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Thunder weren't that
injuries,
good.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. We taking the
Kevin
injuries.
Durant literally missed 2015. Like you can't hold that against him.
Yeah.
So 14, 15, 16, but just to really like, even with injuries, 16, 100%. And then I'm even so they win it.
You think they should have beat the Cavs? Like, forget the Warriors. They were up 3-1 on Warriors. You think they should beat the Cavs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That
but Ron,
was the best team in basketball.
Damn the past, Ron. What about the future? What are we gonna say when him and Wemby are first round exits?
KD old.
That's
exactly how does Kevin Durant play? How does Kevin Durant play?
What we gonna say, Jay? He old.
Kevin Durant's old. That's exactly
37 years old. He ain't got it no more. Those injuries are catching up to him. He's slowing down. And on top of that, Wemby's still young. He only in year 3. Wemby just came off injury. So
Ron, I got a question.
What's up?
What do you think KD, Russ, and Harden's careers would be if they would have stayed together?
I believe they're a dynasty. I believe
they win one. How many do they win, Ron?
Everything the Warriors did, they do. Throughout that whole duration, I believe they get it in. I think they go so that they went in 12, right? James Harden comes back. I think they go back to back in 13. 14, I believe they win it. Once again, 15, even Kevin Durant can go. Well, no. Kevin Durant got to stay healthy. Kevin Durant got to stay healthy. My bad. But I mean, Mars, but Russ and James that year. But regardless.
I've seen Russ and James, and they lost around 2.
We saw
15. We can scrape 15 to Kevin Durant getting injured or whatever. However you want to do it. 16, they win it. 17, they win it. 18, they win it. 19, they win it. I think they really got 5 or 6 rings.
I think you got. They'd have to battle with what do they do with James Harden? Like he was obviously too good to still be a bench player. So like,
Oh no,
He's no more-
he eventually
can't be
starts.
a rotation player after year 3.
He starts the next year.
I'm not a fan of the fit, but I do think
Then you gotta
when you have
put
that
him-
level of talent, you got to find a way to make it work. But I do
That's
think there is some
Well,
like growing pains. I think.
Remember too, Mars, because with James Harden growing into what he grew into, don't forget, Russ played off the basketball at UCLA. We could put him off the ball. We could have him playing the 2. And then with him playing the 2, we got KD playing the 3. Now the question is what are we putting around these guys? Because guys like Roberson, this isn't going to work. No.
You
Guys
probably
like
you try and keep Serge, so it'd be Russ Harden,
Ibaka,
Serge,
sure.
KD.
Serge will have to take a pay cut.
Someone gonna have to sacrifice some money somewhere. Like it's gonna be
Steven Adams stays. I think we keep Steven Adams because we need that dirty work guy.
They got that 5 though. That's crazy.
I think we got to come off. Roberson. Yeah, I'm comfortable coming off of Roberson.
The thing with this whole thing is Russ. In this scenario, Russ would get painted out to be the bad guy, and people would be like, Russ is going to chuck up a whole bunch of shots and stuff like that. I want you guys to know, like you don't get you're not an assist champ. You're not one of the best playmakers and passers in the league without being unselfish. That's first and foremost. But second off, it's been noted that this roster was heavily flawed, and Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook had to take on a majority of the scoring burden. Russ wasn't just shooting just to shoot. He was shooting to score because he had to score for them to win.
Those two hit a lot of the roster's flaws.
And that's where it gets up.
Billy Donovan was terrible.
Can you also say that Russ became a way more willing and a better passer as he got older?
Yeah, but I'm saying that to say
the playmaker that he turned into.
I'm saying that to say though, if James Harden's there, I believe Russ takes a step back. I don't think Russ is just Russ is Russ, so Russ gonna do some dumb shit. But I'm saying I don't believe he's just out there shot chucking. I don't believe he's like actively looking James Harden and Kevin Durant off, because a lot of the times he wasn't looking Kevin Durant off. So I'm saying like if they're both there,
he was.
I don't even want to get into that argument.
I think people ignore how much. I think a lot of people ignore how much Russ benefited Kevin Durant.
Oh, 100%. That part.
I do think there were you can go back and watch. There are times where Russ will take the ill-advised midi pull up in transition with KD filling the lane. It's like okay, but and there are times where he'll make some bad decisions. But there are also a lot of times because Kevin Durant was mainly an off-ball scorer at this point. Yes. When Russ was on the court, Kevin Durant was an off-ball guy. Russ was practically, I'm not going to say spoon-feeding him baskets, but Russ was making his life very easy.
That was going on, 100%.
Russ was making his life very easy, and I don't think Russ gets enough credit for that because of the bad decisions. But I think they benefited each other. I think they strongly benefited each other. I just think what was around them,
for sure,
ultimately became probably a bit too flawed to win. In terms of the championship.
And that's where it gets tricky.
KD said it the other day. He said, when I had Russ, I felt the most confident. Like, I knew Russ was going to come out there on some dog shit every time, and I didn't have to worry about that. And I knew, my man's is going to come attack you crazy. We had to pull him back sometimes. That's what KD said. We had to tell him, chill out a little bit, OG. That's literally KD's words.
Yeah, just like basketball players have flaws, I think right now we can all, admit Sam Presti, who's probably the best GM in basketball, back then, he didn't do a great job of building the roster around his 2 stars. He was very late to adapt a spacing model, and it made offense very tough for those teams. And he has grown since then, and he's become the best GM in basketball, you can argue. But back then, those rosters, they just didn't have any shooting. It made it very difficult.
And
that's why they lost in 2012.
Do you think they made a mistake keeping Serge over James?
I think they made a mistake not paying James. Serge Ibaka, he's nowhere near the player James is, but he was very impactful for their defense.
Sure.
I think that they didn't let it marinate long enough.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately, had they kept the 3, they would have probably eventually came to the decision that Russ was more so the odd man out than Harden and KD.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I think Harden and KD fit much better than Russ and KD.
And I think to your point, the fact that we hold these guys to the standard that we hold them with such flawed rosters, we expect them to do godly things with clearly a flawed roster. Now, to your point, Joel, with Sam Presti building that roster, he built that roster for what the game was. The problem was the Warriors, they changed the game like this. And now all of a sudden, you have to have guys who can stretch the defense. But wait a minute, we still winning. We're getting to the Western Conference Championship, and we're getting to the NBA Finals with our formula of basketball. And to Ox's point, there's different ways to win. Only except that wave was coming so fast that if you don't adapt to it, then you're over. And I feel like what the Golden State Warriors did was they changed the game so quickly that Sam Presti didn't really have the time. And I think that he was trying to do it because like he planned on paying James Harden. That was they offered James Harden a contract. I don't know if you guys know this, Jay, but they offered James Harden a contract. The difference was James Harden needed some time to think about it. He ended up passing, wanted to be the man. In Oklahoma City at that time, they ended up saving $30 million. That's a lot of dough in Oklahoma City in 2012.
Chill. I bet you if he can go back and do that again, he would have offered him everything he wanted to. Maybe
that's the case.
He 100% made a mistake, which is why I don't think he does the same thing with this iteration of the big three that they have.
Yeah.
I just feel like the game was changing so fast, and what Sam Presti was doing and not being able to adapt at that particular time, because we hadn't seen anything like what the Warriors were doing. I saw Phoenix Suns shooting the long ball, but not like what the Warriors, not like what the Warriors were doing.
No, yeah,
but chill.
And like this is the future of the game, and we're seeing it right in front of us right now. Like,
chill, the only
we
reason
gotta get with this.
The only reason that became the future of the game, which I mean, it still could have been, but I'm saying like OKC would have been that dynasty had they not sold their future to the Houston Rockets.
They wasn't shooting the basketball like them dudes.
I'm not chill. I'm not saying that. I'm not. Well, hold on though, because yeah, we got the Splash Bros, but what does James Harden and KD look like?
Does he turn into what he turned into in Houston? Ron? I mean, like
that's the biggest question.
Even if he doesn't get to a 35 point per game scorer, he's still James Harden.
Is he though, Ron? Because don't forget, in Houston, they gave him the ball.
In 2012, James Harden was getting busy.
He was getting busy though, Ron. But the difference is that in Houston, they gave him the ball in Houston. They're not giving him the ball in Oklahoma City with Russ and with Kevin Durant being there.
But him and Russ would have split it. But I don't think Harden becomes an MVP candidate, even though he still would have been good enough to be that.
Who Russ becomes, and KD doesn't become who he becomes.
I think that James Harden had already shown flashes up to that point. The Spurs series was like, this is a star. Like, you cannot let this go. And he clearly outplayed his role and should have started the very next year. Even if they kept all three of them together and the fit was a bit clunky and the roster was flawed around them, I think those three alone, talent alone, in that era where I don't think depth mattered as much as it does now, they would have won.
That's the problem, Joe. Like that part right there, like you just said, depth doesn't matter. We just saw what was going on with the Golden State Warriors, how that crew was being put together, how they were changing the game. And before they got KD, how deep that team was. So depth 100% would have mattered. And now what we asking KD, now what we asking Russ, now what we asking James Harden to do, beat that.
But chill,
that's why I think they could have beat that in 2014 and 2015. I think that big three could have beat that.
Yeah. And in 2016, they was already on the brink. They was up 3-1. Add James Harden on that team. Then what does the series look like? You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
James Harden instead of Robertson.
Yeah. But also, though, chill, we just seen the Heatles in their version of the big three where they were extremely top heavy. Now, yes, they had some depth, but they weren't going 10, 11, 12 deep.
They were 10. They had 10 guys though.
But what did their
16 before they got KD? They had 10 guys, Ron.
No. I'm talking about the Heat.
Oh, you're talking about the Miami Heat?
Yeah, the Miami Heat. They were 7, 8 guys. So I'm saying we just seen them with the three very good players, 3 all-stars, superstars, whatever you want to call them, and then the rest of their lineups was veteran minimums and stuff.
I'd like to think that Spo was a little bit better than what Billy Donovan was doing in terms of his rotation guys. I think that Spo wasn't Spo, but I think he was better than Billy Donovan during that time.
Probably. The point I'm trying to make is when you have they play against the Warriors. We have 3 of the best 4 players in the series going away. It's like, how are we going to beat this team? Yeah. It's just, I just think it just would have been too much with KD. And then you put 2 elite playmakers with Russ and James Harden who can get whatever they want.
Yeah.
I just believe that team does everything that the Warriors did. I think they get anywhere from 4 to 6 chips if they stay together.
I think that's asking a lot, but fair enough.
All right, y'all, we got a lot of super chats. So let's go ahead and see what the people have said about what we've been talking about over this last 2.5 hours. We've had a lot to talk about. So let's see what the people got to say. Average Joe has sent through 1 million super chats. So we're going to have to hear a lot of what he's been saying. But he said Curry was a 3-time champ, 2-time MVP, and was getting discredited. 2022 ring changed the conversation for him. LeBron winning post Miami changed it. Why are all these damn excuses for KD?
Once again, they weren't excuses. Mars were giving us reasons for why this happened. Those two things are not the same.
I also want to make it abundantly clear that I'm always of the belief that two wrongs don't make a right. I think it was wrong that Steph Curry was getting discredited as much as he was prior to 2022. And I think LeBron being discredited to this day is still wrong. So just because those guys get discredited does not mean I think it's justifiable to discredit Kevin Durant. I think it's wrong for them. I think it's wrong for Kevin Durant. I think it's wrong when people try to discredit Giannis's championship. I think it's wrong all around. So, Kevin Durant was the focus of the conversation, so I went on this diatribe. I think it's wrong.
Now, Mars might have given some reason, too, but there's a lot of excuses.
A lot of people do make excuses. A lot of people do make excuses.
I think the difference between
excuses, man.
I think the
That's what
difference
stands
between an
on the
excuse. I just think the difference between an excuse and a reason is excuses are repetitive. Like we keep hearing the same thing when it comes to excuses. That's why people. That's why people.
It's a lot of repetitive in KD's career.
That's why people go, man, this is some bullshit right here. And again, Ron, to your point, after Golden State, I could get with it because we keep seeing him jumping on teams where they got really good players, even though the unit isn't exactly built to win it. Plus, there's some misfortune with injuries. But like you keep hearing this over and over again. It becomes repetitive and it's kind of corny.
Chill. It's not so much like just repetitive. It's about intention. It's about like your intention or what are you trying to get across by saying this? Like, if are you accepting? Okay, yeah, I did this. This was wrong. Or are you saying, oh, it wasn't my fault because of? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's an excuse or is this a reason? Are you trying to weasel your way out of this? Are you trying to make it seem like it wasn't my fault? Are you trying to shift? Are you trying to shift blame, or sure. are you accepting? Yeah, that happened. I had to get better. Like when you do that, I think people expect basketball to be so perfect, and that's why I talk about as much as I can. Like building a perfect basketball player is crazy. I hate when people say, "Oh, well, he just got to get better at this." Well, he's not going to get better at that because you're not going to be a perfect basketball player.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, are you trying to make excuses and make it seem like, no, this guy is a god, he's perfect, but this happened? Or are you being realistic about the way the world works and about the way this person is as a human being? Yeah, he just didn't play that well, and when we lost.
Well, KD,
you know what I'm saying? Like, what are we have? What's happening here?
And KD did have rabbit ears, and KD was hearing you can't be the man on your own team, which would explain why he bounced after 2019 and went to play somewhere else, because he wanted to prove to everybody that I am good enough to be the man on a championship team. I am good enough to be the man and take a team to the championship. I was on this Golden State Warriors team. I know what it looks like to win. Now I can do this on my own, which goes back to my original theory. Well, why did you leave Oklahoma City in the first place then? Because you guys were on your way to doing that. Well, the reason why you did, because you couldn't get past the gatekeeper. That's what I think.
Chill. He had rabbit ears, but not only did he have that, he had Jezebel eyes.
Jeez.
Masinko G said 2011 Wade was better than 2011 Bron. Anyways, but carry on.
In the finals, yeah, I can get with that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely get with that.
He means in general, but
no, not overall, but in the NBA finals, yes, I can definitely get with that.
I'll accept it.
I'm sure you will.
I'll allow it. Cool.
All dubs, no L's said, fun fact, every NBA champ the last 9 years features a player traded from the Wizards on the roster. Go get a Wizard to win. Good shit, fellas. Keep up the good content.
How about that? In the last 9 years?
So 24 is Porzingis.
Yeah.
23 Thomas Bryant. 22 Otto Porter.
Thomas Bryant was on that Denver team?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on that Denver team. That's correct.
22 is Otto Porter Jr.
Sure.
21 Bucks.
Who from that team? That Wizards team? That's a good question.
It would have had to have been somebody that's was a lower level player, I'm assuming.
The Bucks in 21. Who is their rotation guys?
I think he's just sending this to. Doesn't he send a couple of these? I think he's doing this because
Drink more water said Bobby Poyes. Drink more water said Bobby Poyes.
It's because of the shooting.
When did Bobby Portis play for Washington?
He was in Washington for a little bit in like 2020 or something.
So I think he's kind of like he sends a couple more of these, right? He said something about Magic Johnson and these super chats.
2020 Lakers is KCP.
Yep.
Like he's
2019 Raptors.
Does that count though if he played for them after the Lakers championship?
Would that be Bobby Portis?
KCP.
Oh, KCP? Yeah, he got traded, right? He got traded to
traded
Washington
after,
for Russ.
yeah.
Yeah, he got traded. I don't think that counts. No, that's not the same thing. He didn't come from Washington to Los Angeles. No, that's not the same thing.
Didn't Dwight play for? No.
Dwight Howard did play
for Washington.
Yes, he did.
Okay, it was.
Yes, he
That's
did.
a good
All right,
one.
we'll go with Dwight.
Yeah.
Okay,
JaVale too, right?
Yeah, JaVale.
JaVale got traded.
2019 Toronto. Who played for the Wizards?
What you call it? I was about no, that's not him. Who played for them?
Otto Porter. Was he on the Raptors? Is that who he at?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't on the
Nah, I don't think so.
2019 Toronto.
That's a good question.
Kawhi didn't. Lowry didn't. Siakam didn't. Marc Gasol didn't.
Nope.
CJ Miles.
Jody Meeks.
Jody Meeks. Oh yeah, Jody Meeks. That's a good one. Jody Meeks was on the Wizards.
Shout out Jody Meeks.
2018 we go back to JaVale. 2017 we go back to JaVale. 2016 Cavs, is that 9 years back? Have we gone too far?
Yeah, that's 9 years. 15, 16.
Okay, 15, 16 Cavs.
Who was on that crew? So James, Irv, Kevin Love, J.R. Smith, Tristan Thompson. Who are their rotation guys at that
Richard
time?
Jefferson. He
didn't play for them.
I mean, he didn't play for the Wizards.
Timothy Mozgov, right? Oh, yeah, Mozgov, right?
Mozgov was in 15. He wasn't on that 16 team.
I don't think Mozgov played for the Wizards.
Oh, he said Nick Young was on this?
Nick Young wasn't.
He's talking about for the Warriors. He's talking about for the Warriors.
I don't think 16. I think we're going back from. I think it's 17 onwards. I think it's 17 onwards because at 16, I don't think they had one.
Yeah,
I might be bugging, but I don't think 16 had one.
Interesting. Wow, that's interesting, Ron.
Yeah, I think it's 2017.
The Blazers just got Danny Avdija, so you know they up next. Blazers FC.
Yeah.
Or it could be the.
We just got Jonas Valanciunas though, Mars. We just got J Val, so.
Jordan Poole apparently might get traded.
Average Joe with another super chat said that Minnesota series had nothing to do with offense. Suns were giving up 120 points a game, and that's an indictment on the offense wins championships mentality of your best players, a la KD.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue was their defense. I just think in terms of Kevin Durant was the same level of athlete as he was in years prior. I think you can't get away with cat guarding him in single coverage, which I think ultimately changes the dynamic of the series. So in terms of what Kevin Durant could do, I think it was that. The biggest issue was their defense. That was their biggest issue. Like when I say the flaws of Kevin Durant within the series, that wasn't me saying that Kevin Durant was the reason they lost. That was just saying Kevin Durant, this was what was in his control, what he could have been better. Ultimately, I don't think that's the difference between them winning and losing the series. But I do think that's what part Kevin Durant has to play in the outcome. That's it.
Masinko said, since you want to be nasty, Ron, no double-digit assist guy other than Bron in 2020, has won a title since Magic Johnson.
That's fact.
Did Hallie average 10 assists this year?
Nah, I think he averaged 9.8.
But
I mean, damn near.
Damn near.
That's 10.
That's actually damn near. Yeah.
That's 10. Right.
It's 9.2 actually.
9.2. That's not it.
Yeah.
Average double digits in the playoffs.
Does he?
I know he was at like
9.3. He's very consistent.
Damn.
He's very consistent.
Shout out,
All right, man. That's 10 as far as I'm concerned.
That's damn near a double. Damn near.
Michael with a super chat and said, I hate that KD went to Golden State because all it did was give people an excuse to lie about how good he was.
I think that's what happens. Yeah, I think that's what happens.
No, to give people an excuse about how good he was? Well, wait a minute.
So he's saying that KD's not as good as people say he is.
Yes, he is.
That's not.
No, I think
that's what he's saying.
Yes,
I think that's what
I
he's trying to
didn't
say.
interpret it that way. I didn't interpret it that way. But
That's
if
not what he
the way
said.
meant, then I did.
Just don't let
I
Ron.
definitely did. I definitely
No,
did.
Jay,
I think that's what he's saying. He's wrong.
So
He's
Jay,
wrong.
what-
He's wrong.
Yes.
If that's what he's saying, though. Like
Yeah, I
believe
definitely
that's
didn't
what he said, but
interpret
that's
it that
wrong.
way. I interpret it
Give
as
people an excuse to lie about how good you were.
No, like
Yeah.
he's saying, like
I
that
think people
people
are
get this shit
saying-
on KD because
Yeah.
he went to Golden State.
Yeah,
So
that's
now
how
you
I
No,
guys-
but then
interpret
you would say it the other way. That's a line. That's lying about how bad he is, or lying that he's not
that-
as good. You know what I'm saying? If
Right.
you say lie about how good I am, that means you think I'm not that good.
But he's saying other people.
I
think
don't think so.
and people are lying.
I interpret it differently. We'll never know, I guess. Open to interpretation.
Michael, if you can send through another super chat or just comment in the chat and let us know exactly what you meant about that. But I know what you meant. You're basically saying without Golden State, KD wouldn't be worth a goddamn. But anyways, Jamaica's Ross Clot Choice sent through a members chat and said this offseason finna be a nasty yap sesh. Jesus.
Yeah, these days in between finals games have been a
Yeah,
yap sesh. So imagine the
bumbuckler, you go.
offseason.
Why you go then you want to hear us, huh?
All right, Vibes
Yeah,
Cartel.
bumbuckler.
Average Joe said if Kobe's only rings were the ones with Shaq, he would not be talked about the same. KD not having postseason success after the Golden State Warriors is why he's getting discredited. Just one kills all of this noise.
That's a fact.
I think the
Before
noise is
or
stupid.
after.
But the thing is, like, if you compare him to people like Kobe, and it's like okay, but like people talk about him crazy, like he's not one of the all-time greats, and that's crazy to me.
When it matters.
We got another super chat or members chat from 7 Gram Swish. 7 Gram Swish said, "Do y'all hate KD that much because he cooked Braun?"
No.
I've been jumping all over this conversation. You know what I'm saying? From like, because I believe KD is as great as y'all think he is, but I do think it's a little fishy that, you know what I'm saying, he can't do it without Steph in him. You know what I mean? I got to hold it go both ways for me. You know what I'm saying? But KD, I think he is as good as y'all say he is, though.
He's not perfect. He hasn't had a perfect career for sure, but he's nice. One of the best.
Not many people have. Shout out to my great Bill Russell.
My GOAT, Bill Russell.
The Trib One said, between Chet and J-Dub, who would y'all keep next to Shea for the long haul, or do you just hope the increase or remove of the apron cap? I'd keep Chet.
I ain't trying to think about who has to leave. Like, let
Me
them stay together first, and we'll cross that bridge when the time comes. But my first instinct, I'll get rid of Shea. Keep J-Dub and Chet. Yeah. Flip the script. Yeah.
I'm keeping Chet.
Me too.
I'm keeping both of them.
I ain't mad at that.
Yeah. that wasn't the question. But,
Am I the only one that's choosing J-Dub?
Yep.
I think if you take injuries into account, you might feel more comfortable just keeping J-Dub.
take injuries out. Who you taking?
Chet.
All right, bet.
I think
Yeah,
Chet's
do
better.
know
I think
J-Dub
Chet's
is
better
better
now
than-
and tomorrow. and
You can
next
find
year.
another
better
Chet.
than J-Dub right now.
Yeah,
Ron, you
disagree.
can
I've been
find
very
another Chet. We
consistent
keep
on
it
it.
J Dub. You can find another Chet.
And I actually feel the opposite, Ox. You can
Where
find
are the
another
other
J
Chet?
Dub. You ain't finding another Chet.
Any
Where's the other
plays
Chet?
in
San Antonio wearing number one.
Ain't no thing.
Where is Mars?
Plays in San Antonio, we're number one.
And I'm sorry, he does what? He plays where?
In San Antonio.
That's
Yeah,
one
he didn't
guy.
play for us. No.
Chill. Call up Washington and ask what they want for Alex R.
That's another Chet team.
Low key. Don't do
Click.
that. It's a bunch of
Might as
it's a
well.
bunch of Chets
Call
running around the league.
up Miami.
No,
and see
there's
if we can
not.
get- Call up Miami and see if we can get Khalil Ware.
Khalil Ware?
I love Khalil Ware, by the way. I do.
But he's
on,
Chet. He's Chet.
I love
Nick
him.
Claxton right over there.
Okay,
Nick
man.
Claxton.
That's
can't
Chris
do it.
Bosh.
He can't even
Come
do
on,
it.
that's Chris Bosh. That ain't
Nick
Chet.
Claxton right over there.
Nick Claxton cannot grab a rebound and dribble up the court, bro. Come on now.
You ain't seen Nick Claxton in
Yes,
college,
he
but that's
can.
cool. I don't
Yes, he
blame
can.
Mm.
Yes,
I
he
You
can.
ain't- you ain't-
he
you ain't
can,
seen Nick
but
Claxton at
You're not.
Georgia.
Yes,
Okay,
he can.
so now we're living with Nick Claxton grabbing a rebound and running offense.
Ain't the Cavs?
No.
Ain't the Cavs?
We're not comfortable with that, Jay. Let's
That's what
change
he
it.
did.
Wait, don't
We're
the
not
Cavs
doing
want to
that,
try to
Jay.
come off of Jared Allen? I'd rather have Jared Allen anyway.
Hey, and that's no
Chet?
cap. Yeah.
What?
Hey, can we get through the
I'm
Super
taking Jared
Yeah.
over Chet for sure.
Can we get through the super chats?
Well, if I'm a Cavs fan, I would love for them to send that one through.
Shifty Mike said if SGA keeps scoring at this clip in the finals, where does this series rank all time? We just did this yesterday.
It wouldn't make the 10 that we had personally. It wouldn't go over the 10.
Would it be better than any of the honorable mentions?
It would. I don't think it's better than 22 Steph.
So what do you need? Like a 50 ball?
He might need another. He might
Something like
need
that.
more than a 50.
I don't know what he needs. I'm gonna be honest. I have to see it unfold, and then maybe.
And we
my
need more
opinion changes.
from. We also need more from J Dub too. Like J
50s
Dub
in a
shooting like
game
30,
winner.
he's shooting like 30% for the series, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, I have to see it unfold. I can't. Yeah, maybe I don't know. It
And
could
we
be
need
number
more
one.
action too, Ron. Like if they walk right bottom dudes. I mean, is this an all-time great
well,
series?
Hey, Mark,
Dominating is good.
Yeah, I love dominating.
You rather have the big fella up here in Portland? You rather have the big fella in Portland or Chet?
Oh, Klingon?
Yeah, Clinton. Yeah.
Oh my god, I thought you was trying to. Oh
DeAndre
my
Ayton.
god, sorry.
Hell no.
No, I'd rather have Chet.
Robert Williams?
That's the biggest injury. Oh my god, but I'd rather have Chet. I'm really high on Chet. Like I think Chet's in that Evan Mobley tier. Like that's where I think Chet is. So I'm higher on Chet than you guys.
Okay.
All right. OG team said Hallie makes one shot while his team does the majority of the work, willing him back into the game, and Hallie gets all the credit. Shaking my head.
No, he doesn't.
That's a real simple way to put that.
Hallie does get a lot of the credit for
Yeah, he does.
his team game, but
Be True 23 said also with Tatum being out, presumably for the season, how aggressive should teams be in the East during free agency and the trade market?
I think
I'd be
he's-
very aggressive. If I'm a contender, by the way, all the news out of Milwaukee is saying that Giannis is trying to stay. So, and the Bucks aren't trying to trade him. Now, I don't know if that's true. I'm just saying that's the reports. So, if I'm the Bucks, I'm trying to get a contender around him. If I'm the Sixers, each year is the last year. I'm trying. Cleveland, I'm trying. The Knicks, I'm trying. Indy, obviously. If I'm Detroit, maybe I'll try and find something to try to get us into that group. Like, I think a lot of teams are going to be quite aggressive. Orlando, yeah. I'd be very aggressive if I'm in the
It's going to be an interesting East.
Yeah, and the Celtics got to some of their players, don't they?
Yeah. Especially with the Knicks taking a step back, it's gonna be interesting out East.
Celtics got to lose Porzingis and Drew Holiday, right?
I'd assume that's who I'd be trying. If I'm Boston, I'm trying to get off KP and Drew. If I'm in Boston.
Cowboy Bob said, "I think Hallie will have 30 plus, but it's when he's not. It's when he's hot. His team needs to hold the line. You lucky you lost a bet. I was going to suspend your Knicks ID. LOL. Go New York, go."
He would not be wearing that if it wasn't for the bet. He would not be.
It could just be a nice shirt.
No.
I'll make another bet that Hallie doesn't sniff 30 this series.
Define sniffing 30. What's almost 30?
Get him right.
28.
Damn. So if someone scores 23, is that almost 30?
No.
26.
Well, sniffing it that depends 100% on your
26
snot
might be
locker. Like, what type of nose you got, Mark? If you give me a loud 24, I'll say, man, bro, I almost had 30.
With them 7.7 assists loud.
Well, that's about 9, so that's almost 10.
The comments agree with Chill, but I'm not surprised. But that 7.7 ain't no damn near 10. I'm sorry.
Trey Guap became a YouTube member today. Shout out to Trey Guap. And then he sent through a super chat and said 2020 Bron averaged 25.3 points per game and 10.2 assists per game. So that earlier super chat is right about double-digit assists, guys.
I think him and Magic are the only ones that have ever won. And they've averaged double-digit assists that season.
It's elite company right there.
Didn't Jamal Murray do it in the finals?
He averaged 10 in the finals, yeah, but over the season.
For the season. Mm-hmm. I don't think Oscar did it. Nope. Mm-mm.
What was Ray John averaging?
In 08, maybe like 6, 7.
Yeah.
6, 7. Mm-hmm.
Which is damn near 10.
Which is damn near 10.
MTHJ301 said, watch some Stockton tape, and Chill is right. He has the most secure driving right vertical dribble I might have ever seen.
6.5 in the past. I wish Jordan was here when Swapper was talking about vertical dribbles. I wish he was here. He's talking about Derrick Rose and D-Wade have the best vertical handle. I'm like, okay.
Shout out Swiper and shout out Vertical Handles.
Did you guys see the video of Swiper's
Yeah.
smelling salts?
Yeah, see, Swiper an untrustworthy individual, man. I don't know why he's trying to fight my guy, man. I don't know why he's trying to do that.
Swiper
Did
be
you
back
see
here
it,
tomorrow.
He's over here cracking up.
Swiper handled that very well too.
Like, chill out.
He did.
I was, you know.
Chill out. Just
Swiper is
Sorry, my
just-
fault.
He was pissed too.
Swiper was
You know
like,
what you did.
Swiper was like, no heat, bro. You know what you did though.
Swiper was pissed.
Well, yeah, he'll be up here tomorrow. We'll talk to him about that and what was going through his head.
That's my worst nightmare to get this approach in public for like a prank.
Be True 23 said, missed the beginning of the show. Who do y'all have winning tonight? I know Oxy
OKC.
and Pacers.
Okay, see.
OKC's winning 3 straight.
take the Pacers.
I know one thing.
Jay a
Well-
Midwest dude too. I think that got something to do with it.
They at the crib. I'm telling you, game 3. They go. This series going back to Oklahoma City 2-2.
That's what I want to happen. I want the series to be as long as possible, but I go OKC.
I do know one thing, y'all. I don't know where you gonna be tonight, but I know where we gonna be tonight on Playback, watching Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Y'all better pull up because we got some guests coming, and quite frankly, it's just gonna be a good ass time. So y'all come check out the game with us tonight. NBA Finals. We'll see you there. Next super chat that we got is from B True 23. B True said, "Missed the beginning of the show. Who do y'all?" Average Joe said, "I just want to say that Deion Waiters does not get enough slander for 2016. Roberson's name gets thrown around, and it's really Deion."
Yeah, I can't remember what game it was. Like Dion was seen as like the answer to come in and solve the offensive problems. That man came in, jacked up like 3 straight pull-up threes and got subbed out. I was like, okay.
It was
Man,
game
I
two.
was a big fan of Deion Waiters.
Shout out
I was
Cheese.
too.
Yeah, shout out.
Big fan of Deion Waiters.
NBA champion.
Man.
Average Joe said, "If Caruso and OKC can have the best version of Jokic in hell, why can't they do that to Dirk?"
Oh, come on.
Dirk's a better scorer than Jokic.
Better
And
in
I
the mid
think
range, better off the bounce.
I also think a big reason why Jokic struggled was Denver's inability to throw entry passes. Jason Kidd can throw an entry pass.
That's true, Mars. But, and I know y'all can agree or disagree. Dirk is going to be more physical and use
He'll
his body
command
to
his
get
space.
open.
He'll command his space.
Then Joker? I don't think you give
Yes,
him. I
yes.
don't think you give
No,
Joker
but
enough credit for how
it's
physical
not.
Joker is.
So, but this is the thing. We can't talk about it like, oh, he's a physical player, so he's physical all the time. I've seen Jokic throw his weight around, but when Alex Caruso was bumping him, I see Jokic flopping, falling, and looking for foul calls instead of a certain dominance, putting the elbows in chest and getting the little guy off and give me some space. And I know Swiper said he was afraid he was going to get offensive fouls, but I think Dirk would have been more willing to put an elbow in the chin, like, little man, watch out. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is my area. I'm gonna command my area and I'm gonna get the ball. A lot of entry passes is having a target to throw the ball to. If a guard has ball pressure on them, and then the person they're trying to pass to is getting partially fronted, or the man they're trying to get around, I can't just throw the ball in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, where do you want it? Like, give me a target. If you don't have a target, I'm risking the turnover now. So I just think, I don't think. I wish you would put Alex Caruso on Dirk Nowitzki. And I don't care who's backside help.
He's shooting right over. Yeah, he does. The backside help doesn't mean anything when he doesn't need to turn into the backside help.
Love Caruso to do Dirk fading his ass.
This what this looks like, Ox, for the second time in the second quarter. The third time in the second quarter.
They have no one for Dirk.
Timeout.
You get the ball to Dirk. He's just shooting over the top of you.
And I love Alex Caruso.
Jokic is a really good scorer, but Jokic has to face the defense, and Jokic has to get into the paint and like the floaters and stuff. Like Dirk will just shoot over the top of you. Like Dirk, 18 feet will just shoot over the top of you. That's not Jokic's game. Like Embiid is more of that than Jokic. Like that's not what Jokic does. But that's why I think what you need to do to score against OKC.
And in 2011, Dirk was filled out. He wasn't the skinny. He wasn't a kid no more. He was filled out. Dirk was huge.
Yeah,
Dirk, there's nothing little about Dirk Nowitzki. He is a huge person, and he was filled out by.
And he just shoots better than Jokic. He's a better shooter than.
He was a grown up. 100%.
Yeah, y'all. Well, if only Jokic really had Hakeem Olajuwon block work, maybe he would have been able to make it out that series.
Ron, you so nasty, yo. I swear.
I'm not. I didn't say I didn't put him in Hakeem's table when it comes to footwork. Average Joe. Oh, and by the way, we're definitely going to do that segment sometime this summer. Fellas, you guys are invited back up. Los has to be here. The table segment. We got to figure out how many people sit at each table.
I think that's interesting, yeah.
We got to do every table.
We got to do every table.
Five. We got to do 5 tables.
As long as Bill Russell won that GOAT table.
How many people at each table?
That's what we got to figure out.
Some tables can be bigger than others.
7, 8. We got to make it equal.
No, it doesn't. I'm going to be honest. Spoiler alert. I feel like table 1 should only have like 4 people at most. But like table 2 can have like 7 people. Like, I'm not just going to start putting people in LeBron and MJ's tier just to make up numbers. Like, nah, that tier should maybe only have like 4 people.
Yeah.
That table. That's Granny and him though. That's That's
and you better
MJ.
Not come Ox. And you better not come over here.
Don't even go over there. MJ
got about 5 legit people that can sit at his table though.
You better not
MJ,
come over
Kareem.
Bill Russell.
There's a table reserved for the old heads.
I'm trying to hear
Wilt, Bill Russell. They're going to be in their own separate table. Yes.
But Ron, when you do that, Ron, make sure you have a kiddie table, but also have a high chair section too, because that's
the
for the babies. You know what I'm saying? That's for the babies.
Average Joe said, Ron, this is a bad take. Historically, scoring champions don't win titles. ... Jordan is the exception, hence his GOAT status. Chill, please educate them.
That is true. Jordan.
What did Ron say?
Shaq
I just brought up a list.
You just showed the list. You said nothing about the list.
Jay, sometimes you got to shoot the messenger, brother.
I respect that because he did start this whole discourse with that fucking list. You started.
Y'all seen 300? Like, why would you bring that message in here?
Average Joe said again. ... KD himself said in 2006 said his 2016 Oklahoma City team wasn't good enough to win a title. Is that not an indictment on him?
I don't think his opinion is an indictment on him as a player. No.
People trying to discredit KD for anything, bro.
I can disagree with Kevin Durant's opinion. That doesn't make him a worse basketball player. Merry Christmas, Joe.
See y'all tomorrow, y'all.
Right. See you tonight, Chill.
That's what I mean when I say it becomes not about basketball. If Kevin Durant's own individual opinion about basketball makes him a worse basketball player in your mind,
then Shaq sucked.
Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm sorry. I have my opinion. My opinion might disagree with KD's opinion. That doesn't make KD a better or worse player.
I mean, tonight, Ron, my fault. Yeah.
See you tonight, Chill.
There you go.
See you tonight, brother. Yep.
All Dubs No L said if OKC.
No, my fault. Keep going.
If OKC and Seattle's history runs concurrently, if SGA wins a title, according to ESPN, he is the best player in the franchise history.
The NBA attributes them concurrently. OKC view themselves as an individual, as a separate entity.
No, Seattle views itself as an individual entity.
Some weird reason.
Either way, SGA, if he wins.
But SGA will be the greatest Thunder player of all time. Seattle's not going to claim SGA, and OKC is not going to attribute SGA to Seattle.
They shouldn't. It makes sense.
Obviously.
Seattle's going to get their own team soon, too, again.
And it's a disgrace.
Gary Payton clears. That's all I know.
They don't deserve nothing. Take away that WNBA team, too.
Shit,
all right, y'all. Yeah, we're not doing
that's
that
crazy.
Average Joe said, if Braun gets criticized for his Legion moves, why doesn't KD bring in DeAndre Jordan to the Nets when they had Jared Allen, trading depth for Harden and Bill, etc.?
I feel like he does get criticized for the moves.
I don't think LeBron is the GM. I don't think LeBron is the GM of his team, and I don't think Kevin Durant's the GM of his team.
My thing is if they are, and I've said this before, That's not LeBron's fault. That's not KD's fault. That's the GM in ownership. That's their fault. If you get a GMs are supposed to GM. Players are supposed to play. Now, if you're allowing a player to dictate what you do, that's you're doing your job. You're doing your GM job, letting them dictate whatever. So you're a bad GM if you allow that to happen.
That also, once again, doesn't make Kevin Durant a worse basketball player. Like, even if Kevin Durant was the de facto GM of these teams, he was the de facto GM of the Nets. And I do believe the superstars get asked for input on deals. I think that in certain situations, I think that happens, obviously. That doesn't make Kevin Durant a worse basketball player, which, once again, it becomes not about Kevin Durant playing basketball when it's about Kevin Durant. Same thing with LeBron. If LeBron is manufacturing all these trades, he was responsible for Russell Westbrook, blah, blah, blah. You would also then have to give him credit for getting Luka. Like, you'd have to work both ways.
And Shepherd JR.
But even if he was, the good moves don't make him a better basketball player, and the bad moves don't make him a worse basketball player. Like, if we're talking about basketball, it makes you a bad GM. Sure, LeBron's not a good GM. KD's not a good GM. Sure, doesn't make him a worse basketball player. Michael Jordan was a bad NBA owner. That doesn't make him a worse basketball player. Same philosophy.
Mo sent through a super chat, and you guys already know what's coming with this. He said Harden is a good playoff performer. He's just bad in elimination games.
I think Harden plays well in the playoffs. I think he drops. I think people call playoff dropping playing badly. And I don't agree with that philosophy. I think Harden plays like a very good NBA player.
And then he has terrible moments.
Yeah, absolutely terrible games. Terrible. Stinkers. Atrocious. Abysmal. Whatever adjective you want to use.
And it's just like when you get elevated to the level that we elevate James Harden, and then you have those stinkers, it's double hard.
Shout out Harden. Is he at KD's table half the time? Is he a part-time KD tabler?
He had them stripper tables the other half. So, you know.
He's not at KD table.
Okay. Average Joe has a table that maybe he might be sitting at. I don't know. You guys tell me. He said, what table is Karl Malone at? It can't be the kids' table. Not again.
He's not wrong.
Let's just keep going.
He's not wrong. That's all I'll say. He's not wrong.
Worth Living said Shea is 26. KD was 23. And what did Russ do in the finals? Nothing. And what did Harden do? Nothing.
I feel like Russ's finals performance is being drastically underrated.
Yeah, one game he went off.
43, I think. Like, James Harden was bad.
Very bad.
KD was amazing. Russ gets labeled as he had just like this abysmal series. I just don't think that's the case. But
he just had threes.
I'm not saying he was amazing. I just think it's underrated.
Average Joe with yet another super chat. He said, basically, post Golden State Warriors, KD's grandest moment was his foot on the line in the second round. Amazing for the greatest scorer ever. All right, I'm done. He's actually not done, but
okay.
Amazing efficiency.
Mark,
I'm not saying Russ wasn't bad. I'm saying it wasn't an all-time bad performance. I've seen someone say Russ had the worst finals performance ever. And I just don't agree with it. I think Russ was pretty much in line with what he'd been doing in the playoffs. I don't think he played like that much worse than he did in the playoffs. Russ was a flawed player whose flaws got shown on the biggest stage, but he didn't just fall off a cliff. He was Russ Westbrook in the finals. The same Russell Westbrook he was in the conference finals against the Spurs. The same Russell Westbrook he was against the Lakers. He was Russell Westbrook. But for some reason, he was fine all the way up into the finals. He just fell off a cliff. I don't think that was what happened. That's why I disagree. I think it's underrated in that regard. Not that he played great. I just think he played like Russell Westbrook, and somehow people think he played worse. I don't think that's the case. That's it. Sorry. Go ahead.
Mark Kin said Mars went from excusing the Thunder being the favorite against the Heat to then turn around and try to make the Warriors versus Cavs seem closer because of narrative. Is this what you did, Mars?
I don't think so. What I said was the Warriors were the favorites in 17. The conversation, like the conversation from fans, the betting odds say OKC were the favorites in 2012. The fans were saying that the Heat were going to fall, blah, blah, blah. The conversation, the betting odds said the Warriors were overwhelming favorites against the Cavs. The fans were not saying that. That's what I'm saying. Not in overall, not to the same degree as the betting odds. The Warriors were obviously the favorites. I never said they weren't. What I said was the conversation was a lot closer then people seem to remember. And then they got mopped, and then everyone was like, "Oh yeah, it was obvious. It was obvious." That's not how it was being viewed by everyone at the time. That's what I said.
EB Sports Talk said KD sent Kobe and the Spurs home at 23. Please stop the cap, and he was the best player in the world. Went on Golden State.
I don't agree with you. I mean, the Thunder sent the Lakers and Spurs home, yes. And then I don't think KD was the best player in the world. I think LeBron was the best player in the world.
LeBron and then Steph. And then Kawhi. Average Joe said he was done again, but he's not done. He said can't name 15 players more quote unquote talented than T-Mac. That being said, that man isn't even close to being a top 50 guy. T-Mac isn't even over Melo. Stop it.
I think T-Mac's better than Melo was.
Carmelo didn't really have that much success, especially in New York. He didn't have any success.
Well,
They got to the second round that one time.
you can't rank
Was
T-Mac.
it 2013 or 2012? They got to the second round.
2012, 2013.
You mean talent wise, right? You saying T-Mac was more talented, or you saying like he didn't have no better career? That's
I think he's a better player.
I think T-Mac is a better player too.
I don't care about who had the better career.
I got Melo, bro. Denver Melo was way better.
I don't agree.
Way?
Yeah, I don't agree.
T-Mac.
I'm taking 03 T-Mac over any year of Melo. I think T-Mac.
That's what's up.
If Doc Rivers wasn't an asshole, y'all would be. Well, I'll tell
George
you what.
Carl wasn't an asshole. Melo was that man when he was in.
Melo was 100%.
Absolutely. I mean,
we
talking about two elite players. Absolutely. I just think T-Mac's better.
Speaking of Doc, Jay Greedo
made the finals.
Jay Greedo said
Good,
Doc
2013.
and Rick in the same tier. KD and James Harden, same tier. Yeah, this dude might actually be brain dead. Is this supposed to be engagement farming? El guest.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Boy, Los just trying to start some conversation, man.
Shout out Los, man, for real. Came in and turned it up.
I like that about Los. I feel like we the same way as far as like we'll talk about anything. You know what I'm saying? Like we could discuss it.
Shout out to T-Mac, shout out to D-Wade, and shout out to Kawhi. And shout out to Dominique. He became a YouTube member today. Shout out to Shifty Mike, also became a YouTube member today. Shout out to Dory Uchiha.
Uchiha. It's from Naruto.
Dory Uchiha. Shout out to Dory Uchiha.
Lock in, bro. Lock in.
And then also shout out to all of our Hall of Famers as well. We can't go an episode without shouting out Cheese, Braden, Arch, Joe Breezy, Minor, Rob Deere, Teddy Hart, Jason Grillionaire, Worldwide Mace Television, and my man Moti Kenny. Salute to all of them. And salute to MP13 for sending through another super chat and said, I promise you, us Knicks aren't this dumb generally. What's he talking about?
Shams just reported that the Knicks don't have a direct pathway to finding a next head coach. They've tried to interview other head coaches from other teams and they've gotten declined.
Keep saying no.
Yeah, so go find a head coach that's unemployed. I don't know why they keep trying to steal coaches.
What's up with that? Is that like I don't like that. Like, what you?
I have no idea.
My coach for, bro. Like,
could you imagine if a team traded coaches like midseason? Like,
yeah, that'd be crazy.
Season
the Knicks it feels like there's no.
I think more teams should start considering that. You know what I'm saying? When we doing trade deadlines and stuff, throw a coach in there. You know what I'm saying? Assistant coach, head coach. I think that's perfectly fine.
I think that'd be interesting.
I think our coach lines up with your philosophy and your team better than ours does. I think they'll fit better over here. Y'all can take my head coach. Just give me that head.
Give me 2 assistants and a first round pick.
right. Because I like him. You know what I'm saying? Like, right.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Y'all trying to steal coaches though.
They still
it's a trade.
Well, he talking about the Knicks.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Oh yeah, right. That is crazy. That's nuts.
Yeah, but good luck. I think you guys will find somebody good. The Trib One said consistent logic is honest logic. If you are inconsistent with your logic, there is a bias that's stopping you from consistency. It's okay to be a hater.
Like that's all I'm saying. I understand sports aren't entirely logical. Like if sports were logical, quite frankly, you could just look at a spreadsheet and be like, this team is going to win, this team is going to lose. If sports were just logical and they followed the numbers and that pathway, That's all that would happen. And I think we love sports because it's not random, but it's illogical. Anything can happen. We love sports because of it. But our opinions on said sports, in my opinion, have to be logical. Especially if we're trying to defend our opinions. Like, I feel like sports and our opinions on them aren't one and the same. Our opinion on the sport has to be logical. I think our opinions in general have to be logical. That's how I feel.
I think your opinion has to have some basis to it. I think it does, but I think when you're backing up your opinion, I think sometimes we can stray away from logic just because what we're talking about isn't fully logical.
But can you directly contradict yourself?
Well, no, just based on the human element, just because there's a human element to this, I don't think every time I defend my point or my take, it's not gonna be logical. So that's why sometimes it's kind of hard. Like, I don't know why. I can't really explain it, but like sometimes that's my answer. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with that.
I don't know, bro. It's just like
sometimes you don't know, and I'm very guilty of that myself. Like, there's things I just don't know, and I'll either be quiet or I'll just say I don't know. What I issue with, like, you can't say one thing. Like,
wait, Mars, wait. But look, what I'm saying, I'm asking you real quick. You don't ever sometimes have a take like, I believe this, and then somebody says why, and you like, I don't know. I can't really explain why he's better at that, or why this happens, or why this person makes his team better. Like, I don't know really, but you can see it,
There are things that sometimes I'll say without like thinking too much about it, like something I have like as a passing thought, and I'll say it out loud, and then like someone will ask me why, and then I have to try to think about it, and I'll either end up walking the thing back, like, okay, now that I've thought about it some more, maybe I don't think that, or I'll try to come up with a reason. I try to, for the most part, I try to not say things without thinking them through first. So a lot of my takes now, there's like a few get through the cracks here and there where I get excited and animated, and I just start saying things. I'm like, I haven't even actually thought this through. And then you'll see me come back a few days later, like, yeah, I probably don't actually believe that. So like, I try to just make sure most things or most opinions I have are things I've thought through before. But like the one I can go to, I haven't watched enough. So I'm not like dying on the hill. But I do think Paige Beckers is better than Caitlin Clark. Like, I think she's better. But I haven't watched enough to where I'm willing to die on that hill. But from my very limited scope, I think she's better. And that's something that I think, but it's not something I'm willing to defend with consistent logic right now. If I watch more, either my opinion will change, or I'll have like concrete things to say. But that's what I think. I think right now, very limited scope of games, very limited scope of WNBA understanding. I think she's better. Now, if the more I watch, that opinion could do a full 180. Like, is what it is.
I didn't even realize I'm muted. Let me be the first to tell you, brother. You better hope they don't clip that and put that on the internet. All right.
Oh no, it's what it is. What it is. I don't care.
As a mob. They move as a mob, and that page.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Like I said, I mean, I don't care. It's fine. It's something that I said I'm not willing to die on because I don't know if I truly believe that yet. I haven't watched enough. It's just a passing thought I've had, and when I've watched them, like, I think she's better. But like the more I watch, that opinion could definitely change. And I'm not like, if someone comes back, 2 months from now, remember what you said? Like, I might not believe it in 2 months. I don't know. It's just right now, that's something that's like I thought about a little bit, but I haven't gone in depth to stand on it. So that's where I'm.
I know what Ox is saying. It's kind of like when Los was saying that, he thinks that Kawhi is better than KD because of the winning, but he thinks McGrady is better than KD because of just like the talent, So I think there's logic behind both statements. Is it consistent? No, but there is logic behind both statements.
Yeah, and people don't like that.
And that's what it is right there too, though, Joel. Because it's hard to be consistent with so much human element involved. Like, there's certain things that there's certain criteria where you need to stand strong in that consistency. But when it comes to, especially when it comes to like player ranking, and you got 15, 20 players, you're trying to figure out who's better. It's like, I think he's better than him. And we've had this conversation plenty of time, Mars.
A is better than B, B's better than C, but C's not better than A.
He's not, you know what I'm saying? And that happens. And it's like, and that's why it's so frustrating. It's like, bro, I can't really explain that right now, just talk about it. But there's a reason why I feel that way. Now, it's a logical reason. I just can't explain it.
My thing, too, though, is like, we talking basketball, we talking debates and all of that. It's nothing wrong with being wrong. If you standing on business with being wrong, all right, cool. Like, it's some people that think Shea's better than Jokic. I'm like,
if you get proven wrong and you still just start standing on nonsense, at some point it's like, all right, just give up.
Hey, but my thing is, my thing is though, if you believe that in your heart of hearts, Who's to tell you wrong? Like if somebody really comes up here and says, I believe Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is better than Jokic, and we debate them tooth and nail for 3 hours, and we're cooking them, but they giving their reasons, they right to them.
Chris Webber.
Look, hold on, no, I seen that.
Yesterday. That was crazy, brother. But hey.
I seen that clip last night though, and I must say, I don't think Chris Webber's better than Jokic, but I do believe that this team is just as good with Chris Webber.
Who?
Y'all can feel how y'all feel?
The Nuggets?
Yes. Chris Webber would slaughter this era. Chris Webber's averaging 28 and 13. And he might not average 10 assists, but he gonna give you about 7, 8 assists.
Damn near triple-double.
So I'm like, and he's playing better defense. So I'm just like,
so just say he's better than Jokic as you just described.
I don't think he's better than Jokic, but I think he's good enough to the point where it's like
you just said all but he's better than Jokic. He's better. He's gonna score the same, rebound the same.
He does everything better, but he's
better in defense.
Yeah, you can do everything better, but not be better.
But Morris, that's true. That's true. And it doesn't make sense.
We've established that too. That's the checklist argument. You can do things better.
I can guarantee you.
You can't do everything better and not be better.
I
don't know about in the NBA. I can't relate to that. But just in basketball, I've been on teams where this person shoots better than me, dribbles better than me. Probably doesn't play better defense, but all these things better than me. Like way, but like better, like not close, better than me. And it's so obvious. There's a reason why I'm playing more than you. I'm better than you, but you could do everything like technically better than me. I'm telling you. I know it doesn't make no sense, but
like Michael Beasley.
Was he soft?
Could be. I don't know. All I'm saying is I've seen plenty of times where it's a player that you don't check any of the boxes over this player, but you're better than him though. You're better than him. But you don't check any of the boxes.
I'm yet to see someone who does literally everything.
That's talent.
Like, I do think you can do more things better than someone and not be better. I'm a big believer in. I don't think the checklist argument is valid. I don't think you could just say who's a better passer, who's a better rebounder, who's a better scorer, who's a better defender, who checks more boxes. That's a better player. I don't agree with that. But if you check every single box, I don't think that's possible. I'm a better scorer. I'm a better passer. I'm better off the ball. I'm better on the ball. I'm a better defender. I'm better protecting the rim. Yeah. I'm better anything. I check every single box, but you're better than me. No,
I can't explain it, Mars. I think it might be instincts.
You're talking about ability versus what actually like they do on the court. Like you could have all the ability and then get to the game and freeze up and not be a gamer and somebody else could just be tougher. Like there's different reasons. But if you're saying like we played the same game and you score more than me, you assist more than me, you rebound more than me, and play defense better than me, how can then the other guy be better? I don't see that.
I think it must be instincts, IQ, drive, determination, and engine.
Yeah, but I'm saying everything. I'm saying like everything that can be better. You can put IQ on the checklist. I'm saying everything that can possibly be on the check. Any basketball attribute, every single one. That's what I'm saying. Not intangibles. I'm talking about on the checklist. Yeah, okay. I'm saying everything. I don't think that's possible. If you want to say minimize basketball to scoring, rebounding, playmaking, and defense. Maybe, yeah, because there's a lot of things that doesn't encompass. But I'm saying everything. It's not possible.
Right. Well, no, I was talking the basics. I was talking the basics. I got you.
How did y'all get the guys in C-Web though? Like when did Chris Webber come up? That was just random.
It wasn't random. Chris Webber is a. I don't like how you said that, Jay. I just don't like how you said that. Like, what do you mean? Like Chris Webber? Why would you talk about Chris Webber? Like,
no. I'm saying, how did he get brought up in like comparison to Jokic? Like, where did that come from?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I actually don't remember either.
I mean, Ox is from Sacramento.
I'm not saying Chris Webber's a random. I'm just saying like that's a random conversation.
Yeah, that's all. You may seem like how you get in the club? Like, yo, Chris Webber's supposed to be here. Bro.
Chris Webber was nice, but that's beyond me.
Shout out C-Web. Dookie Baylock sent through a super chat and said, I heard y'all was overrating Kawhi Leonard today. Is that true?
Don't answer Duke. He's the biggest Kawhi hater I've ever seen. He's like Chill and Jordan ×2 together. It's ridiculous.
All right, y'all. We got a flurry of super chats from Average Joe. So let's get into them. Average Joe said KD quoted saying his 2016 team wasn't good enough to beat the Warriors despite being up 3-1 because they had more regular season wins, some leadership.
What is the quote? What did he say?
They're better than us. I'm not a good enough leader.
He did not say that. Did he say that?
You got to dig it up.
I don't know. I
It's in
could
the
look for
archives.
it. I'm also not bothered to.
He
look.
said that, Ron, or you just made that up?
It's in the archives.
Are they still arguing about Russell Westbrook 2012 finals?
See,
I've been reading the chat because someone's been very passionate about Russ being bad, which once again wasn't the point. He's bringing up because I've been reading it. In game 1 of the conference finals, Russell Westbrook shot 21 times and had 17 points. In game 2 of the conference finals, he shot 24 times and had 27 points. In game 3 of the conference finals, he shot 15 times and had 10 points. In game 4 of the conference finals, he shot 10 times and had 7 points. In game 5 of the conference finals, he shot 24 times and had 23 points. And in game 5, he shot 17 times and had 25 points. If your argument is Russ was bad in that series too, you're making my point. My point wasn't that Russ played great in the finals. My point was that the idea that Russ played worse in the finals than he did throughout the playoffs, I don't agree with. I think Russ played like Russell Westbrook. The same Russell Westbrook we saw in the conference finals and in the second round and in the first round, we also saw in the finals. Yet somehow the narrative has been driven that Russell Westbrook just fell off a cliff in the finals and played egregiously, which I don't think is the case. I think Russell Westbrook played like the same good yet flawed Russell Westbrook he was in the conference finals and the second round and the first round. That's what I said. It was underrated. And somehow that got pushed back. And anyway, and you bringing up that Russ shot 24 times, scored 27 in game 1, blah, 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 doesn't disprove anything because I'm reading the chat. No one was arguing that Russell Westbrook played great in the finals. No one was arguing that. You was trying to argue that Russell Westbrook was playing terribly because of those numbers. But the same would apply to all of the other series, which would mean that Russ, by definition, played like Russell Westbrook.
Average Joey with yet another super chat say KD tore his Achilles versus the Rockets and the Warriors still made the finals. ... Because they still had their leader, Steph Curry.
That's not what happened.
They made the finals for a myriad of reasons, but Steph was a big part, especially what he did against Portland.
Average Joey with another super chat said if Jordan joined Detroit and won titles with them, we would not talk about him the same. That's just reality.
Well, shit, maybe I might, just out of bias because it's Jordan. But no, as a matter of fact, no, I wouldn't because he had left Scotty stranded. Fuck him. Fuck that hypothetical Jordan.
Average Joey with yet another super chat said Iguodala is quoted saying the 2016 Thunder were the best team that year and should have won the title. Meanwhile, KD has said the team wasn't good enough and he wasn't a good enough leader.
We should do an all snake team too.
Stephon Marbury on the team.
Stephon Marbury is on first team. He's on the team. Stephon Marbury is on the team. Ray Allen's on the team. Yeah, it'll be dope. We should do an all snake team for sure.
Average Joey with another super chat said on the quote unquote not believing you can win KD stuff, that's an indictment on leadership, not exactly his skill set as a player. Average Joe, I'm with you.
I just don't understand how so many people can speak on leadership with so much confidence.
You got to be a leader to comprehend, Mars. Renji said, from 2013 to 2016, OKC had one healthy season. They were not some juggernaut. From 2020 to 2022, the Nets had 0 healthy seasons. Ron yapping.
Those are facts, though. Not the yapping,
but
facts.
Is that a reason or is that an excuse though, Jay? Because when you say that if you bring up Kawhi Leonard in the Clippers, they're a failure because they got hurt. But now when we talk about this with KD, oh well they were hurt, so it doesn't count. But Kawhi,
the losses count.
But they look at it like losses with them. And so it goes back to if you like this person, it's going to be a reason.
Yeah,
if you don't,
absolutely.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like how come we say it so differently? Like, oh well, they failed in LA. The Clippers are a failure. Oh well, Brooklyn, I mean they were hurt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it all comes down to that. There's gonna be the opposite is true. Like there are people who like demonize KD in Brooklyn for what happened. And then when the Clippers be like, oh well, Kawhi was hurt, Paul George was hurt. It's like
not so much more. It's usually the other way.
Okay. But stands are gonna stand. That's what I'm saying. Stands are gonna stand.
Yeah.
Last but not least, Two Sensei sent through the last super chat of the day. My man Two Sensei said, just believing in my intangibles, we can't measure so I can win an argument. I can't back up what I'm saying with facts.
I think intangibles mean something. I just don't think. I think a lot of what I say is intangibles that aren't measured by statistics. I just don't talk about killer will and heart, but like intangible, like playing off the ball is an intangible thing because it's not measured by the box score. It's not measured by statistics. Off ball play is an intangible. Screen setting is an intangible. Like you can have screen assists, but that's not the only thing that is a part of screen setting. Defense is all intangible because it's not measured by stats. You can't just have one stat that encompasses all of defense. Those are intangibles. Intangibles are just things that can't be measured. I just think when people see results and they can't back the results up with stats, they just group everything else that they can't factor in as intangibles. With like Jimmy Butler, for example, they can't rationalize how Jimmy Butler's teams can have so much success. So they'll just be like intangibles. It's just like, it's the fix-all. It's like the band-aid to just the solution to why things happen. I just don't agree with intangibles being used that way.
All right, y'all. It's been a hell of an episode. We will be back in the same place tomorrow. Y'all know where to find us. Also, tonight on Playback, be sure to pull up. Joel, J.O., appreciate y'all for coming through. Pacers in 5.
We shall see.
All right, y'all.
All right,
Merry
fellas.
Christmas.
See, I had to clear them out so I could come up here and push my Hallie propaganda. Now that we got all them off the stage, check it out, y'all. Like I was telling you, we got a Hallie legacy game tonight. Now, I don't know if he's going to score 30. I don't know if he's going to get 20 assists. I just know he's about to go berserk. So check it out. Y'all can join me, GOAT host, Galvanizer of Troops, Golden Take Man, and also the leader of the Halle Band tonight on Playback while we watch Hallie solidify his legacy on the greatest stage against a chump named SGA. I'll see y'all there. We out.